Importance of cover. Alas, I don't even have a tent. Don't worry, I'll help you look. Yichuan replied, suddenly recalling that he had only thought to give the tent to Lu Yi, forgetting that blueberry jam lacked one as well. He promptly posted in the public chat room, 5L of boiled water, looking to acquire a tent. Did you see that? Even a big shot with 5L of boiled water can't withstand the elements without cover. Fortunately, he hadn't traded away the tent. Now nestled inside, sipping boiled water while admiring the snow and chatting in the public chat room, he felt utterly elated. Haha. This scene inspires me to compose a poem. 1,000 miles of yellow clouds beneath the waning sun, the north wind blows, and the snowflakes dance. The north wind blows and the snowflakes dance. 1,000 miles of yellow clouds beneath the waning sun. Are you reveling in our misfortune? A slight commotion erupted in the chat room, and an ID named Little Flying Dragon sent each one a message. Hey, I have 2 tents. Can I trade them for 10L of boiled water? But I only have 10L of boiled water. What will I drink? Each one promptly replied. However, I do possess 5 kilograms of octopus meat. If you agree, I can trade with you. In the midst of the heavy snow, tents were a scarce commodity. Little Flying Dragon replied pensively, how about 10 kilograms of octopus meat? Deal. Yichuan did not hesitate further and immediately listed the water and food for trade, swiftly completing the transaction. At that moment, the system suddenly emitted a notification, Little Flying Dragon, Quality Island Master. Yichuan paused, then asked, System, can you analyze Little Flying Dragon's current resources and conditions? Externally strong, but internally weak, lacking both water and food, the system promptly provided its analysis. A paper tiger? Yichuan's expression shifted, and he replied, let's add each other as friends. We may have further dealings in the future. Sure. Little Flying Dragon immediately added Yichuan as a friend. Yichuan promptly traded the tent to Blueberry Jam, who sent a crying emoji in return. Brother, you are so kind to me. I just saw your message about the tent, and I truly do not know what to say. I am merely a web celebrity hiding behind a computer. Boo-hoo. Do not say that. You indeed possess your own worth. Yichuan replied with a smiling face, simultaneously gifting a tent to Lu Yuwei. How did you know I was getting drenched? Lu Yuwei exclaimed in astonishment. Just a guess. After all, tents seem to be rather scarce. Yichuan chuckled in reply. Hurry and set it up. This snow might fall for a while, and you mustn't catch a cold. Thank you so much. Lu Yuwei nodded repeatedly, responding joyfully. A smile involuntarily crept onto Yichuan's lips as he glanced at the messages in the public chat room before turning to leave. Outside, the snow continued to fall heavily, blanketing the world in a vast expanse of white, with visibility reduced to less than 10 meters. Yichuan immediately instructed the turtle to halt its advance, deciding to reassess once the snowfall ceased. Splash. Feeling utterly unproductive, Yichuan turned back towards his room, but was suddenly startled by the sound of splashing water. Rushing over, he discovered that the dolphin had brought up a supply crate. Wow, you really are quite the trooper. Yichuan exclaimed, grinning. Dolphin, take a break during the heavy snow. We'll deal with everything once it stops. The dolphin nodded in understanding and swiftly dove back into the ocean. However, with only this one supply crate, Yichuan did not intend to hold on to it, considering that the snow had already accumulated significantly in just half an hour, and he was uncertain how long it would continue. He feared that it might become buried too deeply to find later, so he decided to open it right away. Upon opening the crate, he found 3 cotton, 2 plastic, and 100 kilograms of de-icing agent. De-icing agent. Yichuan's expression shifted. He had been pondering how to clear the snow once it finished falling, and unexpectedly, the de-icing agent had arrived. 100 kilograms at that. Was this heavy snowfall expected to last a long while? Yichuan hurried back to his room, taking out 5 kilograms to distribute among Zhao Feiyu and 4 others. Stating seriously, this snow may persist for some time, so everyone be cautious. Once the snowfall genuinely stops, sprinkle the de-icing agent over the snow, and try to use it sparingly. You even have de-icing agent? Zhao Feiyu asked in surprise once more. He noticed that regardless of what transpired in the ocean world, Yichuan always seemed to receive items or methods to cope in advance. Could this fellow be using hacks? I just opened a supply crate, and lo and behold, some de-icing agent appeared. Yichuan sent a laughing emoji, adding, I suppose the heavens are particularly kind to me. Besides admiration, Zhao Feiyu was at a loss for words, ultimately sending Yichuan a thumbs-up emoji. Suddenly, outside, the hurried sounds of 3 little creatures chirping could be heard, seemingly confronting something. Yichuan's heart tightened involuntarily. Could it be that a large creature from the forest, unable to withstand the heavy snowfall, had emerged? Chapter 72. The 3 beasts battle the sea eagle. Without hesitation, Yichuan seized his crossbow and dashed out, only to be taken aback. Before him stood a bird over a meter long, adorned with a black body and wings, and a white head and tail, confronting the three small creatures. Although the trio had surrounded the imposing figure in a triangular formation, the eagle's piercing gaze and formidable aura instilled a sense of trepidation even in Yichuan. "System, what is this?" Yichuan inquired solemnly. "White-headed sea eagle, measuring 1 meter in length with a wingspan of 2 meters, a powerful aerial predator with extraordinary combat capabilities." The system promptly responded. Yichuan frowned, watching the sea eagle warily. It was evident that the heavy snowfall had forced this majestic creature down from the sky, where visibility and strength were severely hampered. But could these three young creatures, still in their early adulthood, truly contend with such a formidable opponent? Yichuan tightened his grip on the crossbow, poised for action. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The urgency in their calls escalated as the trio instinctively rejected the uninvited guest, demonstrating their strong territorial instincts. Howl! The white-headed sea eagle, displeased, fixed its cold gaze upon the small creatures and let out a fierce cry, launching itself at one of them with ferocity. The other two sprang into action simultaneously. Yichuan contemplated firing, yet the fierce clash between the three small creatures and the eagle made it challenging to strike without harming them. Nevertheless, despite the sea eagle's formidable prowess, the three S-class creatures proved remarkably resilient. When one was threatened, the other two immediately launched a fierce counterattack, forcing the eagle to divide its attention and endure assaults from all sides. Before long, feathers filled the air, and wounds marred the bodies of all four predators, causing the once imposing aura of the sea eagle to wane. Howl! The sea eagle screeched, its sharp talons aimed viciously at Wang Yun. Just as the other two prepared to intervene, the eagle soared high into the sky, executing a swift turn before diving down towards the trio. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The three small creatures screeched, preparing for an aerial confrontation. Yichuan, no longer hesitating, pulled the trigger, unleashing a barrage of 12 crossbow bolts into the air. A sudden cry pierced the air, prompting Yichuan's eyes to widen. Had he struck? Bang! In the next moment, the white-headed sea eagle collided with the trio, sending all four predators tumbling across the ground. The eagle rolled several times before finally coming to a halt, at which point Yichuan noticed 2 bolts embedded in its wing, blood oozing from the wounds. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The three little creatures, however, remained sprightly, steadying themselves before charging forward once more. Yet, it was evident that the injured bald eagle had lost its earlier vigor, retreating incessantly, no longer a match for the trio's combined efforts. Observing this scene, Yichuan readied his crossbow, retracting the rotating arrow, and quietly watched the battle unfold. As S-rank pets, these three would undoubtedly play significant roles in various future endeavors. This skirmish marked their first significant trial since birth, and Yichuan had no intention of intervening further. They needed to hone their skills to foster their growth. As time passed, the clash among the four raptors intensified, with the bald eagle utterly exhausted, still struggling valiantly in its final throes. Ultimately, Wang Sai's sharp claws swiftly slashed across the bald eagle's neck, and the once mighty ruler of the seas succumbed beneath the trio, slowly closing its eyes in defeat. "Well done," Yichuan exclaimed with a beaming smile. "This marks your inaugural battle, a moment worth commemorating. I reward each of you with 50 milliliters of A-grade freshwater. Cheap, cheap, cheap." The three creatures immediately encircled Yichuan, affectionately nudging against his legs, though their bloodied heads left stains on his clothes. "I suggest you all take a moment to rest," Yichuan said, promptly using snow to clean the blood from their bodies before leading them back to the nest, bestowing each with the promised freshwater. Afterward, Yichuan returned to deal with the bald eagle, efficiently preparing it for consumption. Even after thorough cleaning, the creature weighed 7 or 8 pounds, nearly double that of the wild chicken from before, indicating a plentiful meal ahead. This, without a doubt, was a minor episode amidst the heavy snowfall, soon forgotten as nightfall enveloped the land. Yichuan quickly set up a barbecue to roast the bald eagle, while sautéing lychee mushrooms in fish oil, subsequently adding water and salt to brew a savory soup. Before long, the delightful aromas wafted across the vast snowy landscape, enticing even the sea fish to leap up and savor the enticing scent, creating an unparalleled sense of beauty. Half an hour later, Yichuan divided the roasted eagle into 7 portions, distributing some to Zhao Feiyu and others, while generously offering a share to the little dragon, who was taken aback and inquired, "Brother, what is this? I caught a bald eagle, and I cannot consume it all, so I'm sharing some with you." Yichuan replied directly, "As friends, you surely wouldn't refuse?" "Of course not." I'm just surprised. The little dragon hastily responded. That is nothing. My subordinate island lords enjoy a variety of foods I provide daily. Yichuan smiled, urging, now, eat while it's warm. Oh, the little dragon responded with a flurry of hugging emojis, devouring the meal enthusiastically while musing quietly. Does he have many subordinate island lords? A variety of foods? How does he manage that? And this roasted meat is truly delectable. However, the lychee mushroom soup was only allocated to Zhao Feiyu and his 5 companions, which truly thrilled them. Lu Shuai immediately expressed his astonishment, exclaiming, is this for real? Brother, I am in awe. This is indeed lychee mushroom, isn't it? You even know about lychee mushrooms? Yichuan chuckled and soon comprehended that, after all, Lu was from a prominent family, and it was only natural that he had sampled such delicacies before. I've had it a few times, but this soup is far more fragrant than any I've tasted before. Lu Shuai remarked with a mischievous grin, brother, if I were a woman, I would surely dedicate myself to you for this soup. Yichuan, rendered speechless, chose to ignore Lu Shuai, and after exchanging a few words with the remaining 4, poured himself a glass of erguo too. As he sipped the liquor and nibbled on snacks, he began to peruse the messages in the public chatroom. Chapter 73, A Grim Situation. The snow had been falling for several hours, and I dread the thought of waking up to find myself buried. Then don't sleep tonight. Just keep running, and you won't get buried, right? I replied. Even in the tent, if I do get buried, it would only be the tent that's covered. If I hide inside, how could I be buried? Forget about it and cherish this evening. After tomorrow, the temperature will drop by at least 4 or 5 degrees. I fear we might freeze to death. I doubt our winter clothes and the stove will be of much help. Let us hope the situation doesn't worsen. Reading these chat records, Yichuan couldn't help but chuckle. After finishing his drink, he felt a bit tipsy and promptly went to bed. Host has not yet checked in. Would you like to check in? The next morning, the system's voice roused Yichuan from his slumber. He inhaled deeply and then declared, check in. Check in successful. Congratulations, host. You have received 1,000 evolution points, 30 kilograms of snow melting agent, and 2 cans of pork. Another batch of snow melting agent? Just how much snow has fallen? Yichuan muttered, immediately stepping out of his room. The snow had ceased, yet it lay over 50 centimeters thick. Luckily, there was a platform in front of his door. Otherwise, the snow would have likely rolled right into the house upon opening it. It was not far from what I had imagined. Shrugging, Yichuan promptly took out the snow melting agent and began to spread it. The snow melting agent resembled coarse sea salt, once sprinkled in a particular area. The accumulated snow would swiftly dissolve, revealing the ground in just 3 to 4 minutes. Yichuan toiled for over 3 hours, during which he even enjoyed a bowl of egg soup, before managing to melt all the snow on the island. However, the air had grown a bit colder, and he estimated that the temperature had dropped by at least 3 degrees. Fortunately, Yichuan's super thermal pants kept him warm, and he did not feel too cold. After harvesting the miraculous grass and tossing it into the feed trough, Yichuan stretched and returned to his room, checking the public chat room. Damn it. 50 or 60 centimeters of snow. How long am I going to be cleaning this? I've only cleared a 5-meter square area, and I'm utterly exhausted. However, one might contemplate from a different perspective. This accumulated snow represents precious freshwater. If we were to gather it all, it could sustain us for at least a month, alleviating our worries regarding water supply for the foreseeable future. I must caution you, I was recently assailed by an eagle. Had it not been for my swift escape, I might have been carried away by its claws, my winter coat severely torn, nearly giving me a fright. We are compelled to be wary not only of monstrous creatures lurking beneath the waves, like the great octopus, but also of the predatory birds soaring above. It seems we are not the hunters, but rather the hunted. To hell with ocean survival. The chill in the air has aggravated my rhinitis, leaving me in a state of discomfort with tears and mucus flowing freely. Yichuan offered a faint smile as he surveyed the remaining 50 kilograms of melting agent, promptly listing it on the trading interface. 1 kilogram of melting agent for trade. Rare item. In no time, private messages flooded in. Even a little dragon, upon discovering that Yichuan was the seller of the melting agent, expressed astonishment. Goodness, my friend, you possess melting agent? You are truly formidable. It was a rather haphazard endeavor, taking me 3 hours to clear my island. Yichuan cheerfully remarked, you need melting agent? Allow me to gift you 5 kilograms. That would be too generous. The little dragon felt somewhat embarrassed, but accepted the offer, mumbling, what on earth does this guy do? He.s. the only one in this vast ocean with melting agent. It's astonishing. The melting agent was quickly snatched up, and Yichuan acquired a wealth of resources, igniting fervent discussions in the public chat room. Thank heavens. I traded 4 tomatoes for 2 kilograms of melting agent. Once I gather enough snow, I can simply melt it away. What bliss! How can anyone possess melting agent? Is this a cheat? Those with prowess have their own methods. We mere shadows can only gaze in admiration. If only I could become one of his subordinate island masters. Do you really think he would notice you? Dream on. For such a titan, a throng of hopefuls clamors to be his subordinate island master. We shan't have our turn in this lifetime. At this moment, Wang Samurai was also observing the public chatroom. His approach was rather rudimentary. After creating a passage, he ignited a furnace to melt the snow directly with its heat. Although he employed 10 furnaces, he managed to clear the entire island. Had he been a tad lazier and noticed the melting agent for sale earlier, he could have conserved considerable effort. Nevertheless, he pondered the matter and speculated whether the individual selling the melting agent was the same as the one who previously sold winter coats and Longjing tea. If that were the case, the implications would be daunting. Beyond the ocean, a multinational alliance has been closely monitoring the recent occurrences in the novice zone of the ocean world, diligently analyzing the reasons behind these events. According to their analysis, it is evident that there are currently 30 million novice island owners in the novice zone of the ocean world, with over 13 million having perished, nearly 3 times the number of casualties from previous years. This renders the situation exceedingly grim. Projections indicate that after a 6-month novice period, the number of these fledgling island owners may plummet to a mere million. In the command center of the ocean world, a man with a square jaw and furrowed brow received a cup of coffee from a nearby woman and solemnly inquired, "Have the reasons for the peculiar circumstances in the novice zone been determined?" After thorough analysis from various perspectives, it appears to be related to that octopus. The tall woman weakly responded, "The intelligence was flawed. It is not an SS level C beast, but rather an SSS level 1. What? The man's expression changed drastically. The Allied fleet escaped from that forbidden sea area, but out of over 300 ships, only 20 managed to return. The tall woman continued, "That octopus seems to have triggered some form of restriction, leading to the anomalies in the novice zone. Furthermore, this is not even the worst-case scenario. Have we analyzed the worst-case scenario?" The man inquired again. "The final temperature may plummet to below -20 degrees, persisting for at least a month," the woman stated gravely. "The novice island owners can only rely on their own fortune." Feiyu. The man's eyes narrowed, his expression growing increasingly grim. Chapter 74. Rolling Noodles, an encounter on the island. Gazing at the clear blue sky, Yichuan took a deep breath. Setting aside everything else, his mood was quite pleasant at that moment. As noon approached, he found himself in possession of tomatoes, eggs, and flour. Although he had only 2 kilograms of flour, it was sufficient to prepare a delightful meal of noodles. Without hesitation, Yichuan dashed off to gather a generous handful of dried fish for the 3 little ones before promptly mixing water with the flour, crafting a rolling pin from a wooden board, and commencing the noodle-making process. Simultaneously, he prepared a sauce using 3 tomatoes, 2 eggs, and a can of pork. As midday drew near, Yichuan finally completed the noodles. He placed them in a wooden lunchbox, drizzled the sauce over them, and traded portions to each of the 5. "I suddenly craved noodles today, so I handmade some. Please enjoy this dish of noodles with sauce." "You actually managed to acquire all these ingredients?" Zhao Feiyu replied incredulously. "Each of these items is exceptionally rare, isn't it? You've seen me frequently trading for various items." "All these were obtained through trade," Yichuan answered. "Even amidst the vast ocean, one must not deprive oneself of pleasures. Enjoy." "Thank you." Zhao Feiyu ultimately accepted the offering. From his military district, Zhao Feiyu had undergone rigorous training under 7 island owners. He believed he had mastered all the survival skills necessary for the ocean. Yet after more than 3 weeks of existence in the ocean world, he realized just how harsh this realm truly was. However, Yichuan consistently manages to provide sustenance in ingenious ways, significantly alleviating his burdens. He has every reason to believe that, had it not been for Yichuan's timely arrival, even if he had managed to survive, his existence would undoubtedly have been fraught with difficulties. "Brother, you can even make handmade noodles. They are simply delectable," exclaimed Blueberry Jam, her face adorned with a series of astonished emojis. "I don't care. Once the novice period is over, I am definitely going to marry you. You are like my reborn parents. Don't you find that statement contradictory?" Yichuan replied with an eye roll. "Just enjoy your noodles." Blueberry Jam immediately responded with a flurry of grinning emojis. After exchanging a few words with the other 3, Yichuan handed the remaining small bowl of noodles to Little Flying Dragon. "Share the noodles with my subordinate island masters. There's a little left for you." "Wow." Little Flying Dragon instantly replied, "Boss, this is tomato noodles, and there's pork?" "Yes, I suddenly felt like changing flavors, so I made a bowl of noodles." Yichuan responded with a smiling emoji. "Don't you want to eat? Shall I take it back?" No. I just can't believe it. Little Flying Dragon eagerly accepted the bowl. This noodle dish reminds me of home and brings back memories of my dear mother. Enough with the sentimental talk. The noodles will get cold. Yichuan replied with a roll of his eyes, returning to his meal. Nevertheless, the dish indeed evoked a sense of nostalgia, which left Yichuan quite reflective. He recalled that the last time he had noodles was when the orphanage's director had made them. After lunch, Yichuan tidied up briefly and ventured into the flower bed. He noticed that both the beans and corn had ripened, while they were not fully mature. Enjoying boiled edamame and corn would still be quite delightful. Ah, dinner is sorted for tonight. Great. We can get moving. Yichuan called out to the sea turtle as he exited the flower bed. In Yichuan's perception, remaining stationary could lead to unforeseen dangers. Only by taking action could one seize the initiative. However, this movement was not trivial. After covering just over 20 nautical miles, Yichuan discovered a small island. Not particularly large, measuring perhaps 500 to 600 square meters. Yet, it boasted a quaint wooden cabin and a storage shed, suggesting that the island's inhabitants lived quite comfortably. Initially, Yichuan hesitated to intrude, but upon reflection, he considered that encountering someone was a matter of fate and decided to explore, wondering what unexpected treasures might await him. Meanwhile, the inhabitants of the island had already taken notice of Yichuan. Startled by the sudden appearance of such a colossal entity drifting towards them, they immediately grasped a multifunctional automatic harpoon, eyeing the massive island warily. Yichuan soon came into view, smiling warmly as he waved and greeted, "Hello. Leave my island." A woman shouted fiercely at Yichuan. "Otherwise, do not blame me for being rude. Sister, I have been adrift at sea. I merely stumbled upon your island by coincidence. Must you be so fierce?" Yichuan shrugged helplessly. "Do you have any food or water? If not, I can offer you some. The snow on your island has melted. Has it not? You must have used a snow-melting agent. What does that have to do with you?" The woman retorted fiercely, aiming her harpoon at Yichuan. "I'll give you 3 seconds. If you don't leave, I will kill you. Are you certain?" Yichuan asked with a smile. "You." Just as the woman was about to explode with rage, a sudden flurry of sounds erupted as 3 small creatures dove from the sky, seizing her harpoon and soaring upwards. The woman was taken aback, intending to resist, but the strength of the little ones was overwhelming. To avoid injury, she reluctantly released her grip when they were just over a meter above the ground, rolling to a stop and looking at Yichuan with uncertainty. "Are these yours?" "Indeed. I was rather lonely, so I decided to keep these 3 little companions." Yichuan replied cheerfully. "Aren't they adorable? Caution, the opponent is a quality island owner. Please handle with care." Suddenly, the system's voice echoed. "Wow, is this real? Am I truly this fortunate?" Yichuan mumbled to himself, then turned to the woman with a smile. "Is there anything you lack on your island? I can assist you. Why should I trust you?" The woman eyed Yichuan warily, retreating a few steps. In truth, every novice island owner presents a potential competitor. After all, the novice area is limited, and once the beginner period is over, assistance will undoubtedly spark a resource competition. Why would anyone help you for no reason? Fear not, I harbor no ulterior motives. I simply wish for you to become my subordinate island owner." Yichuan stated plainly. "Why should I?" The woman's voice sharpened this time. "We can make an exchange." Yichuan quickly added, "You can propose any conditions." "All right, I haven't bathed in ages. Can you provide enough hot water for a bath?" The woman unhesitatingly presented a nearly impossible request. Chapter 75. The 4th Subordinate Island Owner. "Huh." Yichuan was taken aback. "If you can't meet this condition, you better scram." The woman said darkly. "If I can fulfill it, will you agree to be my subordinate island owner?" Yichuan pondered, stroking his chin. "If you agree. I believe it is not impossible. Indeed, if you can manage it, I will comply." The woman replied earnestly. "I, Liang Hongying, am a person of my word and will never go back on it." "Very well, then come to my island to bathe. I have a solar water heater. And there's ample fresh water." Yichuan said with a smile. "You can bathe for an hour with no issue." "What did you just say?" Liang Hongying's expression changed dramatically. "What I said is precisely what you just heard." Yichuan shrugged, gesturing with utmost courtesy. "Please, my 4th subordinate island owner?" Liang Hongying found herself in a state of indecision, for she was not acquainted with this man. What if he harbored ill intentions? "Rest assured, if I intended to plot against you, there would be no need for idle chatter," Yichuan remarked coolly. "My time is quite precious." Upon hearing such words, Liang Hongying reflected and realized the truth in them. Ultimately, she stepped onto Yichuan's island, only to be taken aback along the way. "Good heavens, you even have sheep and chickens?" "Indeed, one must cultivate some interests, mustn't one?" Yichuan replied nonchalantly. "Otherwise, it would be rather dull to be alone on an island." "What is this, a 1-bedroom with reinforced concrete?" Liang Hongying exclaimed, astonished. This must be something the island owner provided. I've never heard of any islander producing such architectural plans. I consider myself fortunate. It just happened to materialize, Yichuan stated calmly. Is there even a greenhouse? And trees? A solar water heater, no less. Liang Hongying struggled to swallow, feeling as though she were in a dream. After more than 3 weeks, this was her first glimpse of such luxurious island life. Is this survival at sea? This is surely a vacation. All right, you may go in and take a shower, Yichuan said, guiding Liang Hongying into the small dwelling. The hot water will last you 40 to 50 minutes, though there is no soap. I assure you, I will not peek. Liang Hongying bit her lip, wanting to say more, but Yichuan's words made her pout as she turned to enter the bathroom. Soon, the sound of rushing water echoed from within. With nothing else to do, Yichuan glanced at the public chat room. Indeed, although the sky is clear, the temperature has dropped. It must be around -7 degrees now. Even in a cotton coat, it feels rather chilly. Isn't that the truth? I'm worried that salvaging the supply boxes will get my cotton coat wet. It's already cold. Getting soaked would only make it worse. Everyone was currently facing a pressing issue. The seawater was freezing. If it got any colder, the sea would surely ice over. And at that point, we might not be able to salvage the supply boxes at all. Goodness, the esteemed one speaks true. The freezing seawater is indeed a dilemma. What shall we do? I'm feeling overwhelmed. It's a blessing or a curse. If trouble comes, it cannot be avoided. Regardless, we can only take it step by step. To be honest, for Liang Hongying, this was an exhilarating experience. What girl does not appreciate cleanliness? After enduring over 20 days in the vast sea, dining under the sky, the prospect of a hot shower was the epitome of happiness. After more than half an hour, Liang Hongying emerged from the room, her cheeks flushed. Thank you. I feel so much lighter. As agreed, I will become your subordinate island owner. Excellent. Yichuan snapped his fingers and promptly bound her to his super tablet. The binding was successful, and he had finally gained his 4th subordinate island owner. With just one more to secure, his hidden task would be complete. In the vast expanse of the ocean, having a wooden cottage and a warehouse is quite a delightful prospect, remarked Yichuan with a smile. In the future, I shall provide you with essential items. Should you encounter any difficulties, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I will assist you to the best of my abilities. However, I am curious as to why you wish for me to become your subordinate island master, Liang Hongying inquired, perplexed. Logically, it would make sense for subordinate island masters to offer tributes to independent island masters, wouldn't it? People are different from one another, and I shall not bind myself to too many subordinate island masters, no more than 5 at most. Yichuan chuckled heartily and then waved his hand, saying, If there is nothing else, I shall take my leave. Wait. Liang Hongying paused to think, and then called out softly, Is there something else? Yichuan turned with a smile. I have something here that I believe will be of great use to you, considering your rapid development. Liang Hongying said with a serious expression, As for myself, I may have to wait until the novice period concludes to make use of it. Now, you have piqued my interest. Upon hearing this, Yichuan's eyes lit up with excitement. Please wait a moment, Liang Hongying stated, turning to enter the warehouse. A few minutes later, she emerged with considerable effort, struggling to carry a black cube measuring over 30 centimeters, and gently placed it before Yichuan. Here it is. System. What is this? Yichuan inquired, his familiarity with the object not quite dispelling his confusion. It is a super battery, capable of storing 10 million volts of electricity. Currently, it retains 1,000th of its charge, but it can be recharged. The system promptly responded. With this revelation, Yichuan was nearly taken aback, as this was precisely what he needed at the moment. Moreover, it still contained 10,000 volts of electricity, which, even when utilized to its fullest, should last him for several years. What a delightful surprise this is. Is there a problem? Noticing Yichuan's slightly unusual expression, Liang Hongying softly inquired. No issues at all. Thank you, Yichuan replied with a beaming smile, before carrying the super battery back to his island. As the island slowly drifted away, Yichuan immediately crafted a groove from stone to securely house the super battery, fully safeguarding it, while connecting one end to the wind turbine. Although the current produced by the wind turbine was minimal, even the smallest of contributions can be significant. The other end of the battery was connected to all existing household appliances, with Yichuan eagerly anticipating the television. Rubbing his hands together in excitement, he dashed back to his room and turned on the television. Chapter 76. 5 Subordinate Island Masters Assembled. This was undoubtedly the most exhilarating moment for Yichuan. Although conversing was possible amidst the vast ocean, the absence of companions was palpable. However, things had changed now with the advent of television, heralding an immense source of entertainment. As Yichuan awaited eagerly, the television flickered to life, only for static to fill the entire screen. No signal. This left Yichuan somewhat bewildered. He hurried over to pat the television, then switched through several channels with the remote control, only to find one channel emitting a faint crackling sound, while the others were nothing but static. System, what is the situation? Yichuan inquired with a hint of irritation. The television requires a super satellite signal receiver to connect and receive television signals. The system promptly responded. Damn it, what a waste of effort. Yichuan slapped his forehead in exasperation. However, it wasn't entirely in vain. After all, with the super battery, the energy-saving lights in his room could be utilized, ensuring that darkness would no longer shroud him at night. Moreover, the central air conditioning would also be operational, meaning that even if the temperature continued to drop, its impact on him would be minimal. The dream of watching television had been extinguished. He would have to wait for the super satellite signal receiver to be operational before indulging in that pastime again. Exhaling a deep breath, he adjusted his mindset and went to check on the sea salt collection. The mineral water bottle had already collected half its capacity, and he estimated that in another 2 days, it would be completely filled. Noticing that time was slipping away, Yichuan entered the greenhouse and harvested a dozen ears of corn and 5 bean plants, yielding over 50 bean pods. For both the corn and beans, he planned to leave 1 or 2 plants to produce seeds. If both corn and beans could be cultivated in abundance, he would have an endless supply of food. Half an hour later, everything was cooked. Yichuan distributed 2 ears of corn and 5 bean pods to each of the 7 individuals, including Zhao Feiyu. Liang Hongying, pondering what to have for dinner, was taken aback when she received food from Yichuan. Is this for me? Of course. Yichuan replied without hesitation. Now that you are my soldier, I would never shortchange you. Stick with me, and I will ensure you enjoy the finest. Thank you. Liang Hongying replied with just 2 words before accepting the food. She remained somewhat skeptical of Yichuan's words. After all, amidst the vast ocean and increasingly harsh conditions, people tend to become more selfish. Although she had become an auxiliary island master after her defeat, she doubted Yichuan would consistently supply her with food. Wouldn't the food be consumed entirely within a few days? As for Lu Yi and the others, they had grown somewhat numb to Yichuan's frequent provision of good things. Yet, on this desolate island, being able to enjoy a meal of fresh-boiled corn and edamame was still a delightful surprise. Of course, there was also a portion for Little Flying Dragon. His eyes glistened with tears. What an extraordinary friend he had, so generous towards him. In this vast ocean, suddenly having someone care for him so deeply brought a long-lost warmth to his heart. Meanwhile, Yichuan was munching on corn while browsing the public chat room. It's so cold. I have a winter coat, but no stove. Who can send me a stove? I'm willing to become their auxiliary island master. Now, you are not the only one feeling the chill. Everyone is cold, indeed. I have already run several laps outside. And how I wish for a cup of coffee. Alas, this dreadful weather is likely to bring further drops in temperature, so everyone should take care. Let us hope we can see the sun tomorrow. The sky has completely darkened, and I silently pray that there will be no sea beasts attacking tonight. May everything improve upon waking. Amen. Sleep now, for dreams hold infinite possibilities. Almost everyone's spirits are rather low. In just over 20 days, these island masters have faced experiences they never imagined. Their initial ambitions are gradually being worn away. Yet, Yichuan stretches languidly. Noticing that the solar water heater still reads 50 degrees, he swiftly retreats to the bathroom for a hot shower before finally retiring to bed. Turning on the central air conditioning, the room is warm and inviting, allowing Yichuan to drift quickly into slumber. The following morning, Yichuan awakens slowly and glances at the time. It is only 6 o'clock. He cannot help but exclaim, Sign in. Sign in successful. Congratulations, host. You have gained 1,000 evolution points and a super radio. A super radio. Yichuan's expression shifts, since there's no signal on the television. The super radio must surely have one. He promptly retrieves the super radio and begins to tune in to various channels. However, he finds only static on all but one channel, where he can vaguely hear the sound of storytelling. He settles on this channel. At least there is some noise. After all, just as he prepares to make breakfast, a notification sound from the super tablet interrupts him. It is a message from Little Flying Dragon. My friend, I have made up my mind. I wish to become your subordinate island master. What? Yichuan's expression shifts again, but he responds with a look of confusion. What has brought this about, my friend? In this vast ocean, having a confidant is invaluable. Moreover, many hands make light work. I feel that it is indeed challenging to develop alone, which is why I wish to become your subordinate island master. Little Flying Dragon confides sincerely. There is also another concern. In the past few days, Little Flying Dragon has benefited greatly from Yichuan's kindness and is somewhat afraid of losing it. After all, What remains after the distribution to subordinate island masters? If there is nothing left in the future, would he have nothing of his own? After much contemplation, Little Flying Dragon decides to ally with Yi Chuan. The current environment is becoming increasingly harsh, and one can never predict what might happen in the future. It is wise to cling to a strong ally. As for what happens after the novice period, that can be addressed later. Are you certain you wish to become my subordinate island master? Yi Chuan seeks confirmation once more. I have made my decision, Little Flying Dragon asserts, immediately transferring the super tablet to him. Since Little Flying Dragon is resolute, Yi Chuan refrains from further discussion, accepts the tablet, binds it, and then returns it. Meanwhile, the voice of the system resonated once more, detected that the host has bound 5 subordinate island masters. The hidden task has been completed, and a surprise gift package has been obtained. Shall it be opened? So sudden. Yi Chuan chuckled, genuinely taken aback by the rapid arrival of the system's reward, and promptly responded, open it. Chapter 77, Toilet Paper, S-Class Seawater Purifier. Surprise gift package is opening. Congratulations, host. You have received an evolution value package. Blueprint for a paper-making machine, 100 rice grains, and a resource package. A paper-making machine? Did I truly require such an apparatus? Even for the most basic needs? The automatic spray system sufficed splendidly. After a moment's contemplation, Yi Chuan glanced at the paper-making machine, and his expression shifted. Truly, as a reward from the system, this machine could fabricate a plethora of paper types according to his specifications: rice paper, cardboard, toilet paper, and more. By merely selecting the desired paper type and adding wooden planks, one could produce it effortlessly. Yi Chuan smiled faintly, immediately crafting the paper-making machine. He then procured a wooden plank, selected toilet paper, and within mere seconds, a roll of toilet paper was produced. Immaculately white, with commendable durability, its softness and smoothness rendered it an exquisite specimen among toilet papers. Setting aside other considerations, this toilet paper could serve as a substitute for towels. Yi Chuan mused aloud, producing several more rolls and distributing 2 to each of Lu Yi and the others. Lu Yi was astonished. Brother, how did you manage to create this? It's incredibly useful. I obtained a paper-making machine that can produce toilet paper. Yi Chuan replied with a smile, and the quality is exceptionally good. It's truly a blessing in disguise. Lu Yi exclaimed in excitement, particularly given the circumstances of the past few days. Yi Chuan smirked slightly. With Lu Yi's remark, he understood her meaning. It undoubtedly referred to those few days that occurred each month. He promptly sent Lu Yi 200 milliliters of A-class freshwater during these days. Be sure to avoid anything cold. This is A-class freshwater, which will aid in your recovery. Drink it first, and reach out if you need anything. Thank you. Lu Yi blushed, accepting the offer while expressing her gratitude. It was her first encounter with such an understanding young man. He had discerned her predicament from a casual remark. The toilet paper was indeed invaluable to her at this moment. The 3 men were relatively unfazed, while the 3 women exhibited varying degrees of excitement, particularly Blueberry Jam, who, in her enthusiasm, presented Yi Chuan with several stones she had mined over the past days. Brother, these are the stones I've collected. Though few, they represent my heartfelt gesture. Excellent. Yi Chuan did not hesitate and promptly accepted the item. Blueberry Jam had always felt rather useless. If she did not take it, it might undermine her self-esteem. Regardless, she decided to keep it for now, intending to return it if it proved useful to her. Subsequently, Yi Chuan hung a roll of toilet paper on the trading interface. Toilet paper 1, trading rare item. In an instant, the public chat room erupted with excitement. What on earth? Toilet paper? A big shot is actually selling toilet paper? Am I seeing things? Is this real? It seems that in all this time, I've never encountered anything related to paper. How did this esteemed individual manage to obtain it? It's simply astonishing. To be honest, since arriving on this island, I've had to use leaves, and at times even stones. While toilet paper may seem trivial, it is truly invaluable in certain situations. Enough talk. I must hurry to trade with the big shot. At least it will spare my behind from the torment of stones and clods. Such a precious item. Do you think it can be exchanged so easily? Wang Sanrui also immediately noticed the roll of toilet paper and sent a private message to Yi Chuan. Brother, what do you intend to offer in exchange for this roll of toilet paper? Toilet paper is an exceedingly rare commodity in the entire oceanic realm. Yi Chuan quickly replied, I believe you understand its worth, so if you desire the toilet paper, you must contemplate what you will offer in exchange. I have an upgrade card. The description states it can upgrade any item. Wang Sanrui gritted his teeth and spoke, although I am not entirely sure what an upgrade entails. I believe 1 roll of toilet paper is not worth it. At least 3 rolls should be exchanged. Yi Chuan frowned slightly, feeling somewhat put off by Wang Sanrui's audacity. However, If anything could be upgraded, could it be that an A-grade item could reach S-grade? Just as he was about to respond, Wang Sanrui continued, indeed. Toilet paper is quite valuable, but I have managed without paper for several days. If you truly do not wish to trade, then so be it. Forget it. Let's proceed with the exchange. Yichuan replied after a brief pause, I only have 5 rolls, but I believe this upgrade card might be useful. So let us make the trade. With that, the two swiftly completed the transaction. While Wang Sanrui obtained 3 rolls of toilet paper, he remained skeptical. Did the other party truly understand the value of the upgrade card? At present, 3 rolls of toilet paper were undeniably priceless. Unable to fathom it, Wang Sanrui decided not to dwell on it and promptly messaged the assistant island lord. Let everyone know, I have 2 rolls of toilet paper. They can trade rare items with me. Understood, the assistant island lord replied immediately, though a hint of astonishment lingered in his heart. Could it be that the roll of toilet paper displayed in the trading interface also belongs to him? Truly remarkable for an independent island lord to acquire such a rare item. At this moment, Yichuan was engrossed in the study of the upgrade card. As Wang Sanrui had stated, it possessed the remarkable ability to upgrade anything, offering but a singular opportunity. Yichuan could not help but inquire, System, this upgrade card. Can an A-grade item be elevated to S-grade? Indeed, came the system's cool and aloof response. Instantly, Yichuan smiled and promptly approached the A-grade seawater purifier to inspect it. To initiate the upgrade, the required materials were 1 A-grade seawater purifier, 1 upgrade card, 100 fabric pieces, and 40 metal pieces. Note, an A-grade seawater purifier can be upgraded to an S-grade seawater purifier, capable of purifying 200 milliliters of freshwater into 10 milliliters of S-grade freshwater every hour. With a maximum capacity of 2,000 milliliters, S-grade freshwater, when consumed, enhances physical constitution, wards off various ailments, and alleviates fatigue. Without hesitation, Yichuan upgraded the A-grade seawater purifier. In a mere few seconds, it transformed into an S-grade seawater purifier, its appearance significantly improved, exuding a sophisticated allure. Yichuan chuckled slyly and immediately poured a bucket of seawater into it, patiently awaiting the conversion to S-grade freshwater. Chapter 78. The sea surface is about to freeze. However, the conversion process was rather slow. Yichuan temporarily departed and opened the evolution value gift pack, acquiring 10,000 points of evolution value. Now, he possessed a total of 14,000 evolution points. Without a moment's hesitation, he allocated 8,000 points to the turtle. The turtle began to grow gradually. And Yichuan quickly opened the turtle's information panel. Island Master. Yichuan type. Sea turtle level. 8,090,000. Skills. Water bomb. Intermediate. Talents. Longevity. Rapid healing. Crawling. Another crawling ability? Yichuan was taken aback. He had assumed that new skills or talents would only emerge at level 10, yet here it was at level 8. Nevertheless, he pondered, isn't this crawling ability rather useless? He then queried the system, why has a seemingly trivial talent like crawling appeared? What purpose does it serve? At a speed of 10 nautical miles, the turtle experiences no jostling while crawling, the system succinctly explained, before falling silent. Though Yichuan remained somewhat skeptical, he chose not to dwell on it further. With 6,000 evolution points still in hand, he allocated 4,000 points to the dolphin. The dolphin leaped out of the water, creating a tremendous splash. At first glance, it appeared to have grown to nearly 8 to 1, 9 meters in length. Looking remarkably robust, truly a formidable champion of the sea. Yichuan promptly accessed the information panel of the dolphin. Name, Dolphin Friendliness, 100 level, 8 evolution value, 04500 skills. Sonic Disruption, Beginner. Absolute Impact, Beginner, Talent. Deep Dive, 1200 meters. Note, Absolute Impact allows the dolphin to strike with its head, delivering a force equivalent to a collision of 1,200 pounds. Sonic Disruption can launch sound wave attacks against all entities within a 50-meter radius, hindering their actions. Similar to last time, the Deep Dive ability has increased by 300 meters. The striking power has augmented by 300 pounds, and the range of Sonic Disruption has expanded by 30 meters compared to the previous 20 meters. Although no new skills or talents have emerged, the enhancements to the existing abilities suggest that even against B-grade marine creatures, the dolphin might possess sufficient combat prowess to hold its own without my intervention. Level upgrade complete. Congratulations. The contract beast has ascended to level 8 and received an upgrade gift package. Would you like to open it? Lost in thought, the system's voice echoed in his mind. Open. Yichuan replied. Opening upgrade gift package, please wait a moment. Congratulations, you have received 1,000 growth points, 10 corn pancakes, 4 A-grade citrus fruits, and 1 island area expansion card. Yet another island area expansion card. Yichuan was taken aback, but quickly smirked, realizing this item held significant value for others, yet was utterly inconsequential for him. However, the pancakes were certainly more delectable than steamed buns. And with the addition of A-grade citrus fruits, Yichuan swiftly retrieved his manual juicer. Combining it with the previously acquired citrus, he extracted over 1,000 milliliters of fresh citrus juice. Taking a sip, he relished the exquisite sweetness and refreshing sensation, undoubtedly a result of the A-grade citrus. Yichuan couldn't help but smile broadly, then distributed 100 milliliters of the citrus juice to each of the 7 companions. Freshly squeezed citrus juice, it's delightful. Everyone should have a taste. Wow, you even have a juicer. The little flying dragon exclaimed incredulously. What is so surprising about that? It's just a juicer. Yichuan replied nonchalantly, subsequently trading the island area expansion card to him. This card is a gift for you. Go ahead and use it. What is this island area expansion card? The little flying dragon inquired suspiciously. Once used, it will increase your island's area by 500 square meters, Yichuan explained. Wow, such a wonderful item. The little flying dragon was immediately elated. My island is only over 800 square meters. If it increases by 500 square meters, it's like you've gifted me half of my current area. Boss, I absolutely adore you. Clearly, clinging to your coattails was the wisest choice. I'll be waking up laughing in my dreams tonight. Ha ha. Don't celebrate too soon. The additional area might comprise forests or small hills, and there could be various creatures lurking within those woods, Yichuan cautioned. So be careful. If venomous snakes appear, they may not kill you, but you should still be wary. I must express my gratitude to you, haha. After sending a few playful kisses, the little dragon vanished, presumably to utilize that card. Yichuan replied briefly to a few others before promptly summoning the dolphin. My dear dolphin, dive to your utmost depth and investigate whether there are any mineral deposits nearby. Akin to the last time. The dolphin nodded at Yichuan and swiftly plunged into the sea, quickly disappearing from sight. Yichuan furrowed his brow, surveying his surroundings. He had just noticed that fragments of ice had emerged on the surface of the water. It was estimated to be around -10 degrees now. Clearly, the seawater was on the verge of freezing. Yichuan hurried back to check the public chat room, discovering that others were also discussing this matter. Has everyone noticed? I've observed ice formations around my island. Does this not signify that the surface of the sea is soon to freeze? While I was retrieving supply boxes, I noticed the same. It seems we will soon be able to walk on the ice. What use is walking on the ice? Let us not forget. Once the seawater freezes, the supply boxes will no longer drift, making our search for resources exponentially more challenging. Even if we find them embedded in the ice. Do you think we can retrieve them? This ocean survival challenge is already hellishly difficult, and now the stakes have risen even higher. We may not survive the novice phase, let alone seek mineral resources. The poorest resort to begging. If we endure, we will eventually prevail. Let us persevere. Yichuan promptly messaged a few individuals. The freezing of the sea surface seems inevitable, even if it does freeze. I advise everyone to refrain from venturing onto the ice for the time being to avoid unforeseen risks. I've seen the messages in the public chat room. I can hardly believe that this ocean survival challenge would be so arduous. Zhao Feiyu declared gravely. If we cannot recover the supply boxes, a significant number of island owners may face demise. Do not dwell on such thoughts. As long as we can survive until the end, that is worth more than anything. Yichuan reassured. As a member of the team, you should be indifferent to such setbacks, correct? A trivial matter. Zhao Feiyu replied with a wry smile. Though he felt the journey ahead would only grow more arduous, he feigned a light-hearted demeanor. Suddenly, while they were conversing, a sharp sound pierced the air, seemingly indicating that a colossal entity had surged forth from the ocean's depths. Yichuan vaguely perceived that the dolphin had returned and immediately rushed outside. Chapter 79. Is there someone in the sea? The dolphin stood atop the water's surface, a battered trident resting on the shore. Yichuan frowned slightly. This broken trident had a diameter of approximately 4 centimeters and a length of 1.5 meters. Attempting to lift it, he found it surprisingly heavy, weighing at least 100 pounds. Although this weight was trivial for Yichuan's current strength, the absence of an island in this location, coupled with the fact that it was a novice area, raised questions about how a broken trident could have appeared on the seabed. Or rather, after the unforeseen changes in this marine survival scenario, everything began to unfold in an inscrutable direction, and there emerged creatures from the depths capable of wielding weapons. Yichuan could not help but feel a tightening in his chest, promptly inquiring in a low voice, "System, who is the wielder of this weapon?" The trident. weighing a complete 170 pounds, possesses boundless power, yet the identity of its user remains unknown. The system provided a direct answer. However, Yichuan did not perceive this as mere coincidence. He immediately questioned the dolphin. "My dear dolphin, is this the only broken trident on the seabed? Or is there something else?" Upon hearing this, the dolphin dove headlong into the ocean, quickly vanishing from sight. Yichuan hastily returned to his room and sent a message in the public chatroom. "Friends, have any of you spotted anyone or anything suspicious on the surface of the sea?" What a bizarre question. Who would be on the surface of the sea? A corpse, perhaps? To be honest, a few nights ago, while relieving myself by the shore, I saw a human head, merely 7 or 8 meters away from me, staring directly at me. It startled me so much that when I intended to take a closer look, I found nothing. Was it merely my imagination? Can we refrain from sharing such terrifying stories? I'm a girl, and I am scared. Come on, we are not children anymore. What is there to fear? We are all atheists here. Whether it's a boy's or a girl's imagination, if it's a girl, I would catch her with a fishing net. And from that moment on, we would love each other, shamelessly, haha. Goodness, brother, your speed is too fast. This is hardly a vehicle suited for kindergarten. Watching the chatroom spiral into chaos once more, Yichuan shook his head in exasperation. Nevertheless, he did glean a valuable piece of information. Someone had indeed seen a human head rise above the surface, indicating that humans, or perhaps a closely related species, might still inhabit the ocean. Analyzing this further, Yichuan broke into a cold sweat, considering the weapons wielded by these beings. They could be described as possessing immense strength. If just one or two were to appear, it could be manageable, but if they were to emerge in swarms, what difference would it make for the island owners compared to being lambs led to slaughter? Yet, on a brighter note, the freezing of the sea surface could be seen as good news. After some contemplation, Yichuan promptly traded the damaged trident to Zhao Feiyu. Startling him, "What on earth is this?" "Retrieved from the seabed, I suspect there are still humans surviving in the ocean," Yichuan stated bluntly. "We must exercise utmost caution now. Even during the night, we should remain vigilant to avoid any unforeseen problems. We may not have the luxury of time to respond." The notion of humans surviving in the ocean. Zhao Feiyu felt a jolt of shock at this revelation. Could it be them? During the training with those 7 island owners, Zhao Feiyu had heard one of them recount an experience related to the inhabitants of the sea. However, according to his account, these individuals resided in a forbidden expanse of the ocean. Although they could emerge and attack humans, it was absolutely impossible for them to appear in the novice zone. However, Yichuan could not act recklessly. He knew he must exercise caution. "By the way, do you possess any formidable combat techniques that you could impart to me?" Yichuan inquired further. At present, while his strength and speed had far surpassed that of ordinary individuals, he lacked any martial arts training. Though one might prevail with sheer luck against a master, encountering a true expert could prove disastrous. In the military, we typically study military boxing, but among us, we are the elite, focusing on combat skills, Zhao Feiyu immediately replied. This system consists of 18 movements, which can be arranged in various combinations, allowing for both offensive and defensive maneuvers. I will sketch this set of techniques for you in the next couple of days, and you can practice them during your leisure time. No problem, I will fetch some paper and pencils. Upon hearing this, Yichuan promptly utilized a paper-making machine to produce a thick stack of A4 paper. Additionally, during a previous exchange of rare items, he had received 2 pencils, which were now fortuitously useful, and he traded them to Zhao Feiyu. Regarding the matter of marine species, Yichuan did not intend to disclose this information to Lu Yi and the other 6. Their combat abilities were rather inadequate, and in a dire situation, they would likely find themselves facing certain doom. Informing them might only incite unnecessary fear and anxiety. Ignorance was preferable. At that moment, a dolphin erupted from the sea, expelling a massive tail fin. This fin was over a meter long, with a forked section approximately 30 centimeters wide, adorned with well-developed muscles. It was the first time Yichuan had encountered such a fin. It bore little resemblance to that of a fish, more akin to the tail of a mermaid. An imaginative scenario unfolded in Yichuan's mind. A mermaid, due to some circumstance, clashed with another mermaid, resulting in a fierce underwater battle, where one was ultimately defeated, with her body pierced through, and even her trident shattered in 2. Of course, this was merely a conjecture. The true nature of the event remained shrouded in mystery. As noon approached, Yichuan entered the greenhouse and harvested over 30 plump, crimson strawberries. Over the past few days, the strawberry plants had multiplied by 5 or 6, suggesting that in the near future, he would be able to gather an even greater bounty. Unfortunately, these strawberries lacked any grading. They were merely sweeter than those found on Earth. Yichuan then grilled several sea fish on a barbecue rack, distributing 1 fish and 3 strawberries to each person. While enjoying their meal, they glanced at the messages in the public chat room. Unbelievable. Today, I fished out a supply box that contained 3 red dates, and they were classified as B grade. Why do you think these dates have a grade? Perhaps they are categorized by quality, much like tea, which is also divided into 3 grades, upper, middle, and lower. I just had one, and this B grade date is both sweet and sticky, and after eating it, I felt a gentle warmth envelop me. Overall, it was a delightful experience. Could it be that fruits are graded, and consuming them brings about certain benefits? I once had an A-grade apple. As the conversation among the crowd reached a fervent peak, one individual's speech instantly captured everyone's attention. Yichuan couldn't help but glance at the speaker, who turned out to be Wang Sanrui. Chapter 80, Food with Levels? This lad has actually tasted an A-grade apple? Surprised yet solemn, Yichuan realized that despite having a system at his disposal, he could not claim to be the most fortunate. In this vast oceanic world, there surely exist others as lucky as himself, perhaps even more so. It seemed he ought to temper his pride and complacency. Wang Sanrui, in an instant, became the focal point for the crowd. Esteemed one, what is an A-grade apple like? Is it exceptionally large and sweet? Esteemed one, could you share how you acquired this A-grade apple? Was it from a supply box? Alas, I have yet to even lay eyes on such fruit. While this esteemed individual has already indulged in high-level sustenance, will we soon be divided into ranks of 3, 6, and 9? I believe everyone has the potential to obtain a graded apple. It's merely a matter of unequal opportunity. Perhaps in the next supply box, we too shall procure one. Oh dear, do you not fear that such grandiose claims might trip you up? Graded items are rare and elusive. A-grade fruits not only cure many mild ailments, but also enhance physical strength. Wang Sanrui continued, for instance, if your usual strength is 50 pounds, consuming an A-grade fruit could elevate your strength to 70 or even 80 pounds. I possess several graded fruits. You may become my subordinate island lords, and I shall distribute them at my discretion. Upon hearing this, Yichuan shook his head. Wang Sanrui had evidently nothing better to do than recruit subordinate island lords. Did he not realize that being overly ostentatious is not always advantageous? After lunch, Yichuan exited his room, inhaling the moist, crisp air, and cast his gaze towards the woods. Tomorrow morning, the forest would undergo further evolution, possibly revealing large creatures. Should he venture in now for a preliminary exploration? Last time, his investigation was interrupted by that wild chicken. Yes, today he would explore the little grove. With a plan in mind, Yichuan called to his 3 companions and headed towards the woods. Passing by an uncovered flower bed, he was taken aback by an unknown tree species that had grown approximately 13 or 14 meters tall. This tree stood straight at about 13 or 14 meters. With a diameter of roughly 3 centimeters, its smooth bark extending up to 12 meters high, adorned with merely 5 or 6 leaves at the top. No other distinguishing features. What kind of tree are you? How much taller will you grow? Yichuan sighed helplessly, gently caressing the trunk before striding into the woods. Compared to the outside, the forest seemed somewhat warmer. The continuous chirping of birds accompanied by the occasional rustling sounds created a subtle sense of oppression. With the crossbow firmly in hand, the 3 little companions formed a protective triangle around Yichuan. Yichuan, equally vigilant, observed his surroundings with keen awareness. Moments later, a gray shadow darted from a thicket, resembling an arrow released from a bow, speeding away into the distance. A wild hare. Yichuan's expression shifted, and he swiftly raised his hand, unleashing 12 bolts that shot forth. However, the hare proved to be exceptionally cunning, despite Yichuan's rapid reflexes. Every single bolt missed its mark as the hare skillfully evaded capture. Fortune and prosperity await. Let us catch it, Yichuan exclaimed with a grin. The 3 little creatures, though rulers of the skies, raced through the forest with remarkable speed. As S-class pets, their intelligence surpassed that of ordinary animals, and their teamwork was seamless. They pursued the hare, weaving through the trees, and soon cornered it towards Yichuan. As they closed in, the hare, now perilously close to colliding with Yichuan, abruptly changed direction and leapt into the air. Thud! It collided forcefully with a tree, rolling over with glazed eyes. It was dead. Incredible! Yichuan gazed in disbelief at the hare, pondering if this was the legendary spirit of defiance and death. Nevertheless, this fortunate turn of events saved him the effort. He promptly lifted the hare, astonished to find it weighed nearly 10 pounds, ample enough to feed 8 people. Ah, dinner is secured. Yichuan quickly processed the hare, which still weighed around 8 pounds after preparation. Scanning the woods, he believed more hares could be lurking, but one was sufficient for now. After temporarily placing the hare on a multifunctional grill, he proceeded to the turtle shell summit, where he opened the accumulated supply boxes. To his astonishment, he discovered 3 B-grade hawthorns among the loot. It seemed that from now on, the supply boxes would yield more items of varying grades. Likely, B and C grades would be common, while the grades would be exceedingly rare, perhaps 1 in 10,000. He consumed the 3 B-grade hawthorns and then made his way to the S-grade water purifier, which had converted approximately 50 milliliters by this time. Rubbing his hands together, he eagerly took a sip. A warm sensation flowed from his throat to his stomach, quickly radiating throughout his body, as if it permeated every limb and sinew. The indescribable comfort caused Yichuan to become blissfully dazed, slowly sinking onto a nearby spot, taking a full 7 or 8 minutes to fully recover. Indeed, the effects of the S-grade water surpassed those of A-grade by more than threefold. It was hard to fathom the strength he would possess if he consumed such S-grade water daily. Just the thought filled him with joy. As the night descended and the temperature once again dipped, Yichuan's body remained as fervent as a furnace. He commenced grilling rabbit meat on a barbecue, while simultaneously visiting the sheep pen to extract several pounds of sheep's milk. He boiled it in a large pot and distributed portions of both the rabbit and milk among the 7 companions, reserving a modest 2 pounds of rabbit meat and 500 milliliters of sheep's milk for himself. As he dined, he listened to the radio and perused the public chatroom. Throughout the afternoon, the conversation lingered on the topic of graded food. Liang Hongying also sent a private message to Yichuan. I noticed they are discussing the grading of food. Have you ever opened any? Not only have I opened such things, but I have also procured an A-grade item, which you have tasted. Yichuan replied, somewhat irked. Can't you tell? What? Upon hearing this, Liang Hongying's expression shifted, disbelief etched across her face. Chapter 81, Friday. In retrospect, she indeed felt a warm sensation in her belly after consuming the orange juice, and her overall comfort had significantly improved. After much ado, that was A-grade orange juice. Yichuan had actually shared A-grade fruit with her. Was this an attempt to win her favor? Yes, undoubtedly. After losing a bet and becoming his subordinate island lord, he was undoubtedly seeking to win her heart, sparing no expense. Surely, in a few days, his true nature would reveal itself. With this thought, Liang Hongying felt a sense of relief, choosing to disregard Yichuan. Yichuan, in turn, was disinclined to explain himself to her. He continued to examine the public chatroom's records, pondering the collection of useful information. Indeed, I opened a supply box today and retrieved a C-grade apple. I did feel some benefits from it. I am far superior. I opened a B-grade orange, and each bite was bursting with sweetness. I still crave it. Having opened numerous supply boxes previously without encountering graded items, the recent abundance raised questions. Did it herald significant events? Who cares about that? This ocean survival challenge is more arduous than hell itself. Merely surviving is a miracle. Why ponder further? True enough, our greatest aspiration now is simply to endure. Regarding the graded food, no one could elucidate the matter clearly. Yet, Yichuan shared the sentiment. Though this ocean survival had undergone considerable transformation due to certain circumstances, the rules of this oceanic realm seemed to offer some form of welfare to island lords, aiding novice island lords in their survival. But what would transpire next was a matter left to fate. After observing the public chatroom for a while, without uncovering any useful information, Yichuan listened to the radio for a bit before opting for slumber. Brother, I promised to dance for you in my revealing outfit. Now, I shall fulfill my promise. Blueberry Jam said, casting a shy glance at Yichuan, her body beginning to sway. Yichuan, do you think I look beautiful in this attire? Lu Yi's face flushed as she gazed intently at Yichuan, teasingly suggesting that perhaps he preferred her in a state of undress. Suddenly, a chilling voice pierced the silence. Startling Yichuan awake, detected that the host has not yet checked in. Would you like to do so? In a moment of shock, Yichuan's eyes flew open. What the heck? Was this merely a dream? This dream was indeed rather risque, but alas, it was abruptly interrupted by the system. Otherwise, shaking his head to dispel the remnants of slumber, Yichuan lazily stretched and declared, Check-in. Check-in successful. Congratulations, host, you have received 1,000 evolution points, a tool assistant, and a feather fragment. Note, 3 feather fragments can be exchanged for an angel feather, which may lead to unexpected occurrences. A tool assistant? Yichuan was taken aback, immediately glancing at his inventory. Indeed, a humanoid figure had materialized, entirely encased in metal, a robot. Without hesitation, Yichuan summoned the tool assistant. At first glance, it appeared indistinguishable from a human, equipped with a plethora of expressions. Were it not for the metallic lower half, one might mistake it for a dashing young man radiating charisma. System, what is the function of this tool assistant? Yichuan inquired, puzzled. It is a robot designed to assist the host with various plant management tasks. The system replied succinctly. Equipped with a super battery. Simply activating the tool assistant will yield unexpected surprises. Oh, so it's a robot trained in agricultural management. Yichuan understood at last. After a brief search, he discovered the switch in a rather concealed location and promptly activated it. System initializing, please wait. A voice, devoid of any emotional nuance, resonated as the tool assistant blinked its eyes, displaying a myriad of facial expressions. After a series of rigid movements, it finally assumed a demeanor indistinguishable from that of a human. Greetings, master. What exactly can you do? Yichuan asked, circling the tool assistant. I can manage all your plant needs. The assistant replied promptly. By analyzing various plants, I will formulate tailored care plans. Then you must know how to water them, right? Yichuan pressed eagerly. Yes, master. I can autonomously locate freshwater resources and irrigate according to each plant's hydration requirements. The tool assistant responded. Please, refrain from calling me master. It feels awkward. From now on, refer to me as boss. Yichuan stated, adding, I shall also give you a name. You will be called Friday. Understood, boss. The tool assistant replied enthusiastically. Fantastic. With your presence, I shall no longer need to tend to those plants myself. Yichuan exclaimed joyfully. Indeed, the system truly understood him. Bestowing upon him such a treasure, what a delight. By the way, Yichuan suddenly had a thought and approached an unfamiliar plant, asking Friday, since you are knowledgeable about all plants, do you recognize this one? I do not know this particular specimen. However, I am familiar with all other flora on this island. On Friday, he confidently declared his ability to name all plants, their living habits, and cultivation methods. Stop right there. Yichuan interjected, feeling a sudden headache. Just take care of the plants in this flower bed, and remember to cut the magical grass daily and toss it into the feed trough. Understood, boss. Friday promptly responded. Reveling in the liberating sensation, Yichuan smiled to himself as he observed Friday busily attending to the tasks. He was about to head back to prepare breakfast when he heard the system's voice once more. Island upgrade complete. Congratulations, host. Your island has been upgraded to level 7. And you have received an upgrade gift package. Would you like to open it? Island upgrade complete. Congratulations, host. Your island has been upgraded to level 8. And you have received an upgrade gift package. Would you like to open it? What does this mean? Yichuan was taken aback. The last time the turtle upgraded to level 7, he had been so engrossed in exploring the evolved forest and hills that he completely forgot to open the upgrade package. Now, with the turtle having reached level 8, the system was reminding him again. How careless of me. I was so caught up in excitement that I forgot the essential matters. If it weren't for the system's reminder, I would have missed the level 7 upgrade package. He slapped his forehead and declared, Open it. Opening. Congratulations, host. You have received 2,000 growth points for A-grade apples, 5 small nutrient solutions, and 1 trendy outfit blueprint. Congratulations, host. You have received 2,000 growth points for A-grade bananas, 5 small nutrient solutions, and 1 diving suit blueprint. Chapter 82. Fierce Battle with Wild Boars. A trendy outfit? A diving suit? In this chilly weather, the last reward was a super warm outfit. And this time it was merely a trendy outfit? However, Yichuan quickly realized that this was likely not for him, but rather for Friday. After all, this little fellow had always been in a state of undress, and he was even larger than Yichuan. It wouldn't do to face a naked robot daily. Thus, Yichuan promptly crafted the trendy outfit and dressed Friday in it. Though Friday was merely a robot, once clad in clothing that covered its metallic surface, complete with a surprisingly expressive face, it appeared quite dashing. He tossed all 10 small nutrient solutions to Friday and, for the moment, set aside the diving suit blueprint. Making his way to the small forest, he had initially overlooked it, but now, upon seeing the forest, he was truly astonished. What was once around 1,000 square meters of forest had expanded to approximately 2,000 square meters, with the island's area reaching 8,000 square meters. The tallest trees towered over 30 meters high, likely requiring 4 people to encircle them. Being morning, the cheerful chirping of birds filled the air. And even from 100 meters away, one could spot birds flitting about, carefree and joyous. Yichuan whistled, and the 3 little ones immediately sprinted over. With a smile, he looked at them and softly said, Let us venture into the forest and see how it has changed. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The 3 small creatures incessantly called out to Yichuan, racing ahead and dashing into the woods. The ground of the forest was partially adorned with tender grass, interspersed with patches of earthy soil and uneven stones. In the shaded areas behind some of the towering trees, vibrant green moss had surprisingly taken root. It is hard to fathom how this woodland, in an environment nearly 10 degrees below zero, managed to flourish with such verdant foliage. The entire forest remained relatively tranquil, with a few small animals making occasional appearances. However, after traversing approximately 30 meters, the three small creatures suddenly began to bark anxiously, retreating while forming a protective stance around Yichuan. A wave of tension washed over Yichuan as he swiftly drew his crossbow, his expression serious as he gazed intently ahead. Moments later, a large, dark figure burst forth from the underbrush, prompting Yichuan to furrow his brow. It was a wild boar, and a mature one at that. Yichuan was taken aback, struggling to comprehend the presence of such a formidable creature in this newly evolved forest. This animal was notoriously aggressive, and the boar before him likely weighed between 600 to 700 pounds, its long tusks measuring over 10 centimeters. Its small eyes had already locked onto Yichuan, emitting a series of grunting sounds. Well then, even if you do not seek trouble with me, I must deal with you. Yichuan chuckled slyly, beckoning the boar with a gesture. During this period, he had been cooking with fish oil, which, to be frank, lacked flavor and was ill-suited for culinary purposes. This hefty creature appeared rather plump, and Yichuan estimated it might yield at least a dozen pounds of rich meat. The boar, perceiving Yichuan's taunt as an affront, bellowed loudly before charging directly at him. Engage! Yichuan shouted, unleashing a volley of 12 crossbow bolts. To his astonishment, the bolts merely ricocheted off the boar's tough hide, confirming its formidable resilience. At that moment, the three small creatures had taken to the air, their sharp claws digging into the boar's bristly fur in an attempt to subdue it. Alas, the boar's weight was overwhelming, even in unison. The three could only manage to lift a little over 300 pounds, which paled in comparison to the behemoth before them. Fueled by rage, the boar disregarded the small creature's efforts, its speed slightly diminished, yet still closing the distance that had once been a mere 10 meters, now bearing down on Yichuan. Come at me, Yichuan called out, brandishing his mountain cleaver and leaping forward to deliver a powerful blow to the boar's head. With a resounding thud, the cleaver sank nearly 3 centimeters into the boar's skull. However, the tremendous force of the impact sent Yichuan staggering back, causing him to fall to the ground. He quickly regained his footing and retreated 5 or 6 meters, bracing himself against a tree. Enraged, the boar's eyes turned a fierce crimson as it let out a furious roar, once again charging toward Yichuan with the intent to obliterate him. Yichuan let out a cold snort, leaping high to evade the savage charge of the wild boar. The unfortunate creature collided directly with a tree, uprooting a trunk of over 20 centimeters in diameter. Come on, Yichuan shouted, clenching his fist, and as he descended, he delivered a powerful blow to the boar's head. The creature let out a muffled grunt, staggering backward for 5 or 6 meters before collapsing to the ground with a thud, lifeless. Could I truly slay a wild boar with a single punch? Staring in astonishment at his own fist, Yichuan felt a surge of surprise. After all, he currently possessed half the strength of a sea turtle and had been consuming A-grade freshwater and A-grade goat milk, resulting in a terrifying enhancement of his physical prowess. Perhaps he could even fell a bison. What a remarkable harvest! Gazing at the fallen boar, Yichuan couldn't help but chuckle heartily, then grasped one of its legs and strode out of the woods. Without hesitation, he promptly gutted the boar, extracting all the fat before separating the remaining meat from the bones. Once everything was properly prepared, he placed it all into the refrigerator. Regardless of the circumstances, those ribs were destined for his dinner. At that moment, Yichuan cleaned a large pot, added 100 milliliters of fresh water, and tossed in thick slices of fat, beginning the process of rendering lard. This was the most primitive method of lard extraction in the Great Huan Nation, requiring a gentle simmer over low heat, allowing time to gradually extract all the fat from the meat. This process must not be rushed. If the fat were to burn, the oil would turn bitter. After about half an hour, Yichuan had rendered a large pot of lard, which he promptly poured into a container crafted from stone, yielding approximately 7 liters. At this temperature, once the lard cooled, it would solidify into a white substance. He decided to store 2/3 of it in the refrigerator temporarily, reserving the remaining third for daily cooking, which he estimated would last over a month. Seeing that it was only around 10 o'clock, Yichuan couldn't help but grin. He immediately took out 2 pig bones and a pork chop, chopped them up with a cleaver, and tossed them into the large pot to begin stewing the ribs. Meanwhile, he turned his attention to the crafting of a diving suit. Chapter 83. First Dive, Capturing Tuna. The creation of the diving suit required a diving suit blueprint. 1 shark skin, 10 pieces of fabric, and 2 pieces of glass. Shark skin was necessary, though he was unsure of its purpose. It was fortuitous that he had not discarded the shark skin after processing the shark. Who would have thought it would prove useful here? With that realization, Yichuan swiftly crafted the diving suit. This suit was a light red color adorned with faint flame-like patterns, remarkably thin, and featured moderately sized fins on the feet. With over an hour still remaining until the ribs were fully cooked, Yichuan seized the moment and donned the diving suit. The ensemble of attire fits the body snugly, enveloping it entirely, save for two nearly transparent lenses at the eye region. To Yichuan's delight, it is equipped with an oxygen reservoir, providing him with 15 minutes of breathable air underwater. For Yichuan, this is more than sufficient. He tentatively tested the water temperature and was pleasantly surprised. Perhaps due to the shark skin, it remarkably insulated against the chill. Without hesitation, Yichuan plunged into the depths, soon discovering that the ocean's waters were astonishingly clear, with visibility extending at least 20 meters. Even upon his descent, he could observe the fish below, gracefully weaving through the water. Calling out to a dolphin, he dove deeper into the sea, propelled by the knowledge that he had 15 minutes of oxygen, and with his current physical condition, he could hold his breath for about 5 minutes. Thus, descending for 10 minutes posed no concern. After all, with a dolphin safeguarding him, any potential dangers would surely be signaled in advance. As he ventured deeper, Yichuan encountered an array of fish, some of which approached him curiously, swimming around him in an endearing manner. He descended over 100 meters without encountering any large sea creatures, the largest being a bluefin tuna, approximately 1.8 meters long and weighing around 200 pounds. In the current context of Blue Star, this would fetch a substantial price, ideal for sashimi. Exquisite indeed. Without hesitation, Yichuan retrieved his crossbow and aimed at the bluefin tuna, launching a swift and sharp bolt that struck the fish's head. Even in the water, the projectile was quick and precise. 3 bolts found their mark. To his surprise, the tuna attempted to struggle, but a swift impact from the dolphin rendered it unconscious. Thus, with Yichuan kicking his legs, the dolphin nudged the tuna, and together they surged to the surface, returning to the shore. This truly was a remarkable catch. In the future, he could indulge in the pleasure of fresh sashimi, a delightful way to refine one's palate. As Yichuan removed his diving suit, he mused to himself and immediately began to process the bluefin tuna. Fortunately, he had previously seen a report on the handling of bluefin tuna, so he was somewhat knowledgeable about the procedure. Nevertheless, he estimated a considerable amount was wasted, ultimately yielding around 100 pounds of fish meat, which he promptly stored in his system's inventory. This delicacy typically requires flash freezing, a luxury not yet attainable on the island. Thus, he could only preserve it through vacuum sealing. However, this diving experience was invaluable for Yichuan. Even after departing from the island, he would be capable of sustaining himself in the ocean for a time. After all, the diving suit's oxygen supply replenishes automatically when exposed to air, making it a veritable marvel among diving gear. After resting for a while and checking on the work situation for Friday, he noted that it was nearly noon. The pork ribs had been simmering for an hour and a half. Although the seasoning was limited, a sprinkle of salt revealed an enticing aroma of savory ribs. At present, Yichuan promptly divided the bounty into 7 portions, each consisting of 15 ribs, and a large bowl of rib soup was traded to Lu Yi and the other 6 individuals. Lu Yi couldn't help but feel a tinge of astonishment. Is this really rib? Pork ribs? Indeed, it had been quite a while since he had savored ribs. Hadn't it? Yichuan wore a smug expression. Not just a while. It has been nearly 2 months since I last had any. Lu Yi excitedly replied. I never dared to dream that I would be able to eat this during survival in the ocean, and with so much meat, I might end up gaining weight. You are so thin. This is just what you need to replenish yourself. Yichuan replied directly. How do you know I am thin? Did you know me before entering the oceanic world? Lu Yi asked in surprise. Didn't that impersonator of Yichuan say you were the school beauty? In my impression, school beauties are typically very slender. Yichuan paused, quickly explaining, never mind that. Let us hurry and eat the ribs before they get cold. All right, Lu Yi responded. Yet there was a hint of melancholy in his demeanor. Gazing at the large bowl of ribs before him, he softly murmured, if only you were Yichuan. Are you? The others also displayed varying degrees of excitement, but Zhao Feiyu expressed some skepticism, asking, you even raised pigs? No, the forest on my island is quite expansive. I discovered a wild boar when I ventured inside and managed to take it down, Yichuan explained. You actually managed to kill a wild boar? Zhao Feiyu asked in shock. It's worth noting that an adult wild boar is not something one would dare confront head-on. Yet Yichuan had managed to defeat one. Truly, this fellow defied all common sense. It was merely a fortunate encounter, and I had a few pets assisting me. Yichuan boasted. Even a wild boar may be fierce, but I am not to be trifled with. Still, one must remain cautious. Zhao Feiyu replied. I should have my combat skills drawn up by tomorrow. which will undoubtedly enhance your battle prowess. All right, no need to rush. Let us eat first. Yichuan concluded, observing that there was still more than 1,000 milliliters of rib soup left in the pot. He promptly placed it on the shelf. 100 milliliters rib soup, rare item. Subsequently, Yichuan began to enjoy the ribs while perusing the messages in the public chat room. At that moment, the island masters were enviously discussing the items they had put up for trade. Did you all see the trading interface? A big shot is actually selling rib soup and ribs. How did he acquire them? It certainly wasn't he from opening chests. Otherwise, after opening over 30 supply boxes, I would have found some by now. Perhaps there are wild boars in the woods on his island? You're also impressive. You've opened over 30 supply boxes. Amazing. The real marvel is that he's eating ribs while I'm still fretting over my next meal. TMD. I even have a crafting blueprint. I'm going to trade for some rib soup. The island masters continued their lively discussion, and private messages began to chime in. Upon noticing one particular message, Yichuan's interest was piqued. Chapter 84. Hatching chicks, more weapons. Brother, I possess a USB drive. Might it be utilized for trading? In this private conversation, Yichuan's first thought was of his grand television, which seemingly had a USB port, though he was uncertain of the contents within the drive. With this in mind, Yichuan promptly responded, what is on the USB drive? I am quite unaware. I stumbled upon it while opening a supply box. The other party sent a resigned expression, to which he remarked, indeed, in the vast ocean, with no one using a computer, what use is a USB drive? Nevertheless, it is a fine item, and I shall keep it for collection. Yichuan replied directly, yet this trinket serves little purpose. It merely grants you 100 milliliters of rib soup, but the ribs themselves shall not be provided. That is quite all right. Thank you, brother. The counterpart immediately listed the USB drive, and Yichuan nonchalantly completed the transaction. Subsequently, Yichuan swiftly connected the USB drive to the television and turned it on. To his delight, it functioned perfectly. Using the remote control, he navigated to the USB drive. And in a moment of excitement, he nearly fainted. Movies. There were over 1,000 domestic and international action films and comedies, and even a dozen of Guo Xiaozhang's comedic performances. My goodness, what a treasure! Yichuan exclaimed, genuinely astonished that someone would part with such a gem. Although the television had no signal at present, watching these cinematic masterpieces would certainly stave off boredom. At that moment, Yichuan opened one of Guo Xiaozhang's performances, enjoying it while savoring the remaining pieces of rib and the accompanying soup, all the while trading for items he deemed useful. After lunch, Yichuan suddenly recalled that he had not collected eggs for several days. Surely, he had accumulated quite a few by now. He hurried to the chicken coop, only to find a hen nestled in the nesting box, refusing to budge even as he approached, and attempting to flap her wings at him. Yichuan furrowed his brow. Oh, you old hen, emboldened by your rooster, dare to strike at your master? With that, he scooped up the hen and tossed her aside, revealing 6 eggs nestled within the nest. Yichuan chuckled, just as he was about to retrieve them. When the system suddenly chimed, fertile eggs, the hen can hatch chicks. The host may choose to consume them directly or allow the hen to incubate them. No wonder. Yichuan realized the reason behind the hen's unusual behavior. She was in the process of hatching chicks, and he had erred. He then spoke gently. My apologies for interrupting your incubation. Please continue, and may you lay a few more eggs, striving for more chicks. The hen merely regarded Yichuan, bobbing her head as she returned to her nest, leaving him to wonder if she had understood his words. With a mischievous glance at the hen, Yichuan turned to leave, estimating that within a few days, the chicks would likely hatch, granting him complete freedom over chicken meat and eggs. Surveying the island, Yichuan found nothing amiss for the time being. He proceeded to extract some goat's milk, brewed it to perfection, and poured himself a generous cup before retreating to his room. There, he selected a blockbuster film and settled in to watch leisurely. As night fell, Yichuan rose, stretching languidly, and took out some tuna, meticulously preparing 8 servings of sashimi, ensuring his portion was double that of the others before he distributed the rest among the 7. Sashimi? Exclaimed Blueberry Jam, her surprise evident. This is bluefin tuna, the pinnacle of sashimi. Yichuan replied with a smug expression, have you tried it? I've had sashimi before, sweet and tender, but I've never had bluefin tuna, though I've certainly heard of it. Blueberry Jam exclaimed with excitement. Brother, you are truly wonderful. You are my subordinate island lord, and I am, in essence, an investor. Yichuan responded, when I begin to search for mining resources and rake in substantial profits, I shall be waiting at home to collect my earnings. Absolutely. Blueberry Jam replied without hesitation. My mineral resources will certainly yield at least half for you. This is my promise to you, Blueberry Jam. Good. Yichuan replied, a smile creeping onto his face. However, he remained somewhat puzzled about the woman's identity. She could not merely be a multi-million follower internet celebrity. What secrets lay hidden within her? Yet, Yichuan was not in a rush. Believing that when the time was right, Blueberry Jam would reveal all. He then divided each banana into thirds and distributed a share to each of the 7, reminding them, "Remember to enjoy dessert after your meal, and then have a good night's sleep. Are you bribing me?" Liang Hongying could not contain herself any longer. She was incredulous. This man had a different meal each time, and without exception, each was more sumptuous than the last. How utterly astonishing. "I'm merely investing, and every one of my subordinate island lords will receive a share." Yichuan promptly clarified, "I may not be a good person, but I am generous to my own." "Let us hope so," Liang Hongying replied, after which she fell silent. Yichuan paid her little mind, savoring the exquisite, tender sashimi while switching the interface to the public chat room. Another day has passed, and yet another day of hunger. I'm nearly out of the snow melt from a few days ago, alas. The temperature is simply too low. The sea water hovers around -6 or 7 degrees. Even the finest swimmers would freeze in such conditions. However, have you all noticed that the supply crates have increased significantly in number over the past few days? And the items within them have become rather peculiar? For instance, today I even found a stick. Are you an idiot? That's not just a stick. It's a weapon to defend yourself. Good grief, what am I defending against? I'm the only one on this island. There's not even a feathered creature around. This is quite the misallocation. Do not merely seek a transaction from me. I have yet to acquire any weapons, nor have I even unlocked the schematics for their manufacture. However, my need for arms coincides perfectly with your offerings. Observing the chat records of others, Yichuan furrowed his brow. Noticing that many had indeed procured weapons, a rather disconcerting revelation. Might this foretell that the denizens of the sea will soon emerge upon the shore? System. Who exactly are these inhabitants of the ocean, and when might they take action against the island? After a moment's contemplation, Yichuan promptly inquired. Silence ensued, indicating that the system was either disinclined to respond or that the arrival of the sea's denizens was still a distant prospect. "Brother, I have discovered someone." At that moment, a private message from Blueberry Jam left Yichuan momentarily speechless. "Someone has ventured onto your island." Yichuan quickly replied. "No, it is a corpse." Blueberry Jam clarified. "I can only refer to him as a human, yet he seems distinctly unhuman." "What do you mean? A person is a person. How can he not be human?" Yichuan inquired, perplexed. "One could say he resembles a mermaid, but he is male. Aren't mermaids typically female?" Blueberry Jam elaborated. "He must be over 6 feet tall. Remarkably robust, with a human upper body and below the waist, a vast fish tail, the fins exceptionally pronounced." "Is this a mermaid?" Yichuan's brow knitted tightly, suddenly realizing the identity of the owner of the broken harpoon. The existence of merfolk in this oceanic realm, a notion once relegated to legend. Yet upon reflection, with a system at his disposal and the vastness of the ocean world, what could possibly be absent from these waters? It seems that the island's lord had also witnessed the emergence of these merfolk from the sea. Contemplating further, Yichuan promptly asked, "Can you trade this entity to me?" "Unfortunately, I fear that is implausible." Blueberry Jam replied with an awkward emoji. "He is far too heavy for me to move. I stumbled upon him while stepping out to use the restroom, and it nearly caused me to faint." "Very well, since he is already deceased, he poses no threat. Do take some time to rest and sleep." Yichuan reassured her. "All right, with your words, I feel a surge of security." Blueberry Jam responded before retiring. Yichuan then turned to Zhao Feiyu, asking, "Have your instructors ever mentioned mermaids?" "Indeed, they have," Zhao Feiyu replied promptly. "These merfolk inhabit the outer seas and form a vast clan, commonly referred to as the Sea Tribe. They are formidable, having clashed with our fleets on several occasions, with casualties on both sides." "Why do you inquire about this all of a sudden?" "I have an affiliated island lord who has discovered a deceased merfolk," Yichuan replied. "That is impossible." Zhao Feiyu's expression shifted dramatically, and he responded instantly. "These merfolk are indeed powerful, and the rules of this oceanic realm do not permit them to enter the novice zones. Thus, our instructors did not elucidate the issue of merfolk." Yichuan let out a bitter laugh, speculating that for some reason, the merfolk had appeared in the novice area. He was uncertain about their numbers and whether they would pose a threat to them. "What is destined to be fate cannot be avoided," Zhao Feiyu scoffed, adopting a one-step-at-a-time approach. "Indeed," Yichuan replied, then reclined on his bed. The situation was becoming increasingly complex, shifting towards an unknown direction. Whether it was the colossal octopus they encountered at the outset or the merfolk now, both seemed to belong to the open sea. If that were the case, did it imply that the novice area would soon be connected to the open sea? The so-called 6-month novice period no longer seemed applicable in this world. Forget it. Forget it. Since we are here, we must adapt. As the survival in the ocean diverges more and more from the norm, we can only respond to change with constancy. Ultimately, Yichuan ceased to dwell on the matter, rising to drink a glass of water before drifting into slumber. By the time dawn broke the next day, Yichuan awakened naturally. Glancing at the time on his super tablet, he noted it was nearly 8 o'clock. Stretching lazily, he exclaimed, "Sign in. Sign in successful. Congratulations, host. You have received 1,000 evolution points, 200 kilograms of fertile black soil, and a feather fragment. Note: 3 feather fragments can be exchanged for an angel feather, which may lead to unexpected occurrences." To his surprise, he had received fertile black soil again, something he hadn't seen in quite some time. However, he needn't worry about it. He would leave it to Friday. Subsequently, Yichuan looked at the feather fragment and combined it with the other 2 to form an angel feather, clicking to use it while murmuring, "System. I have always felt that using the angel feather yields the same results as when it is not used. I haven't encountered any particularly fortunate events. This time, you must lend a hand and let me have some luck." He then took out a bucket of instant noodles, added 2 marinated eggs, and while sipping, he perused the public chat room. To his astonishment, Blueberry Jam had sent a trade request. Yichuan was taken aback, realizing that this girl had actually traded for the deceased merfolk. This revelation clarified something for him. It seemed that, apart from humans themselves, everything else was available for trade. "I thought you couldn't move it. How did you manage that?" Yichuan asked skeptically. "I couldn't move it, but I brought the super tablet next to this fellow." Blueberry Jam replied cheerfully, stating that she had approached it with a trial-and-error attitude, and to her surprise, it worked. "You truly are a clever little one." Yichuan praised her with a thumbs up. After quickly finishing his noodles, he immediately began examining the merfolk. As Blueberry Jam had mentioned, the merfolk stood about 6 feet tall, its upper body exposed and muscular, while its massive fishtail likely weighed 100 pounds. Even after living in water, its hands bore calluses, likely from wielding weapons or using tools daily. "System, can you analyze this merfolk?" Yichuan inquired. "Immensely powerful and exceedingly perilous." The system succinctly rendered an 8-character evaluation. "Is that all?" Yichuan was taken aback. Yet, the infernal system fell silent once more. How utterly exasperating. It would have been better to remain silent than to utter such words. With a huff, Yichuan pivoted and proceeded to open the resource crates. Indeed, as the island leaders had noted, the recent recovery of resource crates had become notably easier. In just one day, the 5 of them had collaborated to salvage an impressive 20 crates, surpassing their total from the previous 2 days. Furthermore, upon opening them, they discovered not only the usual resources and provisions, but also an unexpected blueprint for crafting a bow. However, this bow was rather lightweight, weighing only 40 pounds, rendering it unsuitable for him, but perfect for Blueberry Jam. Given the current circumstances appeared rather dire, with mermaids now in the fray, it seemed prudent to equip everyone with weapons. After observing Friday at work for a while, Yichuan returned to his chamber. Glancing at the super tablet, he noticed a trade message from Zhao Feiyu and promptly accepted the transaction. Astonishingly, it was the combat techniques he had illustrated so swiftly. Yichuan exclaimed in surprise. "I drew them overnight. See if you can comprehend them." "I can provide further explanation," Zhao Feiyu replied. Chapter 86. Imparting combat techniques. The combat techniques comprised a total of 18 movements, which Zhao Feiyu meticulously divided into 3 steps each. Over the span of a day and night, he astonishingly produced 54 human figure action diagrams. Though each resembled a stick figure, they were remarkably lifelike. Yichuan responded, "I find them quite comprehensible. No need to elaborate further. I shall give it a try." With that, he stepped into the open space before his door and began to practice each movement in turn. Yichuan's comprehension was notably strong, and after this period, he felt his understanding had significantly improved, likely due to his continuous consumption of A-grade freshwater. In any case, each movement was relatively simple for him. In just over an hour, he memorized all the actions, and combining the 18 movements proved to be not particularly challenging. As Zhao Feiyu had mentioned, these 18 movements could be freely combined. 2 movements could form 2 sets, 3 movements could yield 6 sets, and so forth, creating an endless array of possibilities. Yichuan had managed to memorize all the actions, but to fully master their integration would require time. Nevertheless, he was not in a rush. With daily practice of an hour, he believed he would soon achieve proficiency. Having committed all the aforementioned content to memory, Yichuan inquired of Zhao Feiyu, "Is this set of combat techniques classified within the military?" "Not at all. It is merely a compilation of several combat skills selected by a veteran from the army, ultimately synthesized into this cohesive product," Zhao Feiyu replied. "How are you faring with the techniques?" "I've memorized them all and can execute them proficiently, but to fully integrate them will likely take some time. Yichuan responded. You've already memorized everything so quickly. Zhao Feiyu exclaimed in astonishment. It seems that when I initially learned this martial art, it took me 3 full days to memorize all the movements perfectly. However, others accomplished this feat in just over an hour. Indeed, the adage holds true. Comparison breeds envy. Perhaps my comprehension skills are a tad more refined. Yichuan sent a laughing emoji and promptly replied, I have a few subordinate island leaders here. Assuming it's not a secret, I would like them to learn these techniques for self-defense. That poses no issue. Feel free to share them. Zhao Feiyu responded decisively. With that, Yichuan felt a sense of relief. He recalled having received a blueprint for a photocopier not long ago, which he decided to fabricate alongside a batch of A4 paper. Subsequently, he made 5 copies of the martial arts techniques and traded them to Lu Yi and the other 4 individuals. This is the combat skill practiced by the elite forces of our Jiuzhou military region. Take some time to practice. It could prove invaluable in a crisis. Boss, you managed to acquire the combat techniques of those elite forces. Xiao Feilong exclaimed in disbelief. That's simply astonishing. Is it really that difficult? Yichuan replied with a calm demeanor. Difficult? It is classified. If Xiao Feilong were beside Yichuan, he would likely be heard screaming in exasperation. You have no idea. Anything related to the elite among the elite in the military is incredibly precious. Especially this set of techniques, which far surpasses the martial arts of many prominent families. Really? Yichuan was momentarily taken aback. It dawned on him that Zhao Feiyu's remarks were a gesture of camaraderie, perhaps also a means of repaying a favor. Absolutely true. Xiao Feilong replied earnestly. You must understand that our Jiuzhou Ocean World Command is directly under the military jurisdiction, and their authority supersedes all families and conglomerates. Now it makes sense. Yichuan realized this, and after a brief pause, he responded, feel free to study it, but under no circumstances should you disclose it to anyone. Once you have mastered it, tear it into pieces and dispose of it in the sea in batches. Ensure that no one discovers it, understood? Rest assured, boss. This information is absolutely classified and far superior to the techniques of our own family. I wouldn't utter a word. Xiao Feilong replied with a chuckle. He recognized Yichuan's prowess, yet he was unaware of the extent of Yichuan's capabilities, not only in culinary diversity, but also in acquiring such confidential knowledge. Upon reflection, Xiao Feilong understood. No wonder Yichuan was so impressive. He was indeed a member of the military, an elite among elites, a veritable king of warriors. Such prowess in martial arts was inconceivable without that background. This analysis only deepened Xiao Feilong's admiration for Yichuan. The others were equally astonished by this revelation. Only Blueberry Jam seemed somewhat oblivious to the value of these techniques, but nonetheless vowed to master them swiftly to ensure his own self-defense. Upon this realization, Yichuan promptly crafted a bow weighing 40 pounds and subsequently fashioned over 100 arrows, which he then exchanged for Blueberry Jam. This left Blueberry Jam exhilarated. Brother, are these gifts for me? She exclaimed. What? Do you possess any weapons? Yichuan retorted. Certainly not. I have been unable to acquire any supply crates. And the only resource I have is stone, which I have already given to you. Blueberry Jam replied with a cheerful smile. You are so kind to me. If you were by my side, I would have surely adorned you with a multitude of strawberry marks. The mere thought of such a scenario made Yichuan grimace. And he quickly responded, perhaps you should first see if this bow suits you. It fits. I just tried it, and I can draw it perfectly. However, the arrows only shoot about 10 meters. Perhaps it's due to my inexperience. Blueberry Jam replied, sending an awkward emoji. But I will practice diligently. Indeed, practice makes perfect. Yichuan replied, pressing his lips together thoughtfully. Currently, he was well equipped with weapons, and among the several subordinate island lords, only Blueberry Jam possessed any arms. He realized he should procure more weapons for unforeseen circumstances. With this in mind, Yichuan activated the semi-automatic fishing net, launching it with a swift motion. As he slowly reeled it back, the system provided the catch's quantity, 500 sardines, 3 squid, and 1 sea turtle. Yichuan was taken aback as he noticed something struggling within the pile of fish. It was a sea turtle with a shell nearly half a meter in diameter. He chuckled and promptly returned the large turtle to the ocean, saying, you are still too small. Go home and find your mother. Afterward, Yichuan returned to display the sardines, 10 kilograms of fresh sardines, along with a weapon manufacturing blueprint. Instantly, the public chat room burst into lively chatter. Chapter 87. Are you asking me to slay a mermaid? Wow, there's a big shot collecting weapons. What could this imply? Well, what could it imply? Collecting weapons is simply collecting weapons. It has nothing to do with us. The esteemed individual has their own reasons. I can't help but think you're a fool. If the big shot is collecting weapons, it must mean they are facing some danger. Otherwise, why would they be gathering weapons for no reason? You're the real fool. An utter imbecile. Your entire family must be fools. I must be unwell to engage with such foolishness. I need to cleanse my eyes. Damn it. I'll cleanse my eyes too. Observing the rather foolish conversation, Yichuan couldn't help but sigh. He then turned to his private messages. Esteemed one. I possess 3 long spears. May I exchange them for 10 kilograms of sardines? Goodness, have I encountered another fool? Yichuan frowned and promptly blocked that individual. After all, long spears could be crafted freely without the need for a blueprint, and their offensive capability was rather limited. Otherwise, he wouldn't be considering further weapon acquisitions. At this moment, Wang Sanrui gazed at the trading interface, lost in contemplation. He contemplated whether the individual acquiring weapons was the same person who had previously engaged in substantial purchases of cotton, subsequently selling cotton clothing, as well as extensively trading in fish and water. This individual must possess an extraordinary advantage, being privy to certain insider information unknown to other island owners. Given the current surge in weapon acquisitions, it seemed likely that peril was imminent within the oceanic realm. With this thought in mind, Wang Sanrui promptly summoned his subordinate island owner, inquiring, "Have you observed the trade interface for weapon acquisitions? You must engage in this as well. We too shall procure weapons." "Boss, are we facing danger?" the subordinate island owner asked, startled. "Better safe than sorry," Wang Sanrui succinctly replied. Truly, as an independent island owner, his wisdom was profound. The subordinate island owner expressed heartfelt admiration before hastily attending to his duties. Beyond the 2 dominant factions of Yichuan and Wang Sanrui, others had also begun to accumulate weapons, albeit without significant price advantages. Yichuan, however, remained unfazed, as a new piece of information had captured his attention. "Hello. I possess a blueprint for a small cannon. How many sardines can we exchange for it?" A small cannon? Yichuan's expression shifted. The counterpart placed the blueprint for the small cannon into the trading column, allowing Yichuan to finally glimpse its design, which bore resemblance to the ancient red cannons. Albeit on a smaller scale. The specifics would only become clear once the transaction was completed. Yichuan quickly responded, 20 kilograms of sardines. Could you provide me with 15 kilograms of sardines and 5 liters of boiled water? The other party countered. I suffer from gastrointestinal issues when drinking melted snow, and boiling it doesn't help. I prefer fresh water boiled. Very well. Yichuan did not dwell on this and swiftly finalized the trade. Subsequently examining the manufacturing requirements for the small cannon, 1 blueprint, 100 metal sheets, 10 fabric pieces, and 2 stones. System, is this small cannon feasible? Yichuan pondered, stroking his chin before inquiring. Range of 500 meters, immense power, explosion radius of 30 meters, equipped with a sight, capable of a full 360-degree rotation, and upgradable. The system promptly replied. If that were the case, then it was certainly promising. Yichuan's demeanor brightened, especially with the prospect of upgrades. And when paired with his air cannon alongside the sea turtle, even a medium to large sailing vessel could be sunk. With this in mind, Yichuan surveyed his surroundings and designated the small cannon's placement on a hill behind his house. Following its second evolution, the hill now spanned over 50 meters in length and stood nearly 15 to 16 meters high, allowing those atop to peer over the trees and gaze at the ocean beyond. Furthermore, as the area of the turtle's shell increased, the hill would continue to rise, making this location an optimal choice. With that thought, Yichuan promptly opted to manufacture it and positioned it on the flat summit. Although it was a small cannon, it likely weighed around a ton, with the barrel nearly 2 meters long, exuding an imposing presence. System, now that I have the small cannon, how do I create ammunition? Yichuan scratched his head and inquired. The crafting of ammunition requires 1 small cannon, 1 saltpeter, 1 sulfur, 1 charcoal, and 1 stone, the system promptly responded. Where on earth could I find saltpeter and sulfur? Aren't these the very materials used in ancient gunpowder production? Yichuan couldn't help but feel somewhat dumbfounded, exclaiming loudly. With no other choice, Yichuan rushed to the public chat room to shout, "Who has sulfur and saltpeter? I'm willing to purchase at a high price." Wow, there are actually big shots buying sulfur and saltpeter. They must be planning to make gunpowder, right? Some individuals are quite clever, but others are just plain foolish. It's not like we can find sulfur and saltpeter in this ocean world. Do they expect everyone to have it on hand? Just because you can't find it doesn't mean others can't. With so many people around, there are surely millions of supply boxes generated daily. Could it really be that no one has saltpeter or sulfur? Let's be realistic. When combined, these materials produce gunpowder, and I wager no one can actually obtain them. If I'm wrong, I'll livestream myself eating. Well, you know, how gross is that? The public chat room erupted with chatter, but Yichuan was genuinely speechless. No matter where one goes, internet trolls are ever present. Yet, he had to admit, in this ocean world, it was likely that sulfur and saltpeter were indeed scarce. Since he couldn't procure these items for the time being, Yichuan decided to put it out of his mind. After all, since he had a small cannon, ammunition would surely be crafted soon enough. Fortune tends to follow closely behind, doesn't it? Just then, the system suddenly announced, hidden task discovered. Will the host accept? Yichuan's interest was piqued. Perhaps completing this hidden task would yield saltpeter and sulfur? Hidden task. The host must kill a mermaid within 1 week to receive generous rewards. Will you accept? The system replied. What? Yichuan was taken aback. Are you kidding me? Didn't you just tell me that mermaids are formidable? Now you want me to kill one? Isn't that tantamount to courting death? The host may choose to accept or refuse. The system continued. Accept. Yichuan's lips twitched, and he found himself shouting. If he refused, there would be no hidden tasks in the future. Detection indicates the host has accepted the hidden task. Please complete it as soon as possible. The system promptly responded. What a predicament. Just when I thought I could avoid mermaids, the system insists I confront one. Is this what it means to be lucky, or is it simply misfortune? Yichuan rubbed his hair, wearing an expression of despair. Chapter 88. Spicy pork with peppers. Trading for scallions, ginger, and garlic. Though somewhat reluctant, life must go on, right? Yichuan managed a wry smile as he noted that it was already noon and promptly began preparing lunch. He was quite fond of the pancakes he had received and decided to make them his main dish. However, Yichuan was pleasantly surprised to discover some chili peppers. After several days of growth, apart from leaving 4 or 5 peppers to bear seeds, the remaining chili peppers have ripened. Yichuan directly harvested a dozen, intending to prepare a dish of stir-fried pork with chili for lunch. With an abundance of wild boar meat available, even if consumed daily, 8 individuals could feast for an entire month. As for the remaining peppers, Yichuan instructed to dry them all on Friday. Although the temperature was relatively low, the sun was still quite favorable, and he believed they would soon be dried. Next, Yichuan busied himself. If only he had some scallions, ginger, and garlic. He should check the public chat room in the afternoon. Since other island lords had also offered seeds and fruits, they might possess scallions, ginger, and garlic as well. Contemplating this, Yichuan immediately began preparing the meal, though the quantity for 8 individuals resembled that of a communal pot. With the aid of lard and Yichuan's prior experience as a cook in an orphanage, he managed quite adeptly. 5 minutes later, the stir-fried pork with chili was ready. Taking a taste, despite the absence of soy sauce, the wild boar meat and chili were both flavorful due to environmental factors, lending the dish a unique essence. Yichuan could only describe it with one word: fragrant. Chuckling with excitement, he prepared a pancake for himself and a small plate of stir-fried pork with chili. Trading it over, for lunch, we shall enjoy stir-fried pork with chili. Wrapping it in a pancake is the true, soulful way to eat. Goodness, we have chili. Lu Yi sent an excited emoji. Chili is my absolute favorite. Yichuan was taken aback and quickly replied. Did you forget that you shouldn't consume anything too spicy these past few days? Upon reading this, Lu Yi's face flushed a deep crimson as she hurriedly responded. I used to be a spice enthusiast. I've even tried extremely spicy dishes, so I'm quite willing to accept a regular stir-fried pork with chili. That's good to hear. Yichuan felt relieved upon Lu Yi's assurance. From the responses of several people, he was reassured that everyone enjoyed spicy food. Only Blueberry Jam, who typically refrained from spicy dishes, did so not out of dislike, but rather due to a fear of breakouts affecting her appearance during live broadcasts. However, now she seemed unperturbed, for on the island, at least for the next 6 months, no one would see her. What did it matter if she indulged in chili? After finishing lunch in a few swift bites, Yichuan savored a large cup of Longjing tea, feeling quite satisfied. He then sent a message in the public chat room. Who has scallions, ginger, garlic, or their seeds? I'm willing to pay handsomely for them. Which big shot is this? How fortunate they must be to have food at all, yet still desire scallions, ginger, and garlic. Some individuals might be in a state of dire need, while others might already be living in abundance. Human nature is inherently greedy. Once a comfortable life is attained, the pursuit of an even better existence follows. After all, comparing oneself to others can be disheartening. To be honest, I'm still eating raw fish, lacking even the privilege of cooking it. Congratulations, you're eating sushi now. That is impressive. Get lost. The public chat room buzzed with excitement once more, inundated with a flurry of private messages, all requests for food and drink, which Yichuan promptly disregarded. After waiting a few minutes without any substantial offerings, he was about to step outside for some fresh air when a sudden message caught his attention. Boss, I have scallions, ginger, and garlic. You have them? Yichuan replied with a look of astonishment. I opened a small resource pack containing precisely 5 pounds each of scallions, ginger, and garlic. Isn't that rather intentional? The other party lamented. Eventually, I succumbed to hunger and consumed 2 pounds of ginger, resulting in a painful outbreak of blisters in my mouth. Then, you still have 3 pounds of ginger and 5 pounds each of scallions and garlic? Yichuan inquired with delight, albeit with a measure of respect for the individual. Eating 2 pounds of ginger raw was indeed a feat of strength. Absolutely, came the reply. Very well. I shall offer you 10 kilograms of sea fish and 5 liters of fresh water. Yichuan responded decisively. After all, these resources were inexhaustible for him. Yet they were precious commodities for others. Boss, it would be wonderful if you could spare me a bit more, the other party replied with a toothy grin. After all, my scallions, ginger, and garlic are quite unique. While that was true, the reality was that these items were somewhat dispensable. Even without them, it wouldn't matter much. Would it? Yichuan promptly replied. Consider it well. If you wish to trade, we shall trade. But if not, I shall not press the matter. I will take a stroll for now. You can think it over. Boss, wait. The other party had no hesitation. Let us make the trade. Yichuan immediately placed the items in the trading section, and they completed the exchange. 5 pounds each of scallions and garlic, with approximately 20 stalks of scallions, 40 heads of garlic, and 2 substantial chunks of ginger. After some contemplation, Yichuan decided to keep 15 stalks of scallions, 20 heads of garlic, and 1 chunk of ginger, subsequently handing the remainder over to Friday. Plant the garlic and ginger directly, and save the scallions for seeds, then plant them again. Brother Chuan, there's no land left. Friday raised his hands in exasperation. No rush, we can plant them tomorrow. Yichuan replied swiftly, then re-entered his room. Posting a trading message in the exchange interface. Stir-fried pork with chili 1 flowerbed manufacturing blueprint 1. Wow, incredible. Have you all noticed that a big boss actually possesses a recipe for stir-fried pork with chili? I wonder if he created it himself or cooked it. Are you daft? Can you obtain chili or pork from a supply crate? It must be something he cooked himself. I suspect it's from the boss who sold the pork rib soup yesterday. I don't think you need to insult me. Is it a crime to be a bit foolish? You, as an island master, will likely not make it past the novice stage. Shut it. While the public chat room was abuzz with fervor, the trading interface had successfully completed a transaction, and the other party sent a message. Friend, I also have a flowerbed manufacturing blueprint. Are you interested in another trade? I no longer have stir-fried pork with chili, Yichuan replied. I'll offer you 1 liter of fresh water. 1 liter of fresh water for 5 kilograms of sea fish. The other party countered. Knowing full well that Yichuan had sea fish in his possession, I am aware that you are not the sole possessor of the garden plot creation blueprint. Should I require another, I could easily procure one from the trading interface. After a brief pause of several seconds, Yichuan finally responded. I possess another item that I believe will pique your interest. It took a full minute for the other party to reply. Chapter 89. The Pack of Hyenas. Now I am keen to see what you have in mind. Yichuan replied with a smiley face. The greenhouse manufacturing blueprint, came the response. In this weather, cultivating any plant is quite a challenge, but with a greenhouse, it would be a different story. What do you think? Your reasoning is not without merit. Very well. I will offer you 1 L of fresh water and 10 kilograms of sea fish. If you agree, let us proceed with the trade. Yichuan declared, promptly placing the items in the trading slot. All right. After deliberating for 2 to 3 minutes, the other party finally placed both blueprints in the trading interface, and thus, the transaction was completed. With great haste, Yichuan crafted the garden plot. Fortunately, the 200 kilograms of fertile black soil saved for Friday remained unused. So he spread it directly into the garden plot and divided the greenhouse into 2, covering each garden plot. 1 garden plot would suffice for cultivating scallions, ginger, and garlic. As for the remaining plot, that could wait for another time. The freshly caught sea fish were rapidly dwindling, indicating another fishing expedition was imminent. Rubbing his hands together, Yichuan made his way to the semi-automatic fishing machine and pressed the button. As the net descended into the sea, he waited several minutes before swiftly hauling it back up. It seems heavier than before. Yichuan paused, quickening his pace slightly. Soon, a large net full of fish emerged, and just like the last time, it was teeming with sardines. The system promptly reported 367 sardines, 2 king crabs, and 1 lost harpoon. A lost harpoon? Yichuan exclaimed, quickly searching through the catch. He soon discovered the harpoon amidst the fish, approximately 1.56 meters long and weighing over 20 pounds. Remarkably, it was automatic. By pressing a button, the first 30 centimeters would shoot out, with a range of about 10 meters, connected by a thin steel wire, much like the harpoon he had previously used. Could this also belong to a merfolk? Yichuan pondered aloud. However, such questions were certainly beyond the system's capacity to answer. The weight of the haul was attributed to both the harpoon and the fact that this time, the sardines were generally larger. Previously, a dozen had only weighed 1 kilogram. But now just 5 or 6 equaled that weight, lively and vibrant. Yichuan immediately listed them on the trading interface. 1 sardine for 3 wooden planks, 1 sardine for 3 metal sheets, and 1 sardine for 1 stone. Given the larger size of this batch of sardines, they were indeed suitable for trade. After a bustling afternoon, the sun began its descent in the sky. Yichuan stretched languidly. It was time to prepare dinner. Having only indulged in the king crabs a few times, he still had 11 or 12 left. Rather than laboring over a complex dish, he decided to simply boil the king crabs, one for himself to savor. Brother, I seem to have gained some weight. Upon receiving the cooked king crab, Lu Shuai wore an awkward expression. If you've gained weight, you should eat less. Tomorrow, I won't prepare any meals for you. Yichuan replied directly. Brother, I just feel a bit embarrassed. Lu Shuai sent another awkward emoji. I've been scavenging for supplies, but all I've managed to find are ordinary items like bread, sausage, and instant noodles. I'm picky about what I eat, and I'm unwilling to consume what you've provided. By the way, you don't have any weapons, do you? Yichuan muttered under his breath, promptly placing a discarded harpoon into the trade window. Take this for self-defense. Wow, Lu Shuai exclaimed, sending a crying emoji. You're too kind to me. I can't believe I secretly wished for you to be swallowed by a sea beast. I truly am a terrible person. In response, Yichuan merely sent a series of ellipses before taking a knife to enjoy the king crab. As night fell, aside from the occasional unknown sounds echoing through the woods, the entire island was enveloped in silence. Yichuan took a warm shower and reclined on his bed, sipping goat's milk while perusing the messages in the public chat room. Feeling utterly content, I haven't eaten in 3 days. Who can spare a bite for this girl? I'm willing to become their subordinate island master, and will keep them company every day. Is this woman a fool? If she had just a few planks, she could trade for a sardine. Haven't you seen the big shots listing hundreds of sardines? The issue is I have nothing. Just a few days ago, a strong wind swept through here, washing everything away. If I hadn't held on tightly, I might have perished as well. It seems I must fend for myself. Brother, could you spare me something to eat? I can whip up many delicious dishes, and I can guarantee you won't last 3 seconds. Enough of that. What is the point? Noticing the increasingly bizarre tone in the public chat room, Yichuan felt a sense of disinterest. He turned on the television, selected a movie, and planned to watch it before going to bed. Even during a thrilling action film, fatigue began to overwhelm him halfway through, and he felt his eyelids waging a fierce battle. He reluctantly turned off the television and prepared for sleep. Almost simultaneously, the 3 little creatures outside suddenly began to call out urgently. Their cries served as both a warning and an alert, as if they had encountered something. The strange sounds jolted Yichuan awake. The noise was not coming from just one creature, but several. They did not resemble wolves or dogs. What could be prowling in packs at night? A sudden realization struck him. Grasping a crossbow in one hand and a machete in the other, he dashed out of the room. Just 20 meters away, he spotted 13 or 14 dog-like creatures confronting the 3 little ones, their eyes glowing ominously green, sending a chill down his spine. Yichuan felt his heart race. These were none other than the infamous hyenas, the most notorious of the African wildlife. TMD, how could a pack of hyenas appear in the woods? Yichuan muttered through gritted teeth. System, with my current strength, combined with the combat prowess of the 3 little ones, can we possibly contend with this horde of hyenas? However, the system remained ominously silent, infuriating Yichuan to the brink of bloodshed. System, are you not functioning at night, or have you turned cowardly? If I perish, your efforts will have been in vain. The system continued to be unresponsive, seemingly malfunctioning. With circumstances as dire as they were, we could only confront them head-on. Yichuan silently cursed, took a deep breath, and, after warning the 3 little ones, slightly bent his body in preparation for battle. The hyenas, remarkably astute, seemed to sense Yichuan's movements. At the sound of a hyena's howl, they surged forward. Chapter 90, Fierce Battle with the Hyena Pack. Chirp, 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 the 3 little ones cried out, flapping their wings as they charged forward. Their sharp claws swiftly grasped 3 hyenas, ascending rapidly into the sky, accompanied by the piercing screams of the hyenas. Yichuan shouted a low command, and while swinging his arm, he activated the crossbow, releasing 12 bolts that struck 2 of the leading hyenas with lethal precision. In less than 3 seconds, 5 of the 13 hyenas lay defeated. Yet, there were simply too many hyenas. The remaining ones lunged at Yichuan, their gaping maws snapping ferociously. Bang! Yichuan fought with both hands. One unleashed an air cannon while the other wielded a cleaver. As the air cannon struck one hyena, the cleaver came crashing down on another's head. Howl! The struck hyena was blasted 10 meters away, colliding with a large rock, and lay on the ground, howling in agony. Although Yichuan's air cannon had reached an intermediate level, he only received half the benefits, leaving him with a basic skill. While he could knock the hyenas away, killing them remained a formidable challenge. However, another hyena met a dire fate. Its head cleaved open, its eyes crossed in a daze as it let out a wretched scream. Yichuan swiftly flung it aside. Yet, even with Yichuan's impressive speed, he found himself outnumbered, facing 4 more hyenas, all of whom were poised to attack. One hyena managed to latch onto Yichuan's calf, causing him to grunt in discomfort. He retaliated with a swift kick to its belly, prompting the hyena to release its grip and flee. An air cannon blast to its rear sent it crashing down, whimpering pathetically. As the remaining 5 hyenas prepared to charge, a series of thuds echoed through the air. The 3 hyenas that had been carried off by the little ones plummeted from the sky, lifeless. In just 10 seconds, 8 hyenas had been rendered incapable of fighting. Finally, the remaining 5 hyenas, tails tucked between their legs, began to retreat, turning to escape. Suddenly, 3 colossal creatures descended from the sky, and despite the 5 hyenas sprinting with remarkable speed, 3 of them were snatched away with anguished cries before reaching the safety of the woods. Only 2 hyenas remained, and although Yichuan pursued them with fervor, they managed to evade capture by retreating into the thicket, vanishing from sight. Damn it! Yichuan muttered fiercely under his breath, glancing at the wound on his body, which had already healed, leaving only a hole in his clothing that hissed as the wind rushed in. Had he not just engaged in vigorous activity, the chill would surely have made him shiver. With a resounding thud, 3 more dull sounds echoed as the hyenas, having soared into the air, met their demise after a freefall. Yichuan let out a long sigh of relief, turning to sit upon a nearby stone. Catching his breath as he addressed the trio of small creatures, "You 3 did exceptionally well. Without your assistance in battle, I would have struggled to defeat them on my own." The 3 small ones immediately rushed to Yichuan's side, nuzzling against his legs, their eyes narrowing in delight at his praise. Although they had vanquished the hyenas, it was imperative to process the carcasses promptly. Delaying until tomorrow would risk the meat stiffening, complicating the skinning process. Without hesitation, Yichuan gathered a stack of wooden planks, ignited them, and began the task of processing the hyenas by the flickering light. As scavengers, hyenas' flesh was notoriously foul and unfit for consumption. However, on this desolate island, there were many who would endure hunger, and selling the meat could yield valuable resources, perhaps even rare items. Yichuan was also keen on the hyena hides. Possessing a sewing machine, he envisioned crafting several stylish dogskin coats. Accompanied by the 3 small creatures, Yichuan worked diligently until the clock struck 1 in the morning, successfully finishing with all the hyenas. He temporarily stored the meat and hides in a cool chamber, stretched his weary limbs, and glanced at his soiled attire. What a mess! After quenching his thirst with 100 milliliters of premium water, Yichuan indulged in a hot shower, finally settling down for sleep around 2 in the morning. At last, a sense of security. He exhaled a deep breath, his eyelids drooping as he gradually drifted into slumber. In his dreams, he found himself embroiled in a fierce battle with hyenas, this time facing not a mere handful, but a formidable pack of 40 or 50. Despite the presence of his 3 small companions, he was mercilessly bitten, until a scar-faced hyena lunged towards his throat, jolting Yichuan awake with a start. "Goodness!" he gasped, sitting upright, breathing heavily and momentarily disoriented. It took him several moments to muster a wry smile. What a dream! Glancing at the clock, he was astonished to find it was already past 10 in the morning. He had slept for over 8 uninterrupted hours. Indeed, engaging in such high-intensity battles was quite exhausting. Yichuan murmured to himself as he gradually rose, taking a hearty gulp of nearly 500 milliliters of boiled water. After stretching his body, he ambled outside while exclaiming, "Sign in. Sign in successful. Congratulations, host. You have received 1,000 evolution points, a choice of 1 out of 6 super thermal suits, and a super anti-rabies serum." Yichuan was taken aback. "System, are you aware of my struggle with the hyenas last night? Not only do you refrain from assistance, but you choose to feign ignorance?" As expected, the system offered no response. "Fine. Wait until the day you manage to bring me down. I shall see how you handle that." Yichuan snorted coldly, then turned his gaze towards the woods. 2 hyenas have escaped. They must be located swiftly, or they will inevitably pose a threat. If they were both of the same sex, it might only lead to some mischief. However, if one is male and the other female, They could soon breed a considerable pack of hyenas, and that would spell trouble. For now, he chose not to dwell on this matter. It was imperative nonetheless. Yichuan proceeded to the sheep pen, extracted sheep's milk, boiled it, and stored it temporarily. He then meticulously divided the hyena meat into portions of 5 kilograms, yielding a total of 70 packages. Subsequently, he listed all the hyena meat for trade. 5 kilograms of hyena meat for 10 wooden planks, 5 kilograms for 10 metal sheets, and 5 kilograms for 5 stones. Given the strong odor of the raw hyena meat, the resources exchanged for 5 kilograms were not substantial, yet they were undoubtedly worth the trade. As Yichuan listed the hyena meat, the once quiet public chatroom erupted with activity. Chapter 91. Trading Resources, Advancing to Level 6. Hyena meat. And to trade it for resources at 5 kilograms. Who is this benevolent figure, spreading goodwill to all? You know nothing. Hyena meat reeks and tastes dreadful. How could anyone stomach it? Oh, so you do understand something. In these dire times, having anything edible is a blessing. Do you think I care about the stench? I could even swallow a lump of dung if need be. Stop your repugnant comments. It's like a toad crawling on your foot. Harmless, yet nauseating. What intrigues me is how we are all on the novice island. Yet he encountered a pack of hyenas and single-handedly defeated them. It's well known that the notorious African number 2 even dares to provoke lions. Reading through these chat logs, Yichuan couldn't help but shake his head slightly. It seemed some people were indeed perceptive. Nonetheless, Yichuan remained unconcerned. As time passed, the hyena meat began to sell gradually. At this moment, Yichuan promptly retrieved the super rabies serum, administered a dose according to the instructions, and then selected a set of black super thermal clothing, replacing the damaged attire, which consequently provided him with considerable warmth. Gazing at the discarded thermal wear, Yichuan promptly used the needle and thread acquired from previous trades to mend the holes. Then announced in the public chatroom, super thermal clothing, slightly damaged but repaired. Seeking rare items in exchange. My friend, I find myself quite intrigued by your exceptionally warm garment. What would you like in exchange? Just moments ago, Yichuan had a visitor in the form of Wang Sanrui. This fellow seems less inclined to develop himself and more fixated on the super tablet, does he not? It all depends on what you have. Yichuan replied. My warm clothing is merely thicker than a standard shirt, yet it surpasses cotton clothing in warmth and practicality. An island area expansion card. Wang Sanrui stated directly. It seems we have transacted before, and you also exchanged an island area expansion card with me. Yichuan murmured. I am curious about the origin of your numerous island area expansion cards. How did you acquire so many? I also wish to know how you possess such valuable items. Wang Sanrui responded with irritation. You are the one who previously amassed cotton and sold cotton clothing at exorbitant prices, correct? I obtained these through my own efforts. Yichuan did not reply, but rather stated, however, I have never managed to acquire an island area expansion card. No matter, if you wish to trade, let us trade. If not, then so be it. Wang Sanrui said, placing the island area expansion card in the trading section. Yichuan, no longer hesitating, promptly accepted the trade. Wang Sanrui soon found himself in possession of the super warm clothing, observing the stitching at the calf area, which was reasonably well done, although this may affect its warmth. As Yichuan mentioned, it is decidedly superior to cotton clothing. This transaction is certainly not a loss. Wang Sanrui exclaimed with a grin. Not only did he acquire such a fine super warm garment, but he also gleaned a valuable piece of information. It seems that each resource box in different regions yields distinct treasures. Henceforth, I shall seek valuable items from those island lords more frequently. Before long, noon arrived, and Yichuan promptly prepared lunch, along with 300 milliliters of hot sheep's milk for each person, sending it over with a message. I overslept this morning. Let us have lunch now. Have you seen the trading interface for hyena meat? Zhao Feiyu replied. This is astonishing. It must require at least 10 hyenas. I cannot fathom who is so formidable. Stop guessing. It's me, Yichuan responded with a grin emoji. My forest is rather expansive, and last night, a pack of hyenas charged out, of which I and my pets managed to eliminate 11, while 2 escaped. What an incredible feat. Zhao Feiyu replied, bombarding Yichuan with a series of astonished emojis. You truly are remarkable to confront such a number of hyenas. What kind of pets do you possess that are as fierce as you? 3 albatrosses, Yichuan chuckled. The 3 of them took down 6, while I handled 5. It was quite perilous, and the exhaustion is why I overslept today. I see, but you were not injured. Were you? Zhao Feiyu inquired with concern. No worries, just minor issues that have already been addressed. Yichuan reassured him. Very well then. Zhao Feiyu concluded before promptly attending to his meal. Half an hour later, Zhao Feiyu sent a trade offer, 100 wooden planks, 30 stones, and 70 metal sheets. What is this? Yichuan asked, puzzled. These are the items I have gathered over the past month. After keeping the essentials, I have given you the rest. Zhao Feiyu replied. After all, I have no need for these items. I've been accumulating them as they seem bothersome. All right. Yichuan did not decline, but instead handed Zhao Feiyu the island area expansion card. Brother, this item is rather precious, isn't it? Zhao Feiyu remarked in a hushed tone. Oh, there's no need for formality between us. Yichuan immediately responded with a hearty laugh. I have no use for this. Otherwise, I would have used it long ago. If you agree to the trade, I shall agree, but if not, then kindly return the item. Very well. After a moment's hesitation, Zhao Feiyu chose to proceed with the transaction. As an elite dispatched from the military district, he was reluctant to accept favors from Yichuan. However, not accepting such kindness would indeed make his life quite difficult, so he felt compelled to reciprocate appropriately. Once the novice period concluded and support from the military district arrived, he would repay the favor. After the trade was complete and the items stored in the warehouse, Yichuan turned his attention to the three small creatures frolicking in midair. Currently, he possessed 9,000 evolution points, and it was time to upgrade them. With this thought, Yichuan called the three small ones over and allocated the evolution points to each of them. Their bodies grew slightly larger. And Yichuan subsequently opened the information panel. Name, Albatross level, 6, growth stage, evolution points, 03500 skills, diving claws, capable of grasping 70 kilograms, talents, diving, fishing, flying, long-distance sailing. Upon reaching level 6, the little creature's weight capacity increased by an additional 20 kilograms, although other attributes remained unchanged. Nonetheless, Yichuan was not in a rush. Even though there were no other changes, the growth in size had correspondingly enhanced their combat capabilities. Perhaps he could find time to venture into the woods and extract those two hyenas. Albatross upgrade complete. Congratulations. The hostess pet has reached level 6 and received an upgrade package. Would you like to open it? Albatross upgrade complete. Congratulations. The hostess pet has reached level 6 and received an upgrade package. Would you like to open it? Thinking about this, the system's notifications echoed consecutively, prompting a grin from Yichuan as he eagerly exclaimed, Open all. Chapter 92, Crafting Shells, Bountiful Harvest. Congratulations, the host has gained 1,000 growth points, 2 sulfur, 3 charcoal, 3 bottles of 67-degree liquor. Congratulations, the host has gained 1,000 growth points, 5 wooden planks, 3 plastics, 10 self-heating hot pots. Congratulations, the host has gained 1,000 growth points, 2 niter, 3 stones, 5 sets of seasonings, 100 units. Wow, today's package is quite generous. Yichuan's expression shifted as he noted the classic 67-degree liquor, receiving 3 bottles at once. Was this not a tribute to youthful revelry, lost in the intoxication of the drink? Additionally, he received 10 self-heating hot pots. Had the system become more generous? Regarding the 5 groups of exquisite seasonings, namely Sichuan pepper, star anise, angelica, bay leaves, and cinnamon, each quantity amounting to 100, it seems that there will be no worries about stewing meat in the future. However, what surprised Yichuan the most were the sulfur and saltpeter. He unexpectedly acquired 2 of each. This is undoubtedly a generous benefit bestowed upon him by the system. Perhaps a subtle gesture of leniency during the mermaid slaying quest. Oh, dear system, it appears you are quite commendable, though at times you feign ignorance. You still exhibit a sense of understanding when it truly matters. With a smile, Yichuan examined the method for crafting artillery shells. He gathered 2 pieces of charcoal and stones, successfully creating 2 shells. Estimating that each shell weighed around 8 pounds, these small cannons proved to be remarkably convenient. One merely needed to aim at the target and press a red button at the rear to launch the shell. However, Yichuan refrained from testing them, instead placing both shells into the system's inventory, awaiting their use at a critical moment. Brother Chuan, the soybeans are ready for harvest. Shall we proceed? At that moment, Friday approached with an inquiry. What about the corn? Yichuan inquired again. The corn will require about another day, Friday responded. Then let us harvest the soybeans first. Yichuan nodded, deciding to collect the corn the following day. Nonetheless, he instructed, be sure to leave at least 50 seeds of both corn and soybeans, so we can continue planting once the land is prepared. Understood, Friday replied, promptly getting to work. Half an hour later, Yichuan harvested approximately 4 pounds of soybeans. Gazing at the golden beans, he took a deep breath. Initially contemplating the immediate preparation of tofu or soybean curd, he reconsidered and opted to postpone the plan, as both required gypsum, which he currently lacked. With this thought, Yichuan hurried back to his room and sent a message in the public chat. High price offered for gypsum. Please message me privately if you have any. Gypsum? What purpose does it serve? It seems rather useless, unless perhaps a big shot is constructing a house that necessitates gypsum for plastering? Wow, your imagination knows no bounds. In a place like this, who would be so particular about wall finishing for a house? That's hilarious. I suspect it might be for tofu production, as gypsum slurry is required for that. But where would the big shot procure soybeans? You can't possibly fathom the big shot's intentions. It's futile to guess. Anyway, we don't have any, so let us discuss the impending drop in temperature. The seawater here is about to freeze. What about where you are? If the seawater completely freezes, we're all doomed, and you seem rather excited about that. Noticing the conversation drifting in another direction, Yichuan felt a wave of exasperation. It appeared he would have to wait patiently. Just then, a private message arrived. Friend, could you enlighten me as to why you need gypsum? What I intend to do with it is none of your concern. I doubt you possess any gypsum yourself. Yichuan replied curtly. As I pondered, if you were engaged in a different endeavor, I would certainly lack gypsum. However, if you truly are, as stated in the public chat room, involved in tofu production, then gypsum may not be necessary. The other party responded affirmatively. Indeed, I am in the business of crafting tofu. But you mention it can be done without gypsum? Yichuan inquired with a hint of skepticism. Tofu is categorized by regional differences. In the south, gypsum is used, while in the north, we rely on brine. The other party replied, echoing the common saying, brine curdles tofu. One substance conquers another. What exactly is brine? Yichuan asked, momentarily taken aback. Brine can be considered a crystallized form of seawater, primarily composed of magnesium chloride, the other party explained. You simply need to evaporate seawater to obtain those crystals. However, it would be even better if you could separate the sea salt from it. I possess this substance. If that is the case, then it becomes quite simple. Yichuan's expression shifted. Do you know how to make tofu? I can guide you through the process. The other party responded again. I must admit, I am not very familiar with it. Yichuan thought for a moment and then replied. It is quite straightforward. First, soak the yellow soybeans for a whole day, then grind the soaked beans into a paste. Place it in a large pot over a wood fire until the soy milk reaches a boil. After cooling for half an hour, add a few drops of brine into a spoonful of soy milk, gently stirring it in the pot. After a few minutes, switch to another spoon until the mixture can no longer be stirred. At this point, it is nearly formed. Finally, prepare a sieve and a cloth. Pour the curds into the sieve, cover it with the cloth, and allow it to drain. Place something slightly heavy on top to aid in the drainage. And after approximately 20 minutes, the tofu will be ready. Minutes later, the other party eloquently detailed the instructions. After carefully reading through them, Yichuan felt it was not overly complicated. However, it seemed that the actual production would need to wait until tomorrow at this time. Subsequently, Yichuan inquired, by the way, how should the water for grinding the beans be added? It is best to use well water or spring water, the other party replied. The ratio of beans to water is roughly 1 to 4. For 1 pound of beans, you need 4 pounds of water. Understood. Upon hearing this, Yichuan immediately placed an order for 2 liters of boiled water and 2 kilograms of sea fish in the trading section. What are you doing? The other party couldn't help but ask. You have been a tremendous help to me. Naturally, I must express my gratitude. Consider this a consulting fee. Yichuan replied. I merely provided information because I saw your inquiry. I did not seek compensation. The other party responded. To my surprise, I encountered someone who does not desire payment. This individual is indeed kind-hearted. Yichuan mused, promptly replying, please accept it. I am not one to owe favors. Then thank you. Since the other party had expressed such sentiments, they did not persist further and immediately accepted the items. Yichuan promptly crafted a metal basin, soaking all 4 pounds of beans and placing them in his dwelling. Afterward, he stretched lazily, suddenly recalling that the sea salt should fill a mineral water bottle by now. As he prepared to collect it, he noticed 3 little ones on the side of a small hill, occasionally lowering and raising their heads, seemingly engaged in some activity. Curiosity piqued, he immediately approached to investigate. Until he arrived at the destination, Yichuan could hardly believe his eyes. Chapter 93. The Spring and the Reunion Feast. Before him lay a colossal stone weighing 1,000 pounds, with a fissure running through its center. At that moment, a thin stream of water trickled from the crevice, coalescing into an almost imperceptible flow that cascaded gently down the rock. Is this the spring? Yichuan murmured to himself, rushing forth to collect a handful, savoring the crisp sweetness of the fresh water. Astonishing. In the next instant, Yichuan was taken aback. He had not anticipated the emergence of a small spring in this place, undoubtedly a product of the second evolution. This led him to speculate whether, after a few more evolutions, a freshwater river might materialize here. The thought of being able to drink the sweet spring water without the aid of a seawater desalination device brought him immense joy. Yichuan chose not to interfere with this development. After all, the current flow was too minuscule to even be considered a stream, merely a line of water. He paid it no further heed and dashed to the seawater separator, which was indeed filled with mineral water and sea salt. He promptly collected it, placed an empty mineral water bottle, and connected another bottle to the component leading to the sea. This way, after letting the soy milk cool overnight, he could directly pour in the prepared brine. As the sun began to set, Yichuan opened nearly 20 supply boxes, acquiring a portion of resources along with some ham sausages and bread. He paid little mind to these items, storing them in the warehouse before returning to his room, preparing for a self-heating pot meal for everyone that evening. At that moment, Friday approached and inquired, "Brother Chuan, the spinach and lettuce have ripened. Should we harvest?" To his surprise, the spinach had matured 2 days later than the chili peppers, likely due to his neglect in providing it with nutrient solution later on. Yichuan muttered, "Let's pick a dozen spinach and 2 lettuces." Understood. Friday promptly left, and half an hour later, the freshly washed spinach and lettuce were presented before Yichuan. He was quite satisfied with Friday's efficiency and appreciated the help in washing, which saved him some time. Without delay, Yichuan sliced some pork to prepare a dish of stir-fried spinach with meat, then traded the self-heating pot and the stir-fried spinach with lettuce. "Tonight, we'll have a self-heating pot, stir-fried spinach with meat, and 3 pieces of lettuce for each person." "Spinach and lettuce? Is this what you cultivated?" Lu Yiwei exclaimed in surprise. No, I planted them. What I harvested were the seeds." Yichuan chuckled. "I added a chili while stir-frying, and to my surprise, it turned out quite tasty. Being with you is truly the best choice." Lu Yiwei sincerely remarked, "In increasingly harsh conditions, you manage to enjoy such delightful meals. It's truly enviable. Then let's work hard and ensure my investment doesn't go to waste." Yichuan burst into a fit of laughter, exclaiming, "Rest assured, you shall not be disappointed." Lu Yiwei responded with a flurry of determined emojis before heading off to dine. Subsequently, Yichuan sent half a jean of old white liquor to Zhao Feiyu, Lu Shuai, and Xiao Fei Long, stating, "Though we may be apart for now, sharing a drink across the distance still counts as a reunion feast." "Am I blind? Did I actually see liquor?" Xiao Fei Long exclaimed, his eyes wide at the sight of the half-jean of alcohol. "You are not blind. This is old white liquor, and it's the classic 67-degree version." Yichuan replied, "With such a high alcohol content, you won't get drunk after just 1 sip, will you?" "Not at all," Xiao Fei Long boisterously declared. "I can drink 1,000 cups without getting tipsy." "Very well," Yichuan responded, then exchanged a few more messages with Zhao Feiyu and Lu Shuai before opening his self-heating pot. He took out a pancake, rolled it with some lettuce, spread on the sweet bean paste from a previous trade, poured himself a bit of liquor, and leisurely sipped while listening to Gua Xiaogang's comedic performance. Indeed, this 67-degree liquor was remarkable. Upon the first sip, his tongue ignited with heat, which swiftly traveled down his throat and warmed his entire stomach. Yet, after the initial spice, a sweetness emerged, accompanied by a soft, comforting sensation that made him feel utterly refreshed. "This liquor is delightful," Yichuan exclaimed, and before he realized it, he had consumed half a jean, feeling pleasantly tipsy. After disposing of his empty food wrappers in the automated recycling bin and merely splashing some water on his face, he plopped down onto his bed. He glanced at the public chat room, hoping to find some useful information. "I encountered a giant octopus. While I was in my small boat retrieving a supply box, it capsized. Fortunately, I was only 7 or 8 meters from the shore, and I quickly shed my cotton coat to swim back. What a thrilling experience. In such frigid water and weather, you managed to survive. What luck you have. I have 2 stoves and ignited some wooden planks. Most importantly, I had a spare cotton coat. Otherwise, even if I didn't drown, I would have suffered greatly." Indeed, having ample resources brings many benefits. May you be blessed with good fortune after such a close call. Sigh, one can only hope. Damn it, I also encountered a shark. I was on the shore when it leaped to attack me, but thankfully, I reacted swiftly. As he read through the chat logs, Yichuan's eyelids grew heavy, and he succumbed to sleep, not even bothering to cover himself with a blanket. Host has not yet checked in. Would you like to check in? The next morning, Yichuan was stirred awake by the system's voice, the clock just striking 6. "Check in," he mumbled, rubbing his sleepy eyes. "Check-in successful. Congratulations, host. You have received 1,000 evolution points, 10 charcoal, and 1 lucky blind box. Note, there is a chance to obtain crafting blueprints, seeds, or fruits. Oh, it has been ages since I received a lucky blind box. How fortunate to have one now." Yichuan's expression brightened as he eagerly commanded, "Open the blind box." As the blind box was opened, a notification chimed. Congratulations, host. You have received a double amplification for 1 day, pending use. Astonished, Yichuan exclaimed, utterly surprised to find that, after nearly 2 weeks, double amplification had reappeared. Without hesitation, he commanded, activate double amplification. Subsequently, Yichuan glanced at the super tablet, intending to open the trading interface to peruse available items. To his astonishment, Liang Hongying had sent him 124 wooden boards and 211 stones. It seemed as though this woman had relinquished all her possessions to him, which made Yichuan uneasy. He could not help but inquire, what is going on? None of your business, just accept it. Liang Hongying replied firmly. Chapter 94. The shock from Liang Hongying. You are my subordinate island master. If you are in trouble, how can you dismiss me? Yichuan frowned and retorted, this is an order. Respond immediately. A full minute passed, and seeing that Liang Hongying had yet to reply, Yichuan insisted, right now, you can only trust me. Otherwise, you wouldn't have given all your resources to me. Finally, Liang Hongying replied, I was attacked by a giant octopus. One of my legs is broken from its tentacles, and I have a 2-centimeter deep wound on my lower abdomen. The bleeding hasn't stopped, and I've lost about 500 milliliters of blood. I fear I won't survive the night. If you do not inform me, you truly will not make it through the night. However, as your superior, I cannot allow you to die. Thus, you certainly will not perish. Yichuan responded solemnly. Upon reading this, Liang Hongying appeared somewhat irate. Who do you think you are? Just because you say I won't die, does that make you my savior? Yichuan remained silent and rushed to the S-grade seawater purifier, noticing it had produced 150 milliliters of S-grade freshwater. He promptly collected it all and traded 1 liter of boiled water and a roll of toilet paper to Liang Hongying. Now, follow my instructions. First, wash the wound with the boiled water, then use the toilet paper to dab it dry. Liang Hongying frowned, perceiving him as somewhat immature, and retorted disdainfully. I told you the bleeding won't stop. Are you blind? Do as I say. Yichuan replied with a commanding tone. Although Liang Hongying understood her life was hanging by a thread, no one willingly embraces death. She had no choice in the matter. Seeing Yichuan's insistence, she reluctantly complied and began to follow his instructions. A few minutes later, Liang Hongying reported, I've finished, but it's still bleeding. Yichuan immediately traded another 150 milliliters of S-grade freshwater. Use 30 milliliters to cleanse the wound. Do not use the toilet paper to wipe it. Apply 20 milliliters to the broken leg, and drink the remaining 100 milliliters. What difference does it make? It's all water. Liang Hongying muttered impatiently. Nonetheless, she allocated approximately 30 milliliters of S-grade freshwater to cleanse the wound. To her astonishment, the wound, which had been relentlessly bleeding, ceased its flow, and she could distinctly feel the wound slowly healing. What kind of water is this? Liang Hongying gazed incredulously at the water, touching the site of her fracture and sensing a surge of strength. She immediately found a crevice in a rock and painstakingly repositioned the dislocated bone. The indescribable pain caused her to break out in a cold sweat. After taking several deep breaths, she quickly applied 20 milliliters of S-class fresh water to the wound. A refreshing chill enveloped her, and the pain diminished sharply. This revelation left Liang Hongying even more astonished. She gulped down the remaining 100 milliliters of S-class fresh water in one breath. Following the initial coolness, a wave of warmth coursed through her limbs, causing nearly all her sweat pores to open wide. This time, she could distinctly feel that the wound on her lower abdomen was indeed healing, albeit slowly, and she estimated it would be fully healed by afternoon. As for the fracture in her leg, it would require more time, but at least her life was no longer in jeopardy. The overwhelming sense of surviving a dire ordeal brought tears to the eyes of this stubborn and resilient woman. She had never expected that the man she secretly despised would save her life. Reflecting on it now, she realized it was her own loss in a bet that had made her a subordinate island mistress, and during this time, he had consistently provided her with food in various forms. Perhaps he wasn't so bad after all. With these thoughts in mind, Liang Hongying replied, the bleeding has stopped, and the wound is healing slowly. The fracture should mend in time. Thank you. We are all in this together. There's no need for formality. Yichuan breathed a sigh of relief. What kind of water did you give me? It's almost like a miraculous elixir. Liang Hongying inquired curiously. S-class fresh water. Yichuan responded. It significantly enhances physical constitution, prevents various ailments, and alleviates fatigue. Now I understand. Liang Hongying realized. No wonder it had such formidable effects. It was indeed a treasure beyond price. She had already learned about it in the public chat room, and had even traded a C-class apple herself. According to the grading system, above C-class is B-class, above B-class is A-class, and only above A-class is S-class. One can only imagine how precious S-class fresh water must be. Yet, he had unhesitatingly given her 150 milliliters, which might have been all the S-class fresh water he possessed. In that moment, Liang Hongying felt an indescribable shift in her attitude toward Yichuan. By the way, could you send me all the resources once more? Yichuan promptly replied. Without hesitation, Liang Hongying placed all her items in the trading bar, and Yichuan collected them all. Moments later, he traded them back, but everything had doubled in quantity. This left Liang Hongying perplexed as she asked, "Why did you return it all in double? I merely replenished your stock. I have ample resources on my end. And if needed, I can request more from you," Yichuan explained. "Just accept it." Very well. Liang Hongying decided not to be polite with Yichuan any longer and promptly accepted the items. Yichuan pressed his lips together, his expression turning somber as he observed the chatroom filled with accounts of many individuals being attacked. He was taken aback to learn that even his subordinate island master had fallen victim to an assault by a colossal octopus. This was surely no coincidence. Perhaps it was due to the impending freezing of the sea, compelling these large fish to feast before the waters solidified. If this were indeed the case, then completing the hidden mission of slaying a mermaid must be prioritized. Otherwise, it would become exceedingly difficult once the ocean was encased in ice. With this thought, Yichuan promptly inquired, "System, please assist me in locating a mermaid." Silence ensued, and the system appeared to be unresponsive, prompting Yichuan to furrow his brow and assert in a hushed tone, "System, you are the one who issued this hidden task. I am now eager to fulfill it. At the very least, you ought to provide me with the location of a mermaid. Otherwise, in this vast sea, where on earth am I supposed to search? Location designation complete." At long last, the system responded, stating that the information had been transmitted to a sea turtle, which was currently progressing at a speed of 45 nautical miles per hour. "How long until it arrives?" Yichuan asked. "Most likely between 5 and 6 o'clock tomorrow morning." The system replied, "Please prepare yourself, as this will be the most perilous experience since you entered the oceanic realm." Wow. Yichuan was taken aback. If even the system warned him so, then accomplishing this task would undoubtedly prove to be quite challenging. Chapter 95. The Dogskin Coat. Freshly made tofu. What is meant to be a blessing may not be so, and what is destined to be a misfortune cannot be avoided. Yichuan ceased to dwell on this matter and privately messaged Lu Yi and the others to request their resources, which he doubled and then returned to them. The miraculous nature of this transaction astonished everyone, except for Lu Yi, who remained calm, having previously experienced such an occurrence. This brother is indeed remarkable. Subsequently, Yichuan perused the trading interface, acquiring several fine items within a mere morning. At noon, it was yet again stir-fried spinach with pork. After all, the spinach had ripened and needed to be consumed promptly, lest it age and lose its palatability. Additionally, Yichuan prepared a bowl of instant noodles and traded the stir-fried dish to the 7 others. Today, let us enjoy instant noodles with stir-fried spinach and pork. It has been ages since we had instant noodles. Let us change things up. After lunch, Yichuan retrieved the 11 hyena skins he had previously stored in the refrigerator. Given the rare opportunity for a double amplification, was it not wise to craft these skins into coats? Each dogskin coat required 2 hyena skins, and without hesitation, Yichuan commenced the creation process. Soon enough, 10 dogskin coats materialized before him, each with exceptionally smooth and durable fur that could not be easily pulled apart. And they were remarkably warm, surpassing even the warmth of super-insulating clothing. Moreover, the peculiar odor of the hyena skins had been entirely eliminated. Indeed, coats fashioned from animal pelts were undeniably warm. Yichuan chuckled softly as he stored the 10 dogskin coats into the system's inventory. Gazing at the remaining hyena skin, he promptly opted to craft sofa cushions, resulting in the acquisition of 2 exquisitely warm cushions. "Brother Chuan, is it now time to harvest the corn?" At that moment, Friday approached with an inquiry. "Yes, indeed," Yichuan replied without delay, as he observed Friday darting into the flower bed. Yichuan retrieved the soaked beans and prepared 16 pounds of cooled boiled water, immediately commencing the grinding process. Following the steps outlined by the individual from the previous day, he executed each procedure meticulously. However, when it came time to pour the soy milk into the large pot, he paused, noticing an abundance of soybean residue at the bottom. Logically, the residue should be of no use, right? After some contemplation, Yichuan referred back to the chat history to pose a question to the individual. The response was a somewhat awkward emoji, followed by an immediate clarification. "Apologies, aside from being used during the tofu pressing stage. The sieve is also necessary to filter the soy milk before cooking. The residue must be separated." "Goodness!" Yichuan exclaimed in disbelief, nearly jeopardizing his batch of tofu. My apologies. I had only seen tofu being made at home a few times during my childhood and didn't remember everything, came the reply. However, you can saute the residue with scallions to make pancakes. It's particularly delicious if you have pancakes. Understood, Yichuan responded, incorporating the filtering step and proceeding to cook the soy milk. As he waited for the soy milk to boil and cool, Friday returned, announcing, Brother Chuan, all the corn has been processed, totaling 30 pounds. That much? Yichuan asked incredulously. Indeed, replied Friday. It was initially only 15 pounds, but thanks to your doubling effect, it transformed into 30 pounds. Ah, that makes sense, Yichuan realized, eyeing the neatly packaged corn kernels that were sufficiently dried, which he promptly stored in the warehouse. At this juncture, the soy milk had cooled as well, prompting Yichuan to pour the prepared brine into the mixture. Following the steps taught by the individual from the previous day, once it had set, he swiftly transferred it into a finely meshed sieve, covering it with a makeshift cloth pouch, then pressing it with 2 wooden boards, and finally placing a 50-pound stone atop the boards, thus completing the process. As for the soybean residue, he temporarily stored it in the cold storage. Having accomplished all of this, Yichuan exhaled deeply, patiently awaiting the completion of the tofu. With the rare doubling effect in play, he decided to go catch fish to sell. While waiting, he cast his net and caught over 500 sardines and a dozen small octopuses, all of which were promptly listed for sale. Noticing that the previously listed sardines had yet to sell out completely, he adjusted the price downwards, which instantly thrilled the island owners in the public chat. Goodness! A big shot is selling sardines at such a low price, 2 wooden boards for 1 sardine. It's practically a gift for us. I, too, have noticed that the sardines sold by that fellow last time required an astonishing 3 planks. In comparison, this esteemed individual demonstrates a commendable sense of integrity. Indeed, he is the one we ought to support. However, it raises my curiosity as to why there are so many prominent figures recently engaged in the rampant sale of food and acquisition of resources. I can't shake the feeling that it may signify some impending crisis. Should we not, therefore, consider stockpiling resources accordingly? The prerequisite for hoarding resources is having sufficient food. If we are barely managing to survive, how can we entertain the notion of stockpiling resources? It seems rather fanciful, does it not? Preparedness is key, after all. We ought not to dispose of all our resources recklessly, lest we find ourselves at a disadvantage in due course. Observing the public chat records, I noticed that the sardines were indeed dwindling. After a moment's contemplation, I promptly altered my previous offer of exchanging 3 planks for sardines to a singular exchange, creating the illusion of competition between 2 sellers. Given the doubled blessings, I certainly would not incur any loss. Indeed, this minor adjustment ignited a flurry of activity in the chat room. Oh dear, our complaints have prompted the previously overpriced seller to lower his prices. Clearly, there are 2 competitors at play here. They exclaimed, if we refrain from purchasing from the pricier vendor, will he not drop the price further? How much lower can he go? All resources are now at a single unit. Any further reduction would mean giving them away for free. Do you think he is foolish enough to do that? What if he whimsically decided to give them away? Such remarks left me momentarily speechless, and I chose to disregard them. I would simply retrieve all the resources I had earned by the following morning. After approximately 20 minutes, I ventured outside, gathering the stones, planks, and my bundle. To my delight, I discovered that the creamy, tender tofu was ready. How splendid! My heart leapt as I sliced a piece with my knife, its delicate aroma wafting through the air. This tofu, reminiscent of the traditional northern variety, was remarkably elastic and exquisitely tender, far surpassing any tofu I had previously tasted. Under the double blessings, what would typically yield 20 pounds of tofu now produced a staggering 40 pounds, surely enough to last for a while. I felt a surge of excitement and mused to myself, excellent. Tonight's braised tofu with intestines is certainly a guarantee. Just as I was about to attend to the intestines, the trio of little ones suddenly erupted into loud calls from the sky. I was taken aback and quickly turned my gaze to a distant point, where I spotted a small black dot. As time passed, the dot grew larger, ultimately transforming into a small island. What a rare encounter with an island. My heart raced, but I soon furrowed my brow, for the more I gazed at the island, the more familiar it appeared. Could it be the island of Lung Foam? Moments later, realization struck me with full force. Chapter 96. The astonishing Lung Foam. I never anticipated that after such a circuitous journey, I would once again find myself at Lung Foam's domain. I couldn't help but wonder whether he had returned. Having practiced my martial arts for the past couple of days, I found myself uncertain of my progress. Given that Cold Peak possesses remarkable skills, it would be quite fitting to have him as my sparring partner. With this thought in mind, I boldly suggested, Let us take a detour and pay a visit to Cold Peaks Island. Upon receiving my command, the sea turtle slightly adjusted its course, heading directly towards Cold Peaks Island. As we drew closer, I noticed an expansive greenhouse, likely filled with flourishing plants. Though the former wooden cabin had been reduced to ashes, a new stone house had emerged, indicating that Cold Peak had indeed returned. With a sly grin, I leaped onto the island and called out, "Cold Peak, come forth." There was no response. It seemed he had departed. "I know you are on the island. Why hide?" I retorted. "I burned your home and relocated your beans and corn. Do you not harbor any resentment towards me? If you do, come out and slay me." Before I could finish my taunt, I felt an eerily subtle chill rush towards me. Instinctively, I drew my machete and, without turning, swung it behind me while simultaneously leaping aside. There stood Cold Peak, his gaze icy, clad in animal hide and wielding a dagger. Lowering his stance, he declared, "Once I liberated your super tablet, I vowed to hunt you down and end your life. Who would have thought you would deliver yourself to me today, saving me the trouble of searching for you? You were my vanquished foe last time. Do you truly believe you can defeat me this time?" I replied with a chuckle. "To know whether I can, one must first test it," Cold Peak retorted, refraining from further words as he danced forward, launching a lethal strike. Recalling the moves of martial arts, I clumsily defended myself with the machete. This caused Cold Peak to furrow his brow, despite my lack of finesse. He sensed considerable improvement in my abilities over the mere fortnight. "You're employing martial arts techniques, aren't you?" he murmured. "Oh, so you recognize martial arts?" I responded, astonished by his insight. Clearly, Cold Peak was not a soldier. His strikes were ruthless, each seemingly aimed at delivering a fatal blow. A moment's lapse could result in severe injury, akin to that of an assassin or a champion in an underground boxing ring. It dawned on me. He must be from the military district. However, today, that district would lose a valuable talent. With this realization, he attacked again, his methods becoming even more cunning. Drawing from my previous experience, I had become somewhat more adept in applying martial arts techniques. While I could not effortlessly counter Cold Peak's assaults, I was at least able to shield myself from his onslaught. Cold Peak recognized this shift and pondered that I could not possibly belong to the military district, as my unfamiliarity with martial arts was evident. Regardless of my true identity, I now seemed to have taken on the role of a sparring partner, gradually honing my skills in martial arts. This notion sent a chill down Cold Peak's spine. He has indeed encountered special forces trained in martial arts and understands their formidable nature, which often implies complexity and difficulty in comprehension. Yet, this individual astonishingly transformed his clumsiness into remarkable poise in such a brief span of time. Whether due to innate talent or exceptional learning ability, he is undeniably formidable. If he cannot be eliminated today, he will undoubtedly become a fierce rival in the future. With this thought in mind, Lung Feng gritted his teeth, stifled a breath, and surged forward with renewed speed, thrusting his dagger with a cunning angle towards Yi Chuan's left flank. The angle and movement were unlike anything Yi Chuan had ever witnessed. And combined with Lung Feng's incredible speed and explosive power, he was momentarily caught off guard. However, just as the dagger pierced his left side, Yi Chuan instinctively recalled a martial arts maneuver and delivered a knee strike to Lung Feng's chest. With the strength inherited from the turtle, Yi Chuan was equally powerful and swift. Just as Lung Feng prepared to retreat, he was forcefully propelled backward, crashing several meters away before finally coming to a halt. Feeling his chest boil with blood and sweetness rising in his throat, forcing the fresh blood back down. In that moment, Lung Feng realized he could no longer kill Yi Chuan. "How about that? My skills are not too shabby, right?" Yi Chuan chuckled, observing how his injury had already healed halfway, and he began to stride toward Lung Feng. "Indeed, you are strong." Lung Feng took several deep breaths, charging forward once more to strike at Yi Chuan. However, he had barely advanced 3 meters when he suddenly pivoted and sprinted towards the sea, attempting to flee. Was that merely a feint? Yi Chuan's lips twitched in bemusement. Yet, he did not pursue Lung Feng, instead standing still and waiting quietly. Within a minute, the previously vanished Lung Feng emerged from the water, propelled back to shore by a dolphin. It was a revelation to him that dolphins are known to save people. "Seriously, you think you can escape just because I gave you a light kick?" Yi Chuan teased. "And in this frigid ocean, are you not afraid of freezing to death? What do you intend to do?" Lung Feng bit his lip, asking in a low voice, "Weren't you planning to kill me? Am I not providing you the chance to do so?" Yi Chuan replied nonchalantly, "Have you lost your nerve?" "Humph." Lung Feng scoffed, his mind racing. After pondering for several seconds, he declared, "I can once again become your subordinate island lord, and I will be absolutely loyal to you. Can your words be trusted?" Yi Chuan smiled. Ding. Upon hearing this, Lung Feng discarded his dagger onto the ground and approached Yi Chuan steadily. Does this not demonstrate my sincerity? Currently, do you not have 3 subordinate island lords? Yi Chuan thought with a cold smirk, but still asked aloud. Indeed, if I become your subordinate island lord, they will naturally follow suit. Lung Feng nodded. Thus, you will possess 7 or 8 island lords. Even if I truly wish to sever ties with you, I would find myself powerless. You make a fair point, Yi Chuan said thoughtfully, nodding slightly. To be candid, I am an assassin, and behind me lies a formidable organization. Lung Feng continued. Once the 6-month novice period concludes, what you will gain will not merely be my allegiance as an island master, but an immense fortune. Yi Chuan's expression shifted with intrigue. Lung Feng, unable to suppress a sly smile, suddenly produced a dagger approximately 20 centimeters in length and thrust it fiercely towards Yi Chuan's abdomen. Chapter 97. SSS Class Item, Braised Tofu with Intestines. The events unfolded in a flash. Not only was it sudden, but Lung Feng's speed was astonishingly swift. He felt as if his velocity had surpassed even his peak form. And Yi Chuan was undoubtedly doomed. However, just a mere 0.01 seconds later, Lung Feng heard a sharp sound, and the anticipated scene of his dagger piercing Yi Chuan's body did not materialize. Yi Chuan stood steadfastly, unmoved, wearing a hint of mockery on his face. Lung Feng's countenance changed dramatically as he realized that his formidable strike had been thwarted by Yi Chuan's broadsword. Moreover, his overwhelming force had not merely failed to budge his opponent, but had left him with a split in his palm. TSK, TSK, TSK. Yi Chuan scoffed, shaking his head disdainfully, and then delivered a powerful punch to Lung Feng's chest. Yi Chuan had already been on guard since Lung Feng approached, and it seemed the man indeed harbored ill intentions. After sustaining a heavy blow to his chest, Lung Feng was struck again, sending him hurtling backward, unable to restrain himself from spitting a mouthful of blood before he even hit the ground. The pain in his chest was excruciating, rendering him unable to rise. Damn it! Lung Feng gritted his teeth. Having endured rigorous selection to reach this point, he aimed to unite with the veterans after the novice period to execute the organization's predetermined plan. Yet now, realizing he was no match, he questioned the futility of it all. Yi Chuan slowly approached Lung Feng, asking with a hint of exasperation. What is the purpose of this, knowing you cannot defeat me? I possess a treasure map, and I hope to exchange it for my life. Lung Feng replied through clenched teeth. A treasure map? Yi Chuan chuckled. In the novice area, you possess a treasure map? How absurd. It is located in the outer seas. Lung Feng insisted, producing the treasure map he had carried with him. This was given to me by our vice president when I entered the novice area. I was to await the end of this phase to join the veterans in the treasure hunt. Is that so? Yi Chuan retorted skeptically. If you had a treasure map, wouldn't you have already acquired the treasure? Why would you need assistance from a novice like yourself? Because the veterans are cunning. They might secretly seek the treasure for themselves. Lung Feng replied gravely. But I am different. I have been nurtured by the vice president since childhood. After the novice period, I will gather all the veterans to embark together. Very well, I understand. Yi Chuan nodded slightly, but suddenly, a crisp sound pierced the air as an albatross swooped down, seizing Cold Feng and lifting him high into the sky. In that fleeting moment, Yi Chuan managed to snatch the treasure map away. This map, resembling parchment, was irregularly circular, adorned with a route and numerous intricate patterns. Although it appeared rather uncomplicated, Yi Chuan found himself somewhat perplexed and couldn't help but inquire of the system. Is this treasure map genuine? It is an SSS-grade treasure map, leading from the outer seas into the forbidden zone of life, directly to the sunken ship of the Pirate King, promising endless treasures, the system evaluated. This revelation made Yi Chuan gasp in astonishment. An SSS-grade item, it represented the pinnacle of existence within the maritime realm. He never anticipated that a spontaneous visit to challenge Cold Feng would yield such a priceless artifact. It seemed inevitable that once he passed through the novice zone, he would embark on a treasure hunt. Bang! At that moment, a thunderous sound erupted as Cold Feng, released by the albatross at a height of 200 to 300 meters, plummeted into a freefall, ultimately meeting a gruesome fate. How unfortunate for him to oppose me when he could have contentedly embraced his role as a subordinate island lord, enjoying the pleasures of life. Yi Chuan mused, shaking his head slightly, before entering the stone abode, where he found little of value. He could only scavenge wood, stones, and other resources. Notably, within the greenhouse, he discovered seedlings of watermelon and bok choy, which brought him great joy. He promptly summoned Friday to relocate all the fruits and vegetables to a spare flower bed, taking the greenhouse with him as well. After completing these tasks, Yi Chuan returned to Turtle Island and set forth once more toward his destination. However, as he moved away by nearly 100 meters, he suddenly noticed that Cold Fong S island was gradually descending, ultimately vanishing from view. Sinking. Yichuan was taken aback. Previously, while encountering Li Bo, he had not grasped this issue as Li was aboard the ship. It now became evident that upon the death of an island lord, their corresponding island would likewise cease to exist. He would need to remain vigilant regarding this matter in the future. Indeed, this battle has led to a qualitative leap in my combat skills. Yichuan said to himself with a smile, realizing that his fighting techniques would undoubtedly prove useful in his upcoming confrontation with the mermaid tomorrow. At last, Yichuan began to prepare 5 pounds of pig intestines, washing them repeatedly 7 or 8 times, and then cleansing them twice more with sand from the nearby woods. He then added Sichuan pepper, star anise, cinnamon, bay leaves, and angelica into a large pot to simmer the intestines. 2 hours later, as night fell, Yichuan chopped 5 pounds of tofu and tossed it directly into the pot. After boiling for about 10 minutes, he distributed 2 pounds each of the stew, including both broth and vegetables, to the 7 companions. Today we have a delightful feast. Let us enjoy braised intestines with tofu, the true taste of home. Boss, you even have tofu? Little Flying Dragon exclaimed in astonishment. I scarcely know how to express my admiration for you. Just feel grateful from the heart. There is no need to vocalize it. Yichuan replied. Having sown some beans, he had just made tofu today, and to his pleasant surprise, it was quite delectable. Impressive, Xiao Feilong exclaimed, giving a thumbs up. All right, let us eat. Yichuan rolled his eyes, remarking, you flatter me the most. Just don't let me down after the novice phase. Rest assured, my friend, I will certainly deliver. Xiao Feilong promptly sent an expression of determination. Yichuan shook his head slightly, poured himself a glass of strong liquor, and savored the dishes while drinking, thoroughly enjoying the meal. An hour later, gazing at the remaining few pounds of vegetables in the pot, Yichuan decided to make a bold move. 1 pound of braised intestines with tofu for rare resources. Available for swift purchase. The public chat room erupted once again. This is truly miraculous. A big shot, even as braised intestines with tofu. What is so surprising? Yesterday, a big shot inquired about gypsum, clearly for making tofu. Now that the tofu is ready, this person even has pig intestines. Now that's a true big shot. This is a unique delicacy in the ocean world. The rare resources exchanged are surely not simple. In any case, I want to be able to taste it. As he was observing the public chat room, a private message arrived from Wang Tsanrui. Chapter 98. The trade of anesthetic syringe. Wang Tsanrui surprisingly did not wish to trade for braised intestines with tofu. Friend, could I trade you 3 pounds of tofu? You're not trading for braised intestines, only tofu? Yichuan replied somewhat irritably. I have no interest in intestines. But I know you were the one consulting about gypsum yesterday. You must have quite a bit of tofu, Wang Tsanrui responded. I enjoy tofu mixed with scallions. Thinking of preparing a dish of scallion tofu to accompany a drink. Wait, do you have scallions and liquor? Yichuan inquired, astonished. I have scallion seeds and 250 milliliters of erguo too, which I haven't dared to drink, Wang Tsanrui replied. Just tell me if you can trade only tofu. I need to see if what you have is worth that price first. Yichuan promptly replied. 2 island expansion cards. Wang Tsanrui bit his lip and replied. To be honest, the island expansion cards are of little use to me. Do you have nothing else? Yichuan asked rather impatiently. This time, Wang Tsanrui fell silent for a full 3 minutes before replying. I have an anesthetic syringe. Are you interested? Anesthetic syringe? Yichuan was taken aback, as this seemed like a valuable item. Indeed, it was obtained from a subordinate island master who opened a supply box. It can cause a brown bear to sleep for 10 minutes. Wang Tsanrui said solemnly, and it takes only 7 to 8 minutes to take effect. Well, that is indeed worth trading for. Yichuan replied with interest. This is a valuable item. I needed to deal with the mermaids. I still don't know how powerful they are, but if I can administer the anesthetic, everything will become much easier. If you want to exchange for the anesthetic syringe, it won't be as simple as 3 pounds of tofu. Wang Tsanrui said coolly, you'll need at least 20 pounds of tofu. Do you know if the temperature will continue to drop? Yichuan pondered for a moment before posing the question. Of course. But what does that have to do with our current discussion? Wang Tsanrui inquired with a hint of suspicion. I'll offer you 3 pounds of tofu and a dogskin coat in exchange for your anesthetic needle and 2 island area expansion cards. Yichuan replied decisively. I can assure you, this coat is crafted from 2 hyena hides, providing warmth at least double that of a cotton garment. Hyena meat? Is that what you have on display? Wang Tsanrui was taken aback. Did you kill those hyenas? He had indeed noticed the hyena meat for sale and was astonished by Yichuan's capabilities. After all, hyenas are notoriously vicious creatures of Africa. Even a solitary lion would avoid their wrath. To be able to slay a dozen hyenas in one go is no small feat. He never anticipated that he had found the true source. Let us not dilly-dally. Simply state whether we have a deal, Yichuan prompted directly. Very well. Wang Sanrui weighed the pros and cons and ultimately acquiesced. While he had no immediate use for the anesthetic needle, the dogskin coat was indeed a pressing necessity. As for the 2 island area expansion cards, he still possessed a few, making the trade quite advantageous. In no time, Yichuan concluded the transaction with Wang Sanrui. Although Wang Sanrui had initially considered befriending him, Yichuan promptly declined. He had an inkling that this young man was not to be trifled with, and it was best to limit their interactions. This is rather impressive, Yichuan mused as he examined the anesthetic needle, a smile creeping across his face. With this, his chances of success had significantly increased. Delightful. Moreover, the enhancement allowed the anesthetic needle to transform into 2, and the island area expansion cards multiplied to 4. Thus, he now possessed an additional anesthetic needle, which might prove invaluable in the future. In the span of an hour, several portions of braised tofu were swiftly traded, and Yichuan acquired several rare items. Although they might not serve an immediate purpose, it was always prudent to be prepared for unforeseen circumstances. At this moment, Yichuan listened to Guo Xiaojiang's comedic performance while perusing the chat records on his super tablet. I think it's already minus 13 or 14 degrees. The sea is finally on the verge of freezing. Our good days are coming to an end. Have we ever had good days? This hellish novice period has nearly turned me into a shadow of my former self. That said, the salinity of the seawater in this novice zone is exceedingly high. It only starts to freeze below minus 13 degrees. I hardly know what to say. No matter how high the salinity, we cannot extract anything. What's the use? What time is it? Time to sleep. It's freezing. I can't sleep. I yearn for a lovely lady to warm my bed. Indeed, it only begins to freeze after minus 13 degrees. The salinity is quite high. Yichuan nodded slightly, noting that it was getting late. He turned off the television and swiftly drifted into slumber. Detected that the host has not yet checked in. Would you like to check in? In a hazy state, the system's voice resonated, causing Yichuan's expression to change dramatically as he sprang up. He recalled that it was stated yesterday that they would arrive at the mermaid's location between 5 and 6 in the morning, and now it was already 6 o'clock. However, Yichuan quickly regained his composure, remembering that their visit to Cold Winds Island had taken at least an hour, and it would likely take another half an hour to reach the mermaid's position. With this thought, he felt a slight sense of relief and promptly declared, Sign in. Sign in successful. Congratulations, host. You have obtained 1,000 evolution points, 50 charcoal, and a choice of 1 from 6 super thermal suits. Under the effect of the double amplification, everything had indeed doubled. At this moment, Yichuan felt that the system was quite favoring him. The side of the super thermal suit had been slashed yesterday, yet today, the system had gifted him another one, prompting Yichuan to recall a famous saying, there is a certain coldness that makes even grandmother feel you are cold. Of course, it was indeed rather chilly. He promptly selected a black and a purple super thermal suit, but refrained from changing immediately. As the circumstances of the impending battle with the mermaid were still uncertain, it was prudent to wait until after the battle to decide. System, how much longer until we reach the mermaid's location? Yichuan inquired while enjoying his self-heating hot pot. Approximately 10 minutes, 75 nautical miles, the system responded. So precise. Is this mermaid not in the sea? Yichuan questioned, his curiosity piqued, for if she were in the ocean, she could not possibly remain stationary. She has taken control of an island and seems to be executing some sort of plan, the system replied. Stop, tortoise! Yichuan commanded after a moment's contemplation. The sea turtle came to a sudden halt, its enormous head rising slowly to the surface, gazing at Yichuan with puzzlement. Chapter 99, The Power Ceiling, The Mermaid. Stay right here, I will handle the rest. Yichuan chuckled, contemplating for a moment before snapping his fingers. The 3 small creatures that had been circling high above immediately swooped down. Now, we need to advance 75 nautical miles. Wang Kai, I need you to take me there. Cheep, cheep, cheep. Wang Kai chirped joyfully. Wang Yun, if I ask you to shoot a concealed weapon at someone, can you manage that? Yichuan then turned to Wang Yun. Reflecting on the situation, he decided that this honorable yet formidable task should be entrusted to the albatross, who would launch the tranquilizer dart from above, ensuring the element of surprise. Cheep, cheep, cheep. Although Wang Yun could not speak, it nodded vigorously in agreement. Good. The island 75 nautical miles ahead is home to a mermaid with a human upper body and a fish tail. This task is imperative, Yichuan declared as he placed the tranquilizer dart into Wang Yun's beak. I'm off. Yichuan shouted once again. The dolphin immediately soared into the sky. leaping nearly 2 meters above the surface before diving back into the sea, emerging with its head above the water. 75 nautical miles ahead lies the mermaid, our adversary on this occasion. Your mission is to divert the attention of the mermaid while assisting Wang Yun in administering the tranquilizer. The dolphin nodded vigorously before plunging back into the ocean. Let us proceed. Yichuan inhaled deeply and spoke. Wang Kai emitted a series of chirps, then, after a brief run-up, soared into the sky. With a swift turn, it began to glide at a lower altitude, while Yichuan grasped Wang Kai's talons, rapidly ascending into the heights. Fortunately, weighing around 130 pounds, he was light enough for Wang Kai to carry him effortlessly. At this moment, Yichuan found himself soaring over 100 meters above the ground, the rushing wind in his ears causing a slight discomfort, nearly forcing his eyes shut. Oh, how careless of me. I should have brought a pair of goggles. On an island spanning over 1,000 square meters, a mermaid was preoccupied with some task. Suddenly, she heard a series of splashes and the sound of tremendous waves. Intrigued, she tightened her grip on the trident and swiftly moved her tail to approach the shoreline. Indeed, she spotted a dolphin leaping from the water, merely 30 meters from the shore. A smile flickered across the mermaid's face as she brandished her trident, preparing to aim at the dolphin. Just then, the mermaid bared her teeth, and with a swift motion, a powerful hand reached behind her to grasp a small syringe. She glanced skyward just in time to see an albatross soaring above. Enraged, she clenched her teeth and crushed the syringe in her grasp. She was certain that it was the albatross that had shot it into her back, yet she found herself powerless to retaliate. Meanwhile, another albatross called out, lowering its flight to deposit Yichuan onto the sandy beach before soaring back into the azure sky. What are you doing? The mermaid inquired suspiciously, eyeing Yichuan. What do you mean? Yichuan, equally perplexed, scrutinized the mermaid and asked in bewilderment. This mermaid stood nearly 6 feet tall, her upper body muscular and robust, while her lower half featured a fishtail measuring close to 4 feet. Brandishing a trident, she appeared menacing. Shouldn't mermaids be beautiful? Why do both I've encountered seem grotesque? Yichuan mused, bemused by the stark contrast to the tales he'd heard. Seemingly understanding Yichuan's words, the mermaid expressed her fury in a rapid outburst before charging at him. Yichuan calculated the timing, unleashing 12 explosive bolts from his crossbow. Though the mermaid's tail was merely a bifurcated fin, her speed was astonishing, allowing her to evade the bolts effortlessly. The trident swung fiercely towards Yichuan. Anticipating the weight of the weapon, he skillfully dodged the assault and retaliated with a powerful slash of his machete aimed at the mermaid's chest. The mermaid's reaction speed was astonishing. As the trident was thrust forward, it was swiftly retracted, its pointed end aimed once more at Yichuan's back. Startled, Yichuan instinctively turned, his mountain-splitting blade raised defensively against the incoming trident. A sharp clang resonated as the trident struck heavily against the blade, the immense force causing Yichuan, even with the strength of a half-sea turtle, to stumble back 3 or 4 steps. Remarkably, the mermaid, having just completed this assault, immediately launched another attack, not only exhibiting tremendous strength, but also an astonishing velocity. No wonder the system had described this encounter as the most perilous experience since entering the oceanic realm. It was not merely dangerous, it was terrifyingly extreme. With no other option, Yichuan dodged once more, contemplating strategies to confront this foe. 3 minutes had already elapsed, and he needed to endure at least another 5. Yet, it seemed he could scarcely last a minute. The mermaid, fuming with rage, suddenly uttered a phrase directed at Yichuan. In that fleeting moment of distraction, Yichuan pivoted and unleashed a palm strike, his air cannon unexpectedly striking the mermaid's face, causing her to involuntarily close her eyes. Seizing the opportunity, he shouted and charged forward, swinging the mountain-splitting blade fiercely at the mermaid's abdomen. A thunderous impact echoed as the blow resonated, sending a tingling sensation through Yichuan's hands, forcing him to retreat several paces, incredulous at the sight of the mermaid's wounded flesh. Was that meat he struck? Was it not akin to steel? The mermaid let out a cry, glancing down to see blood seeping from her lower abdomen. Although Yichuan had been momentarily shaken back, he had indeed inflicted a wound, albeit not very deep. System, what exactly is this creature? It is far too formidable. Yichuan gritted his teeth, unable to suppress his inquiry. Yet, the system offered no response, seemingly malfunctioning again. It always played dead at crucial moments. Even a translation of what this creature said would suffice. Yichuan's lips twitched in frustration, teetering on the edge of despair with the system's unreliability. The mermaid, seething with rage, appeared ready to explode. 8 minutes had passed, yet she showed no signs of fatigue. Suddenly, with a furious roar, She hurled the trident forcefully at Yichuan. Chapter 100. Hidden Mission Completed. Yichuan gasped in astonishment, not anticipating that this creature would resort to throwing her own weapon in desperation. He instinctively sidestepped and caught the trident in his grasp. To his surprise, the force behind the throw was immense, propelling him back 3 or 4 meters before he could dissipate its power. Shaking the trident and shrugging, he remarked, "This is quite sudden. Throwing away your own weapon is a sure path to self-destruction, is it not?" The mermaid let out a furious shout, swiftly propelling herself towards Yichuan with her powerful tail fin, brandishing 2 stones which she hurled at him in rapid succession. "Take that." Yichuan spun around, evading the flying stones, while simultaneously casting his steel fork into the depths of the sea. "How dare you?" The mermaid bellowed, turning and surging back into the ocean. A loud thud echoed through the water as a long-hidden dolphin, exerting all its strength, collided forcefully with the mermaid, sending her hurtling back from the water. The mermaid, now utterly bewildered, found herself grappling with the reality that, as a creature of the sea, she thrived in this domain where her combat prowess could surge by nearly 30%. Yet, as the sovereign of the ocean, she was taken aback that anything dared to attack her, especially considering the sheer force of her leap, which was at least 1,000 pounds. What could possibly possess the strength to send her flying back? With a soft splat, as the mermaid was knocked backwards, Yichuan leapt up as well, this time wielding a regular spear instead of his mountain-splitting blade. He thrust it forcefully into the mermaid's waist, putting forth nearly all his strength. The mermaid let out a pained cry as the spearhead sank deeply into her side. Reacting swiftly, the mermaid spun around and launched a punch aimed at Yichuan. At that moment, Yichuan was still recovering from his previous exertions, and he was struck squarely in the chest by the mermaid's fist. The force propelled him backwards, and he stumbled, gasping for breath as he finally expelled the air trapped in his lungs. "Why is this beast so difficult to fight?" Yichuan grimaced. Feeling the internal injuries mending rapidly, he immediately summoned Wang Kai, knowing not how long it would take for the tranquilizer to take effect. It appeared he could only buy time and seek an opportunity to vanquish her. The mermaid, gritting her teeth, yanked the spearhead from her waist and shouted at Yichuan. In response, he merely raised his middle finger at her, then seized Wang Kai's claws as they dove towards the sky. "Let us return to the island." Observing the albatross soaring nearly 20 meters away, the mermaid summoned all her strength, gripping her spear and hurling it towards the bird. The distance was great, yet it hurtled towards the albatross with alarming speed. Fortunately, just as it was about to strike Wang Kai, it was caught by Wang Fu and flung back towards the mermaid. "How dare you?" The mermaid growled, gritting her teeth. Then, with a powerful dive, she plunged back into the ocean, propelling herself at a staggering speed of nearly 80 knots in pursuit of Yichuan. Just as he settled beside the cannon on Turtle Island, the mermaid emerged on shore, spotting him instantly and charging forward. However, she suddenly felt a wave of dizziness wash over her, an overwhelming fatigue enveloping her senses, causing her to sway unsteadily. Yet, she managed to brace herself just in time, biting her tongue to reorient herself, though her speed was noticeably diminished compared to before. Had the tranquilizer finally begun to take effect? Yichuan's expression shifted as he observed the mermaid's body sway once more. Finally, after nearly 15 to 16 minutes, he confirmed that the anesthetic had taken effect. Nevertheless, to err on the side of caution, Yichuan decided to proceed with prudence, aiming his cannon directly at the mermaid. When the distance between them was still 12 or 13 meters, he pressed the button. Boom! A thunderous sound erupted, startling the mermaid into sudden consciousness. It leaped aside, yet underestimated both the speed and power of the projectile. Ultimately, the shell struck its side, obliterating an arm and a portion of its torso. "Steady now." At that moment, Yichuan finally exhaled deeply, a smile gracing his face as he approached the mermaid. "How do you feel?" The mermaid glared at Yichuan with fierce eyes, muttering coldly. "Apologies, but it seems we are destined to be adversaries. If you do not perish, then I shall. Frankly, I believe your demise would be preferable." The mermaid suddenly gritted its teeth, sitting up abruptly and throwing a punch at Yichuan. Taken aback, Yichuan wielded his mountain-splitting blade, striking towards the mermaid's neck. Just as it was about to land its fateful blow. "Oh my heavens, this hidden mission is truly perilous." With a long sigh, Yichuan collapsed onto the ground. Thanks to the combined effects of S-grade freshwater and the nurturing of sea turtles, he did not feel fatigued. However, the tension of the fierce battle had indeed left his nerves taut. The pressure was overwhelming. Detected that the host has slain a mermaid within a week. Hidden mission complete. A surprise gift package has been obtained. Would you like to open it? The system's voice echoed moments later. Delightful. Yichuan's expression brightened, and he burst into laughter. Open it. Surprise gift package is being opened. Congratulations, host. You have received an Evolution Value Package 1 for A-grade coconuts, a miraculous pill, and Resource Package 1. With the double amplification effect, all 3 items transformed into double portions. Remarkably, the double time had not yet elapsed. How exhilarating. Yichuan's expression shifted as he promptly opened the 2 Evolution Value Packages, acquiring a total of 20,000 evolution points. What a challenge it has been. However, with those 20,000 points, I could elevate each of them by 1 level, Yichuan said with a grin, rising slowly to dispose of the mermaid's corpse into the sea. It was then that he noticed the miraculous pill. What could this be? Yet, he did not dwell on it for long. Observing a dolphin retrieving the mermaid's trident, he nodded slightly, pleased to have acquired another weapon, albeit a rather large one. The system had mentioned that this mermaid was involved in some scheme on the island. It seemed I must investigate what this creature was truly up to. After some contemplation, Yichuan murmured to himself. He promptly commanded the sea turtle to head towards the island while he rushed to open the accumulated supply boxes he had gathered. The ice on the sea has thickened significantly, reaching the brink of freezing. The number of supply crates salvaged has inevitably decreased, yet fortunately, just as the double enhancement was about to fade away, all the supply crates were opened. Congratulations to the host for the first successful kill of an A-class marine creature. The host is rewarded with a lucky gift pack. Would you like to open it? Suddenly, the mechanical voice of the system echoed again. Chapter 101. 2 bedrooms and 1 hall, all upgraded. What on earth? Upon hearing this voice, Yichuan's eyes nearly bulged out as he exclaimed loudly. This was supposed to be a delightful surprise, but the crux of the matter was that he never anticipated this surprise would manifest only after the double enhancement had dissipated. Regardless of what treasures lay within this lucky gift pack, he felt he had effectively lost half of the potential rewards. However, the system seemed to disregard Yichuan's grievances, failing to emit any further sounds. With a sigh, Yichuan finally said, "Let us open it." Opening successful. Congratulations to the host for acquiring 200 kilograms of fertile black soil, 500 wheat seeds, 10 nutrient solutions, 1 upgrade blueprint for a bachelor apartment, and 5 blueprints for wind turbines. This is quite impressive. Yichuan's expression shifted. The acquisition of wheat seeds was unexpected, but he was even more surprised by the upgrade blueprint for the bachelor apartment. What does this upgrade entail? He pondered for a moment and promptly inquired. The system responded without delay. The bachelor apartment will be upgraded to a spacious 2-bedroom, 1-hall layout of 100 square meters, complete with exquisite furnishings. The host may choose to retain or discard existing furniture and appliances. Note: if one item is retained, the corresponding upgraded item will not be provided. Incredible. Yichuan's demeanor brightened as he immediately examined the requirements for the bachelor apartment's upgrade. It necessitated 1 bachelor apartment, 1 upgrade blueprint for the bachelor apartment, 1,000 nails, 500 wooden planks, 300 metal sheets, 150 stones, 100 plastics, and 50 glasses. I didn't expect it to require so many materials. Thankfully, my resources are abundant, or I would truly be at a loss. Yichuan muttered, deciding to keep the fully automated smart toilet, the trash bin, and the piping connected to the seawater desalination unit, while replacing everything else. He promptly commenced the construction of the 2-bedroom, 1-hall layout. In just a minute or two, a brand new bungalow materialized before Yichuan. From the exterior alone, it appeared nearly twice as luxurious as before, with the entrance now boasting a password-protected and fingerprint-secured door. My goodness, I am genuinely thrilled, Yichuan murmured excitedly to himself. After setting the password and fingerprint, he cautiously stepped into the room. A genuine leather sofa, a coffee table, a TV cabinet, and dining chairs, essential furnishings for any household, were all present in this 2-bedroom, 1-hall apartment. Even the previous bulky television had been replaced with a sleek, curved smart TV mounted on the wall. Yichuan glanced to the side and was relieved to find the USB drive still intact. Meanwhile, the once plush mattress had been upgraded to a dual-use palm and spring design. Though it may not be as soft as the previous one, it adhered more closely to ergonomic principles. It is no exaggeration to assert that the comfort and experience of this 2-bedroom apartment are nearly double that of the previous 1-bedroom unit. How delightful! Yichuan chuckled heartily. Reclining on the genuine leather sofa, he turned on the television, and to his astonishment, the picture quality was 4K. Listening to Guo Xiaozhang's comedic performance felt almost as if one were seated in the audience. And the action-packed films were so immersive that one could hardly detach themselves from the experience. Yet, a tinge of regret lingered. It felt somewhat lacking with only himself present. Yichuan pursed his lips and promptly exited the room. Currently, He possessed a total of 25,000 evolution points, sufficient to evolve all 5 creatures at once. Without further hesitation, he decided to level up the turtle first. As the turtle's size began to gradually increase, Yichuan accessed its information panel. Island Master. Yichuan type. Turtle level. 9, 0, 10,000. Skill. Water Bomb. Intermediate. Talent. Longevity. Rapid healing. Crawling. It appeared that aside from its increased size, there were no other notable changes. Next, Yichuan upgraded the dolphin and then opened its information panel. Name. Dolphin Friendliness. 100 level. 9 evolution points. 0, 5,000 skills. Sonic Interference. Intermediate. Absolute Impact. Intermediate. Talent. Deep Diving. 1,500 meters. Note. Absolute Impact allows the dolphin to attack with its head, equivalent to a collision force of 1,500 pounds. Sonic Interference can launch sound wave attacks on all entities within an 80-meter radius, disrupting their actions. Delightfully, the dolphin's Sonic Interference and Absolute Impact had also reached the intermediate level, and its diving depth had attained 1,500 meters. An increase in diving depth implied a higher success rate for detecting mineral resources. However, Yichuan chose not to deploy the dolphin just yet, as there was still a mermaid present. The strength of the mermaid he faced could provide insight into the prowess of this species. Yet, such a formidable mermaid, belonging to a single race, was merely classified as an A-level marine creature. One could only wonder about the true strength of S, SS, and SSS-level marine beings, especially the SSS-level entities, which could effortlessly shake an entire sea region. Yichuan could scarcely bear to contemplate it. The dolphin's upgrade is complete. Congratulations, host. Your contracted beast has reached level 9 and has received an upgrade package. Would you like to open it? As he pondered, the system's voice interrupted his thoughts. Open, Yichuan declared, a hint of regret in his voice. He now wished he had utilized the double enhancement today. How many treasures had he missed out on? Opening upgrade package, please wait. Congratulations, host. You have received 1,000 growth points, 10 grain pancakes, for peaches, and 1 island area expansion card. Indeed, last time I received corn pancakes, and this time I have been granted multi-grain pancakes, which are rather delightful. It seems the upgraded gift package has a substantial probability of yielding pancakes. With this, I now possess 5 island area expansion cards, Yichuan said with a smile. Next, Yichuan allocated 500 evolution points to the 3 little ones, causing them to begin their slow growth once more. He opened their information panel. Name, Albatross level, 7, growth phase, evolution points, 40,000 skills, diving talents, capable of grasping objects weighing up to 90 kilograms, talents, diving, fish catching, flying, long-distance navigation. The weight they can lift has increased by an additional 20 kilograms. However, despite reaching level 7, they remain in the growth phase. The wings of the little creature now extend nearly 2 meters. Typically, adult albatrosses have wingspans of about 2 meters. So could it be that they grow particularly large due to their existence in the oceanic world? This question may only be answered once they level up 2 more times. Albatross level up complete. Congratulations, the host's pet has reached level 7 and received an upgrade gift package. Would you like to open it? Albatross level up complete. Congratulations. The host's pet has reached level 7 and received an upgrade gift package. Would you like to open it? At that moment, the system's voice came a bit late, echoing the 3 notifications from before. Yichuan rubbed his hands together with a grin and declared, Open all. Chapter 102, The Conspiracy of the Merfolk. Congratulations. The host has received 1,000 growth points, 2 plastic, 3 charcoal, and 1 solar heating blanket. Congratulations, the host has received 1,000 growth points, 5 glass, 3 metal sheets, and 1 ice drill manufacturing blueprint. Congratulations, the host has received 1,000 growth points, 5 wooden planks, 3 stones, and 1 kilogram of millet. A solar heating blanket and an ice drill manufacturing blueprint? Yichuan glanced skeptically at these 2 rewards, pursing his lips before looking towards the sea, which had begun to freeze. The ice layer was relatively thin, likely under 1 centimeter, allowing the sea turtles to continue their journey. He nodded slightly, observing Friday as he worked slowly and methodically. Yichuan handed him the wheat seeds and nutrient solution. Friday scratched his head and replied, Brother Chuan, there's south no place to plant them. In the current situation, there was no need to worry about soil erosion. Yichuan responded, just go to the vacant land outside this patch of fragrant grass, evenly spread the 200 kilograms of fertile black soil, set up the greenhouse, and plant only wheat. Brother Chuan, setting up the greenhouse isn't within my job description. Friday protested. You stubborn metal lump. Both setting up the greenhouse and spreading fertile black soil are necessary for farming, wouldn't you agree? Yichuan retorted. Indeed. Friday nodded. Your primary task is field management. So asking you to undertake this responsibility falls within that scope, does it not? Yichuan inquired once more. That seems accurate. Friday pondered for a moment before responding. So, that settles it. Yichuan gestured with his hands. Now get to work, as you have no other tasks at hand. All right, Brother Chuan. Friday nodded vigorously. By the way, weren't you supposed to call me boss? Why have you switched to Brother Chuan? Yichuan suddenly recalled this matter. Boss sounds somewhat dubious and does not align with the designated protocol. Friday explained. The system has evaluated various titles and ultimately selected the most suitable one. Is that even permissible? Yichuan gazed incredulously at Friday, then waved his hand. Go on with your tasks. Yes, Brother Chuan. Friday replied and turned away to get busy. At that moment, the sea turtle had already arrived at the small island, nearly fused with its landmass. Accompanied by the trio, Yichuan promptly ascended the island. Surveying the surroundings, there were tents, and he noted that watermelons had been planted in the fields, although they had long since perished due to the cold. Nevertheless, all of this indicated that the island was inhabited by a master. But if the island's master had perished, the island should have submerged by now. Or perhaps, the master has not yet died? Yichuan contemplated, immediately calling out to the trio to commence their search. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Minutes later, Wang Yun emitted a series of sounds, prompting Yichuan to jog over, only to discover a disheveled man bound and imprisoned in a pit, his mouth stuffed with a pair of foul socks. Upon seeing Yichuan, he immediately began to whimper with excitement. Yichuan swiftly untied him, and the island's master broke into tears. I am finally saved. It has been quite a struggle. I thought I was going to perish. Please, no more tears. Tell me what transpired? Yichuan admonished. I have no idea. The island's master replied. I was sound asleep when I was suddenly bound and tossed into this pit. It has been 3 or 4 days. How have you not perished from thirst? Yichuan asked sternly. A mermaid has been forcing fish and 100 milliliters of mineral water into my mouth daily. That is how I have survived. The island's master lamented. Brother, may I please use the restroom? I haven't been able to relieve myself in 4 days. I feel as if I shall burst. Such a lazy creature. Yet still trapped in this predicament. Yichuan frowned. I will ask you one last question. What has that mermaid been doing on your island? Digging pits and burying things. The island's master promptly replied. Just 30 meters to the left of my tent. Brother, I truly cannot hold it any longer. Off with you. Yichuan scolded, immediately moving towards the indicated spot, where he indeed found fresh soil, suggesting something had been buried. Contemplating this, Yichuan asked, Wang Kai, can you 3-dig? If so, please assist me in excavating this pit. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The trio of small creatures chattered excitedly before swiftly beginning to excavate with their claws. After a good 5 or 6 minutes of diligent digging, they finally unearthed a square pit measuring 1 meter on each side. Within it lay a metallic object, which began to emit a flashing red light every few seconds, giving it an air of sophistication. How could these seemingly primitive merfolk create something so advanced? System, what is this object? Yichuan inquired, tugging at it. It was surprisingly heavy. A locator. The merfolk can use this device to breach the novice zone barrier and invade the novice areas of the island masters. The system promptly responded. This locator was crafted by the merfolk. Yichuan asked again. Not at all, the system replied. Then who created it? Surely, it cannot be a collaborative effort with humanity? Yichuan questioned incredulously. This time, the system remained silent, but Yichuan's mind raced with the possibilities. After all, beyond the novice zone lies the vast inner sea, populated by numerous veteran island masters, including millions from the homeland and countless others from various nations, some of whom might have betrayed humanity and struck a deal with the merfolk. This object must be destroyed. Yichuan clenched his teeth, resolutely deciding to unleash a powerful air wave towards the locator. Boom! A thunderous sound erupted. Yet the locator remained unscathed. Is it truly that sturdy? Yichuan stared at the locator in disbelief, scratching his head. He immediately called for Wang Kai. Wang Kai, take this locator to a height of 100 meters, then release it so it crashes onto the rocks below. With a series of chirps, Wang Kai struggled to grasp the locator before slowly ascending into the air, eventually releasing its grip and allowing the locator to plummet. Bang! Another resounding crash echoed as the locator struck the ground, shattering the rocks beneath it, yet it appeared to suffer no damage whatsoever. What on earth is this made of that it remains intact? Yichuan muttered in disbelief. Brother, what exactly is this object? At that moment, the island master approached, noting that the mermaid had spent 3 full days assembling it, only for it to be so resilient. Assembled? Yichuan's expression shifted. Yes. And I vaguely recall seeing a rather crude instruction manual, the island master replied, but it was later consumed. When was it consumed? Yichuan immediately pressed. About a day ago, the island master pondered before suddenly realizing. Oh, you're the formidable one who fought with the mermaid. You haven't killed her, have you? Yichuan furrowed his brow. If it had been a day, the manual would surely be long gone. Searching for it seemed rather impractical. He circled the locators several times, finding no flaws, and then glanced at Friday on Turtle Island, rolling his eyes before calling out, Friday. Friday? ISNT today Thursday? The island master interjected. Could it be that I have misremembered? Brother Chuan, do you have any instructions? At that moment, Friday dashed over to Yichuan's side. Friday, given your exceptional expertise in field management, have you ever studied the disassembly of precision instruments? Yichuan inquired solemnly. I once contributed to a portion of the code for precision instruments, so I can only say I have a rudimentary understanding, Friday responded. Then tell me, do you think you can handle this device? Yichuan inquired while tapping the locator. Brother Chuan, I only manage matters related to various plants. Friday exclaimed, shrugging his shoulders. Asking me to deal with this does not fall within my purview. So I ask you, is it not the case that your ability to manage these plants hinges on my existence? Yichuan pressed immediately. Indeed. And if I were to cease to exist, would you not be rendered incapable of management, perhaps even subject to reclamation due to my absence, thus losing your freedom? Yes. If this locator is not removed, we could be subjected to a massive attack from the merfolk, and I might very well vanish. In other words, if you do not dismantle it, you risk being reclaimed, losing your freedom, or even facing elimination. Should you not then proceed with its disassembly? It seems I should. Then let us begin. Yichuan nodded and gestured for Friday to proceed. Friday scratched his head, crouched down, and began to examine the instrument. Boss, we are all solitary beings. Yet you not only possess such a vast island, but also a companion? The island master queried, seemingly struck by a thought that made him shudder. His eyes wide as he asked, how did your island come to rest here? From this moment forth, if you dare utter another word of nonsense, I shall end your life. Yichuan seethed through gritted teeth. You three, if he speaks again, give him a sharp clawing. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The three little ones immediately chirped joyfully. The island master looked at them, his eyes momentarily alight with wonder, only to dim again as he refrained from uttering another word. I ask, how long might it take to open this? Yichuan inquired while crouching beside Friday. At the earliest, a few hours. At the latest, a day. Friday replied, his eyes unwavering. He only dug this one hole, correct? Yichuan considered, and then directed his question at the island master. The island master nodded affirmatively. With this confirmation, Yichuan stated decisively, transport this iron lump to our island. We shall depart, and not waste any more time here. Understood, Friday said, seizing the locator and swiftly running towards Turtle Island. Such strength. Yichuan was taken aback, then coldly fixed his gaze on the island master. Everything you have witnessed today is but a dream. Nothing has transpired. Do you comprehend? I fear I may not be able to contain myself. The island master clenched his fists tightly. Then weigh your actions carefully. Should you falter, I shall return to end you. As Yichuan spoke, he delivered a powerful punch to the island master's cheek. Without a doubt, the island master succumbed to darkness, losing consciousness. As for Turtle Island, it swiftly changed direction and departed. Noticing that it was already noon, Yichuan immediately began preparing lunch, squeezing goat's milk, and after boiling it, distributed 200 milliliters of goat's milk to everyone. Meanwhile, he listened to comedic dialogues while reviewing chat records. Oh no, it's frozen over here. How frustrating. What about you guys? It's frozen here too. I've roughly checked, and the ice is about 2 centimeters thick. It's almost solid enough for someone to walk on. Doesn't that mean the supply boxes will be increasingly distant from us? I have an idea. When the ice reaches 5 centimeters, it will be safe to walk on it. Then we can search for supply boxes nearby and break the ice with stones. Are you foolish? If I break the ice, I'll fall into the sea. Are you trying to get me killed? That's your problem then. Reading these exchanges, Yichuan stepped outside for a moment and confirmed that the ice layer on the sea was indeed thicker than before. However, the strength of the turtle rendered this thickness trivial. Indeed, once the ice layer became thicker, the good days for everyone would come to an end. Yichuan mused as he returned indoors, reclining on a leather sofa. He selected an action-packed film to watch while examining the mysterious pill he had received as a reward. System, am I supposed to ingest this? Yichuan inquired. Yes, the system replied. Upon consumption, the host will acquire a certain ability. That seems harmless, Yichuan thought. Promptly swallowing the pill. After a few minutes, he assumed the pill had dissolved, yet he felt no newfound abilities. Congratulations, host. You have mastered a minor language and can now communicate effortlessly with merfolk. The system suddenly announced 5 minutes later. Merfolk language is considered a minor language. Yichuan was taken aback. Even seasoned island leaders might not frequently interact with merfolk. System, you overestimate me. Just as before, the system fell silent. And Yichuan had grown accustomed to this. He shrugged it off. A minor language might prove useful one day. After 2 hours, having finished the film, Yichuan stood up and stretched, glancing at his super tablet. Lu Yi had sent a message over an hour ago. I have good news. I've finally found Yichuan. This time it's really him. Found Yichuan again. Yichuan frowned. Why was this woman so obsessed with finding him? Even after being deceived, she remained so unwaveringly convinced. With a sigh, Yichuan replied directly. Stop being fooled all the time. I am Yichuan, from Dongshan Ocean Survival University. Chapter 104. Yes, I am Yichuan. After a considerable pause of several seconds, Louis finally responded, Stop joking. How could you possibly be Yichuan? Are you afraid I might be deceived again? This time, it won't happen. He articulated all of Yichuan's defining characteristics with clarity, even detailing his preferences. What are Yichuan's hobbies? Yichuan inquired, somewhat irritated. Spicy food. He is a person who cannot live without spice. Lu Yi promptly replied, because of that. I've also grown fond of spicy dishes. Yichuan slightly curled his lips, uncertain of how to respond. Lu Yi had always been an exceptionally driven individual. As the top student in the school, her primary motivation was to surpass herself. Even in her practice courses, where she ranked at the bottom, she would secretly practice late into the night after school. Nevertheless, despite her efforts, she lacked any innate talent in practical skills. The reason Yichuan concealed his identity was his concern that Lu Yi, upon discovering the truth, would not only reject his assistance, but might also succumb to despair. After all, her goal was to surpass herself, and the realization that she had not only failed to do so, but had also been saved by him, who had supported her for nearly a month, would undoubtedly be a crushing blow. Moreover, it seemed that her repeated deceptions stemmed from the unfortunate lives of those impersonating Yichuan. In aiding them, Lu Yi derived a sense of vanity. Look, what does it matter that I am the top student? Those who truly enter the real world struggle just as much, if not more, than I do. However, to prevent Lu Yi from being misled any further, he felt compelled to reveal his true identity. He disclosed only one of Yichuan's hobbies. In reality, Yichuan had another passion, studying. He replied directly, for Yichuan was an orphan. Even after leaving the orphanage, he had to work part-time after school to afford his tuition and sustain himself. Thus, he understood that education was his only path to success, which is why he consistently ranked first. After sending these messages, Louis fell silent once more. Several minutes passed before she replied, Stop joking. We are competitors at school. How could you have supported me for nearly a month? Because you are the first alum I have encountered, and I have always admired you. Yichuan responded. A girl who works so diligently. There are hardly any students left who are passionate about learning. After this exchange, Louis once again fell silent, then turned her inquiry toward the Yichuan she had just met. No, I must test you further. Besides spicy food, what other hobbies do you have? And what is your family background? I only have that one hobby. Everyone knows it. Yichuan replied. I come from a family of 3 and live a relatively happy life. Louis, why do you still not believe me? Is there any reason for me to deceive you? He added, by the way, I'm short a stove. Do you happen to have an extra one to lend me? Upon reading this, Lu Yi promptly blocked Yichuan. Could he really be Yichuan? It makes sense. With his excellence, how could he live a life worse than mine? How foolish of me not to have recognized his true identity. Now, I have accepted his assistance for such a long time. Can I ever repay this favor? What should I do? As for Lu Yi, Yichuan chose to disregard her. This news struck Lu Yi like a bolt from the blue. Perhaps it was best to let her come to terms with it alone. As the sky gradually darkened, Yichuan took a deep breath and began to prepare dinner. He still had an unopened can of pig's head, which he combined with the mushrooms obtained from previous transactions to brew a pot of mushroom and pork soup. He also made a dish of scallion braised tofu. Though lacking soy sauce, it was still quite palatable. He then divided a couple of steamed buns, preparing a simple meal of 1 dish and 1 soup, just enough for each of them to have half a bun. Although Lu Yi had yet to respond, Yichuan still sent her a portion. Since the matter had been laid bare, there was no need for further reservations. I have mushroom soup again. It's my favorite, replied Blueberry Jam. I still remember the delicious lychee mushroom soup from a few days ago. Hee. I'll take a stroll in the woods another day. There are bound to be mushrooms. Yichuan sent a smiling emoji, inquiring about her situation. How are things on your side? Not too cold, I hope? It's a bit chilly at night when I sleep, but otherwise, it's manageable. Blueberry Jam replied. Wait a moment. Yichuan exclaimed. promptly sending her a solar heating blanket. This was indeed a delightful surprise for Blueberry Jam. Oh my, how do you possess such a magical blanket? It absorbs solar energy during the day and provides warmth at night? Bingo, you got it right. Yichuan responded with a thumbs up emoji. Tonight, you can snuggle up warmly into dreamland. If only you were here beside me, that would be perfect, Blueberry Jam replied, adding a playful emoji. Let us eat, Yichuan said with a slight pout, choosing not to engage further. As he dined and watched a movie, Yichuan felt there was no moment more heartwarming than this. Despite the tinge of loneliness, with the last glimmer of light fading away, he discarded the trash, took a hot shower, and tossed aside the heavily worn super-insulated suit that had endured the battle with the cold front and mermaids before returning to bed. To his surprise, Lu Yi had accepted the food and traded over the super tablet. Though he understood her intentions, he still asked, "What is this?" "I plan to become your vassal island lord," Lu Yi replied without hesitation. "I have always been a strong-willed girl, but ever since I learned of your identity, the remnants of my pride seem to have vanished. I believe it is better for me to become your vassal than to continually accept your aid, as it often leaves me feeling uneasy. Can we be friends? Besides, haven't we agreed that you would provide me with rare resources?" Yichuan replied, "We are each other's first friends in this oceanic realm, regardless of whether I am Yichuan or not. Our bond remains unchanged, does it not? Is that truly how you feel?" Lu Yi bit her lip, and after a brief pause of several seconds, she finally responded. Suddenly, a sharp sound echoed nearby, prompting Yichuan to furrow his brow and rush out of the room. Chapter 105. Destroying the locator, a chick is born. There, crouched down, was Friday, and the once solid iron lump had astonishingly revealed a fist-sized red plastic light after undergoing a series of transformations. The flickering red glow emanated from it. "Friday, you haven't been unlocking that iron contraption all this time, have you?" Yichuan asked in astonishment. "You managed to unlock it in less than 10 hours. That is impressive. Not too difficult, really," Friday replied nonchalantly. "Impressive indeed," Yichuan responded, giving him a thumbs up in approval. "All right, you should take a rest now." Yichuan nodded. "Should we destroy it?" Friday inquired next. It might be a challenge to obliterate it, after all. Just as Yichuan spoke, Friday had already smashed his fist onto the locator, shattering the red plastic and the small light within into countless pieces, extinguishing its glow. Yichuan stared in disbelief at the scene, once again giving Friday a thumbs up. "Impressive. I'll head off to rest now," Friday said, turning to leave. It seemed this fellow possessed formidable combat prowess. It would be wise to train him for future battles. Yichuan mused quietly as he promptly tossed the remnants into the furnace before returning to his room. Meanwhile, in the vast inner sea, a group of mermaids, numbering in the dozens, swiftly swam toward a specific direction. The leading mermaid, holding a panel, suddenly halted. "The locator has vanished. What is going on? Has Fish Chong been discovered?" A tall mermaid behind her spoke in a deep voice. "But the locator was crafted by those individuals. It's impossible for novice island masters to destroy it," the mermaid lamented. "Could it be that an experienced island master has infiltrated the novice zone and located Fish Chong and the others? How infuriating. Our plan has failed." The tall mermaid clenched his fist in frustration. "Yutian, we must temporarily retreat and seek other means to find the novice zone." The leading mermaid sighed, knowing her father would likely be disappointed in her, and she could only lead the group back for now. After a prolonged silence without a response from Yichuan, Lu Yi felt a twinge of disappointment and then replied, "If you think so little of me, I won't impose." Just as Yichuan returned, he received her message and promptly responded, "You're overthinking. I see you merely as a friend. As for being a subordinate island master, do not harbor such thoughts. For once you become one, freedom will be lost. Is that all there is to it?" Lu Yi replied, pressing her lips together. "Indeed, in reality, I have no friends. You are my first female companion and my first friend." Yichuan responded with a smile, urging not to overthink it. "There is, of course, another reason. Yichuan intends to bind only premier island owners and is currently bound to 5 exceptional ones, with no plans to connect with others for the time being." Well then, sensing Yichuan's sincerity, Lu Yi decided to let the matter rest. "It was getting late. Let us rest," Yichuan replied, and then opened the public chat room. "I just took another look, and the ice thickness is already around 3 centimeters. It might reach 5 centimeters overnight. By then, the ice surface will be stable enough to stand on, and I plan to test it tomorrow morning. If it holds, I will search for supply boxes and try breaking the ice. Be careful not to fall into the sea. It would be disastrous. Danger and opportunity coexist. We have endured nearly a month of hellish novice trials. Are we afraid of death? Here's to it. If you find a supply box, don't forget to share the good news. I'll give it a try too." After watching for a while and finding little useful information, Yichuan stopped looking further and listened to a comedy performance by Guo Xiaojing until he drifted into slumber past 10 o'clock. Detected that the host has not yet checked in. Would you like to check in? Early in the morning, just 10 seconds after waking, the system's voice rang out. How punctual, Yichuan muttered softly and promptly declared. Check in. Check in successful. Congratulations, host. You have received 1,000 evolution points, 200 kilograms of fertile black soil, and a feather fragment. Note: 3 feather fragments can be exchanged for 1 angel feather, which may yield unexpected results upon use. System: please refrain from giving me feather fragments in the future. Using the angel feather did not bring any fortunate events. It feels rather useless. Yichuan immediately responded. As before, the system remained silent. Yichuan paid it no mind, stretched lazily, and strolled outside to hand over the fertile black soil to Friday. Just then, Yichuan heard a very faint chirping sound. He paused momentarily, then his expression shifted. Is that the sound of chicks? With that thought, Yichuan hurried to the chicken coop and indeed spotted a flock of yellow chicks scurrying behind a hen, appearing quite healthy. However, the cold weather left them shivering. Yichuan quickly fetched 2 stoves and placed them in the corners of the coop, gradually raising the temperature. These chicks can't eat sea fish. They should be fed millet, right? Observing the 2 hens pecking at the ground, seemingly searching for food for the chicks, Yichuan murmured softly. Currently, he only had 2 pounds of millet, which he had intended to cook into porridge for himself. But at this moment, the chicks seemed far more important. Weighing his options, Yichuan immediately grabbed a generous handful of millet and scattered it in the coop, causing the chicks to chirp excitedly. The rooster nearby, equally eager to partake in the feast, was unceremoniously shoved into a corner by the hen, who spread her wings assertively. Typically, the hen would not resort to such measures against the rooster, yet in the face of maternal instinct, all rules are subject to transformation. Observing the cheerful chicks feasting on millet, Yichuan felt a twinge of pessimism. After all, he possessed only 2 pounds of millet, which he estimated would be depleted in a couple of days. It seemed imperative for him to seek alternatives. However, this dilemma warranted deeper contemplation. At that moment, the system's voice chimed in, announcing, Island upgrade complete. Congratulations, host. Your island has been upgraded to level 9. You have received an upgrade package. Would you like to open it? The timing was fortuitous. He hoped for a bounty of millet. Yichuan's expression shifted, and he promptly declared, Open. Opening. Congratulations, host. You have acquired 2,000 growth points for A-grade peaches, 7 small nutrient solutions, and 1 blueprint for manufacturing rotating crossbow bolts. Why do I receive another rotating crossbow bolt? Did I not already possess one? Yichuan inquired, perplexed. The host can manufacture an additional rotating crossbow bolt or utilize the blueprint to upgrade the existing one. The system elucidated. An upgrade is possible? Yichuan's interest was piqued. After all, the current rotating crossbow bolt could barely penetrate the hide of a wild chicken. Against thicker-skinned creatures like wild boars, it would be rendered virtually useless. With this in mind, Yichuan resolved to proceed with the upgrade. Chapter 106, Upgrading the Crossbow Bolt. A quest into the woods. To upgrade the rotating crossbow bolt, one would require 1 rotating crossbow bolt, 1 blueprint for the rotating crossbow bolt, 10 wooden planks, and 5 metal sheets. Without hesitation, Yichuan crafted the upgraded version of the rotating crossbow bolt, which weighed approximately an additional pound compared to its predecessor, increasing the total from 12 to 16 bolts. Furthermore, upon manufacturing the bolts, he noticed each one was roughly 5 ounces heavier than before, although the increase was marginal. It was certainly perceptible. With 16 bolts loaded, Yichuan swiftly made his way outside the woods and aimed at a sturdy tree trunk. Within 5 seconds, all 16 bolts were released in a flurry, accompanied by a barely audible whoosh. Each bolt embedded itself deep into the trunk, nearly halfway through, requiring considerable force to retrieve. It appeared that the power had more than doubled compared to the previous bolts. Should he encounter that wild boar again, these 16 bolts would surely incapacitate it. Yichuan surveyed the bolts and nodded in satisfaction. Notably, the upgraded rotating crossbow bolt was more user-friendly. Unlike before, where the bolts rotated during loading, they now only required placement in a single orientation, thanks to an automatic rotating mechanism. In combat scenarios, this would maximize efficiency. Moreover, one could choose to fire all bolts or just half with a simple press of an adjustment button. Remarkably convenient. Delighted, Yichuan grinned broadly and gave a thumbs up. At this moment, Yichuan finally took note of the forest, which had expanded by an additional 500 square meters, bringing its total area to approximately 500 square meters, more than twice the size of most island owners' territories. The sudden increase in size suggested the presence of various creatures within, perhaps even wild bulls. Given that there were already wild boars and hyenas at the 2,000 square meter mark. Although unsure of the specifics within, Yichuan resolved to explore the area after breakfast, as it was his domain, and he ought to familiarize himself with its intricacies. At this moment, Yichuan's expression shifted, propelling him to the small mountain of evolution. The mountain now stood over 60 meters tall, with a height of around 22 to 23 meters. The previously formed spring had widened its fissures, and the flow of water had increased in thickness, likely capable of filling a mineral water bottle within an hour. However, Yichuan chose not to interfere with the spring water just yet. He intended to wait until it transformed into a stream before channeling it for domestic use. After all, water derived from seawater could never compare in taste to naturally occurring mountain spring water. Subsequently, Yichuan returned to his room, prepared the steak he had previously traded for, and distributed an A-grade peach and 200 milliliters of goat's milk to each person. Time is of the essence. I assume you haven't had breakfast yet. Today, we feast on steak and A-grade peaches. A-grade peaches. Lu Yiwei exclaimed in surprise. Brother, this is rather extravagant, isn't it? Oh no. It seems that everything I bring forth is of considerable value. Lu Yiwei playfully stuck out her tongue in response. I can't possibly consume it all myself, so I'm sharing it with everyone, Yichuan replied. By the way, I recall you mentioned having spent some time at a ranch. Yes, why do you ask? Lu Yiwei inquired, puzzled. Do you know what else chicks can eat besides millet? Yichuan asked immediately. When it comes to chicks, there are plenty of options. They can also consume insects, vegetables, and corn kernels. However, I believe I've offered bread twice before. Perhaps you have some bread to spare for them? I do have some bread available, Yichuan responded thoughtfully. Then I shall feed them breadcrumbs. Lu Yiwei promptly traded over 500 grams of bread and added. Breadcrumbs should be a bit dried out. I also have 2 packages left, you can take them. By the way, the newly hatched chicks are rather fragile. You should find a way to strengthen them, or they might easily fall ill or be infected by certain pathogens, which would be quite detrimental. I understand, Yichuan replied, contemplating the matter. If he needed to dry the bread, he could simply air it out a bit. As for strengthening them, perhaps S-grade freshwater would suffice? But that seemed overly lavish. He himself had barely indulged in it. Ah, of course. Yichuan's expression shifted. Previously, he possessed 2 A-grade seawater purifiers. After upgrading one, the other had languished and used. Now, it seemed imperative to reactivate it, for not only could it serve the chicks, but it could also be of benefit to several subordinate island lords, achieving a dual purpose. With this thought in mind, Yichuan promptly retrieved the idle A-grade seawater purifier, filled it with seawater, and commenced the purification process. Meanwhile, he indulged in breakfast while perusing the messages in the public chat room. It has indeed frozen to about 5 centimeters. I even stepped on it to test. It can support a person's weight. Did you not try to search for the supply box? Perhaps you could smash through the ice and drag it out? Are you out of your mind? What if I genuinely fell through? I would have no place to rest in death. Only you could conjure such a ridiculous idea. Oh, fortune favors the bold. With your timid nature, you'll never savor more than 4 dishes in this lifetime. I truly look down upon you. Do I need your respect? Who do you think you are? Upon observing these chat records, Yichuan couldn't help but shake his head slightly. After tidying up the litter, he exited the room, inhaling the damp, chilly air deeply before summoning the 3 small companions, intending to venture into the woods for a look. The trio agreed unconditionally, forming a protective formation around Yichuan, creating an atmosphere akin